Bye. Testing. Alright, test it. Welcome to hell, which is basically this live stream. Today, I'm gonna be finishing my journey. Well, not completely finish it, but you know, cover the others I need to cover. So, I'm gonna be doing both FNaF VR and FNaF. And unfortunately, I'm gonna cover a good chunk of the books, as well as a prediction theory. I think I'll end it off like around this area. I'll end it up at 3 new FNaF timeline theories. Hopefully that way I can cover the rest of security breach seamlessly. Yeah. Now you know the rules. I'll be skipping some videos that I don't think will fit, which includes these two, the GT Live videos. Obviously, they don't count because they're worthless in this context. We need to talk about FNaF because that's not really much of a lore theory, or even a theory made by MapPass. Just him talking about presumably when, you know, when Scott gotten cancelled, the science of, which, again, I don't really care for the science of, at least again for this context, because it's not really for the lore, it's more for the science. I know I did the bite, but at the very least, that also was a MapPass thing, you know? This, the new breed, because those are unimportant because they're fan games. You know, because they're fan first. And I don't really care about it for now. Because, again, I'm not here to react to, like, Matt Pass sit on his butt for 17 minutes to talk about Scott Cawthon doing some fan games. I'm here to watch about the lore crap. Oh, I'm also skipping this because, again, it's just him testing out FNaF in real life, which is a cool idea, but again, not important to the overall thing. Also, the science stuff has the green text, which is stupid, so yeah. I'm also skipping this because this is more of the copyright stuff, which, ugh. God, yeah, I ain't touching that with a 69 million bow. So, well, 87 million bow, but yeah. Let's begin our agonizing journey. Here, agonizing, like the books. And if you have no idea what agonize means in the books, you know, I do want the best possible quality. I'll put it at 760 for now.
No. No. No, God, no! No! No, God, no, no!
This is pretty much me when I decided to start this. No, this is me when I realized that I made a promise to myself to do all this. When I did my second one, the electric bug glue, and the third one, and this third one, which is just my ultimate custom, right? Yeah. So let's continue. Unintentionally paused frame. Okay, you know, that's funny. You know what? It made the pain a tiny bit bearable. Yeah. Tiniest bit bearable. Back to life.
Oh, no!
I think I know this. You know what? There is the backwards of 83, which is an important event in FNaF. What a loser.
Let's talk about this thing. By all that's unholy, FNaF is somehow back.
I mean, to be honest, they're allowed to make new games. They just don't have to make the games part of the lore. They could just tell it in a different universe. Well, not different universe, but you know, a different story set in the same universe, more accurately. Alternatively, it could just be like an alternate timeline crap, like, you know, Zelda, but that's neither here or there.
Someone got together their little summoning circle of Funko plushies and recycled Chuck E. Cheese pizza.
Also, that's, you know, that thing, the recycled pizza crap? Yeah, that's actually canon in FNaF security breach. It's funny to me.
And awaken the sleeping behemoth that is Scott Cawthon, and now here we are with a new trailer for FNaF 7, and me, in children's pajamas. So thank you, Internet. Also, can we just agree that this is creepy, right? Not me wearing kids' PJs, certainly, though, come to think of it, that is really weird. No, the fact...
Yeah, that's why I called you a loser.
The fact that I'm in a nightie that is dedicated to an animatronic that gets dead children stuffed into him. God, man. Merch in 2019.
In fact, this is 2019, which was 4 years ago. Holy shit.
Yeah, indie games. Now, at the end of last summer, FNaF was basically done. The book series had concluded, FNaF 6 had burned the series to the ground, and Ultimate Custom Night ended the story by trapping William Afton in eternal torment. All that was really left was the movie.
Yeah. And so, me, you know what? I want someone out there to do an edit of the Ultimate Custom Night menu, but instead of the animatronic, it's basically every map path video ever. I hope someone does that. That would make me happy.
Just like Jeremy laid to rest on a nearby hillside, it was time for the series to finally rest in peace.
No.
Clickbait.
I don't care about your act. No one cares about your act. No one cares about your Apple. No one cares about your AT&T. Why? I swear, this makes me want to get either YouTube Premium or look for a freaking ad blocker.
But then, back in November, Scott hopped onto Steam to give all us Fredheads an update, and suddenly, the movie was the least certain thing of the group. A VR game? An AR game? More books? A third new game called Into Madness? Clearly, Scott intended me to be the protagonist in that one, since that's exactly where I'm headed to with so much new FNaF headed our way. Even a AAA game,
which was a disappointment.
Apparently, instead of stuffing children into animatronics, they started getting stuffed into loot boxes. Fast forward 4 months to today, and here we are. With the first
Fazbear Entertainment will definitely do loot boxes. Let's be real.
New Scott Cawthon teaser in nearly a year. A teaser for one of the items on this massive list of animatronic horrors sent to taunt me. But which one is it, and what it means for this new era of FNAFing is exactly what we're exploring today.
Barrio.
So, let's get analyzing. First, let's just assess what we're seeing here, shall we? Clearly you have 5 animatronics that are all melted together, which would be interesting enough on its own, but making it even more compelling is the fact that they all span the history of the franchise. You have Freddy, Foxy, and Vanny, all in their FNAF 1 forms, but then you also have the pre-mangled form of Funtime Foxy.
That's something I always disagree with. The idea that Funtime Foxy, the one in Sister Location, is mangled from FNAF 2. I never really understood why they have to be the same. Because they share colors? Well, they're different models. While Mangle in Funtime Foxy's Sister Location edition could span from are pretty much Funtime Foxy, To me, it's similar to Freddy and Toy Freddy, just the same character, just different models. If it makes sense, this is just a different model of Funtime Foxy, like how Mango before they got taken apart and put back taken apart is the model is a separate model. Given the fact that like the teaser at least give us what would show them. I mean, heck, heck. FNaF World actually shows us what Mango would look like fixed. See? See? Hell, even those fan made models is better. This is a better idea. I guess you can argue. Hell, I even argue the freaking merch is probably one. Okay, let's see. See, like I still think Funtime Foxy Mango Edition shouldn't have been called Toy Foxy. There, I said it. You know, Into Madness is also accurate how I feel about doing this series. I can't click on notifications apparently. Anyways, back to
From
this.
sister location, and also pre-trapped Springtrap from, well, a lot of different cutscenes throughout the series, but
Well,
most
mini
notably from the
games.
Fruity Maze minigame dating in FNAF 6. You can
Yep.
actually tell this based on the general shape of the nose, as well as the lack of decay and aging that you normally see post-Springlock failure. But since this is a Scott Cawthon teaser, you know that there's gonna be more here than just a cool image.
Yeah.
If you throw this thing into Photoshop and start brightening it up, step 1 in any FNAF teaser analysis, you're gonna see the background has lines. Lines with some oddly inconsistent spacing. And of course, you have text. The quote is from Fazbear Entertainment in the upper right-hand corner, saying that everything is working as intended.
What was that about?
But also a not quite so hidden bunch of text right here in the middle of the image that you really gotta squint to truly read. Don't listen to them, blank,
Yeah.
something inside. It was an accident, remember Jeremy. Jeremy? That's the guy from the gravestone! The night guard who has his name on the paycheck from FNAF 2. The supposed Bite of 87 victim. Ladies and gentlemen, sound the alarms! We are talking about the Loeb lad himself, which means that there's only one option here. We are in the same continuity. Cue the party horns and cheerful children sound effects.
Yep.
And we were all eager to throw.
Or, yeah, turns out, okay, so here's my general consensus of the Jeremy thing. Like, I think, generally speaking, I think the Help Wanted Jeremy is separated from the FNAF 2 Jeremy, who is separated from the Dead Missing Kid and Bonnie Jeremy. This lore is so freaking confusing. We got multiple Mikes, we got multiple Fritz, we got multiple Jeremys. What's next? Multiple Williams? Oh, well, I guess if you want to get technical, every continuity has a different William, but you know what I mean.
Throw out our textbooks at the end of last semester, guys. But it's
No,
time
I
to break
passed at
out
420.
FNAF lore for dummies one
Almost.
final time.
Oh my gosh, why these ads are so much? At this point, I really need to get I need to get an ad blocker at this point. I ain't getting YouTube Premium. Frick YouTube Premium. Like, you're just asking people just to download these onto your computers at this point. I said that.
Anchors up.
Yeah, I don't want to get copyrighted.
Whoopity-doo! Who's excited? This guy, I guess. No.
I'm actually wanting to see where I can get
Creating
that.
my own ARG over the last couple months has taught me a lot of things, specifically better ways to hide and code messages. And one particularly effective but simple way to do it is by opening image files as text files. So if we open this image file in Notepad, we'll
Yeah.
actually get our answer to that first missing word. Don't listen to them. We let something inside. It was an accident. Remember Jeremy. So with all of that evidence compiled, let's start analyzing before we start digging deeper.
Okay.
Because there's a lot deeper to go, ladies and gentlemen. We are just scratching the surface. Now, the phrase "remember Jeremy" actually tells us a lot of things here. First, it
That's
tells
it.
us both the speaker of that line and the person it's directed to know who Jeremy is. Secondly, it
One guy, maybe the day shift security guard, Jeremy's family. I don't think they're still the same person,
tells
but
us that
you
the
know.
events of this game are happening in the aftermath of his death, which at this point is commonly accepted to be the result of the bite of 87.
I mean, is he dead though? I mean, yeah, sure, the human body, that doesn't really mean he's alive, but at the same time, it doesn't really mean he's dead, per se. I don't know.
So from a timeline perspective, it looks like this quote is coming after 1987, meaning that we're after the string of murders in the FNaF 2 location and around the time of Michael Afton's revisit to the FNaF 1 building and his discovery of sister locations. In fact, knowing where in the timeline this quote must fall and seeing those lines in the background of the teaser, my mind immediately jumps to prison bars. Now, that
Probably.
seems like it might be a stretch. Clearly, these are just meant to be tiles, and while yes, that's probably what they are, the inconsistent spacing still felt weird to me, and it resembled the narrow strip of horizontal bars that many prison doors have. Now think back, way back, to when this story first started. Back to the secret newspapers from FNaF 1. The things that first told us that there was a deeper story to begin with. Quote, video surveillance identified the man responsible and led to his capture the following morning, end quote. And on the follow-up story, headline, 5 children now missing, suspect convicted. Well, the suspect has been charged, the bodies themselves were never found, end quote. So if these newspaper clippings are still considered canon, this former employee was convicted, meaning that they found him guilty, and as a result, most likely he went to prison for his crime. And we can be fairly confident that this isn't Afton, since his only comeuppance seems to have been the Springlock failure and the eventual eternal torment in HE double toothpicks, meaning that there is still a potential story to be told of someone there who's trapped in prison, wrongfully accused, haunted by the nightmarish amalgamation of animatronics that got him thrown into the slammer. At least, that's my wishful thinking for a potential plotline for one of these stories. Is it the story that we're getting in this game? Probably not, but a boy in Freddy pajamas can dream. Can't he? Let's go back to the text. Don't trust them. That them could be referring
Don't worry, editor. We know Matt Pat can't read sometimes. We know he can't read.
to the animatronics, or it could be referring to the members of Fazbear Entertainment, that quote in the upper corner saying that everything is working as intended. Now, as established by Ultimate Custom Night, the only haunted characters who still possess rational thought are Baby and the puppets.
The others are like animals, but I am very aware.
Which eliminates everyone that we currently see on screen here, thereby making it doubtful that the them in this quote is referring to the animatronics. Instead, this seems to be 2 employees of Fazbear Entertainment talking to each other, basically confirming not to trust what the bosses are saying. All the other lines,
I mean, that is fair. We shouldn't trust. I mean, I don't blame them. You shouldn't trust anyone.
here, we let something in. It was an accident. Remember Jeremy.
It was an accident. That's basically how we'll describe this entire idea. This entire suffering.
Seem like those same co-workers realizing that something is wrong and that it relates to a mistake that they made. A mistake that's ultimately related to Jeremy's death, and now they're both worried about their own survival. Remember Jeremy? seems to me to read more like, hey, remember that guy? We don't want to end up like him. So now, looking back across the games, what are some of the mistakes where something deadly has been let in? Well, you got Springtrap being let into Fazbear, Fright, and FNaF 3. You have basically the entirety of FNaF 6's salvage minigames, and Ennard from Sister Location. Ennard, who, funny enough, during the false ending to that game, repeatedly begs you to let him in.
You must help us. You must let us inside the room.
You must make good game theory videos, MatPat. You gotta make good game theory videos, MatPat. Please make a good theory video on me, please. Please. I'm sorry, I kinda like doing baby's voice, if I'm being honest.
You have to let me inside the room. I know it was an accident.
Yeah, you're perfect.
And where in the series do we have two co-workers who wind up dead because they let something inside? Sister Location again.
The location
now,
of
it's
the
a scene
sister.
that's really easy to forget, but night 5 of Sister Location actually starts with Michael Afton crawling through the vents and suddenly coming across the hanged bodies of 2 former technicians. Co-workers brought in by the newly escaped pieces of Ennard. So we have something where the placement in the timeline makes sense. The relationship of the characters to Jeremy as co-workers makes sense.
Probably.
Your skepticism of Fazbear Entertainment definitely makes sense.
The one more accurate parts MatPat said.
And you know what? That's not all. Their role specifically as technicians also makes sense with
You know what? I'm gonna speed up the video like I did in like my first stream. This is mostly because it's got a lot of videos to cover.
Everything that we're learning about this new game. You see, Scott wasn't content to just give us one teaser. No, he gave us 8 separate images teasing this new game. Here,
no.
Make up for lost time. Thanks, buddy. I mean, sure, we just analyzed the imagery and text of this one image, but if you check the source code of Scott's website, which at this point is FNaF Research Step 2, after brightening up the images, you'll notice odd strings of text, all with this tag, content equals. Well, if you take those strings of letters and plug them into the URL bar, it reveals a trove of new findings. The first and most important of them, we're going to be playing as a technician. Here, in this image, we can actually see Freddy's body opened up, ready to be worked on, which perfectly coincides with what Scott teased when he initially mentioned the possibility of this new VR game. Quote, if you liked repairing Funtime Freddy up close in Sister Location, just wait until you try to do something like that in VR. Up close and personal, with these huge animatronics that are just one mistake away from jumping at you.
Yeah, that's terrifying. All the minions said no. I don't care. I'll get an ad blocker after.
Another of these images, the one of Bonnie without the eye, also is teasing at this idea of no longer being a guard, but rather an animatronic tech having to repair all of these robots. So could the main story of this new FNaF game actually be the story of these 2 hapless technicians who end their lives in an underground robotics bunker? If the quote on this teaser is believed, the answer seems to be a solid yes. If it is, it even relates back to the title of the game. You see, going back to look at the source code yet again, you see that the original teaser image is listed as hw.jpg. Now, back in February, my buddy Dawko tweeted out that a new FNaF game had gotten leaked on the ESRB ratings website. The ESRB, man, get your act together. First you leak the Super Smash Bros. 4 roster, and now you're leaking the new FNaF game? It is time to stop! It's time to stop, okay?
Okay,
yes,
that's
someone
funny.
else's me, but I thought it was appropriate for the situation.
Is it?
Plus, I'm in pajamas, thought it would be funny. There it is. Filthy Frank, we miss you. But in all seriousness, this is Five Nights at Freddy's.
No, we shouldn't.
Help Wanted. HW, just like the name of the teaser image. The description for this leaked game even confirms that you will be playing as a technician. Quote, once again, players assume the role of a repair person tasked with
You know, this guy aged poorly.
monitoring and repairing animatronic characters at a pizzeria. From a first-person perspective, players explore dark hallways, complete puzzles, and try to
there's some near minis we do take an action crap.
Screams and jump scares with the words "You are dead" appearing on screen after players are attacked. And
But that doesn't mean
anything.
anything.
To sudden animatronic-related fatalities. Time to find some more. Throw up the sign. Help wanted. So we have ourselves a VR game starring a technician who's repairing animatronics, slowly coming to realize that they made a terrible career decision. Or do we? Looking across all the other teasers, it feels like this whole game may actually be disconnected. We see scenes from all the various settings we visited in this franchise. The tile floor behind that old model of Bonnie suggests that it's the FNaF 1 location. This shot of Springtrap looming in the background tells us that we're going to be visiting Fazbear Fright. The appearance of Funtime Foxy in the teaser suggests that we'll be visiting Sister Location for some challenges. Heck, we're going to be invading the crying child's bedroom from FNaF 4 based on this shot of Baby. Notice the
Isn't the crying child supposed to be Mike? Honestly, I think MatPat just called him like the crying child because it's not really confirmed if he is crying child or if he is the crying child is a separate character from Michael or if Michael is like Foxy Bro or not, or the crying child, or maybe Michael's just his own separate character this entire time. We're just putting him on the road to Foxy Bro because Foxy Bro isn't fully important to the story compared to Crying Child, which, if the Crying Child is William's son, that would mean Crying Child's death could allowed William to kill, which makes sense, I suppose. I think Foxy Bro is just like the odd one out, I guess. So, like, Rationale kind of did that, not to mention Foxy Bro survived at the end of FNaF 4, whereas Crying Child was killed off by the end of that game, so yeah. And we say something like, oh, Remnant revived, which, okay, I get it, but that required Crying Child to have Remnant on him in the first place. And we don't really know if that's the case. It's going to make sense if the Remnant was somehow injected into him prior to FNaF 4. And even then, I don't think William even knows what Remnant was by 1983. Did anyone say that the flatline at the end of FNaF 4 was a fake, for a twist that he's alive? That's stupider than Hans being the villain in Frozen. I'll say it's stupider than the worst Disney twists. Yeah, I said it. Mike victim believers.
The iconic closets from
And if he's a robot, then and that's assuming that the Mike victim is separate from Mike bot. Because yeah, those are separate for some reason. Even though Mike bot is like the one thing in my opinion would justify the fact Crying Child is Michael Afton. Yeah, again, I said it.
from that game, as well as the bedspread design in the background. So, is this game just going to be a bunch of vignettes? A compilation of the series' greatest scares, only now they're in VR? I don't think so. I do think that this game can and will tell its own unique story.
I mean, it did. Just not in the way you were theorizing.
That builds out the lore of this franchise, and one of these teaser images solidifies that for me. True to form, Scott hit his biggest reveal the deepest. You see, going on to Scott Games one final time, it's a lot of times to visit Scott Games just for one teaser image, something seems a little off if you're paying close enough attention. You see, the meta label for the website is actually misspelled with a 0 in between the two T's. And if you go through the source code with a really fine-tooth comb and a really keen eye, you'll actually notice a couple more typos. An R in content, a big old G in block quote, and an N in the word text. 0RGN. Type those letters into the URL bar and you get this. Now, clearly it's been obscured very heavily, but if you blur and affect the contrast a little bit, change some of the levels, you actually get something that looks more like this. Something that doesn't just look like an animatronic, but one animatronic in particular. Notice the half-closed eye. It's Ennard. It's Ennard's signature appearance. Half-closed eye, horizontal tube-like lips, and
that was never explained.
So, there you have it. We have ourselves a new VR game telling us the story of two technicians who made a fatal career decision. Based on the fact that the game already has a rating, I'm assuming that we're going to probably see this one coming out pretty soon. It's weird, actually, to think about a FNaF game coming out on something like PlayStation 4, PlayStation VR. I'm excited to see it. Will I be right in my predictions?
Yeah.
Well, we're just going to wait and see. And by wait, I mean it's probably out already now. As soon as I hit publish, it probably came out, because, that's how Scott goes. Right? Is it out? Is it out yet? How about now? Right now. It's there. Nothing? Alright, screw it. I'm gonna go get out of these pajamas.
Listen, paying $14.99 a month for a streaming app and $9.99 a month for a music app and...
But hey, did you notice the new theoryware? We call it Chaos Theory. It's a name that I have a lot of fun with, and it's available right now.
Oh, I got a new subscriber. That's nice.
But hold on, while you're down there, you can.
Oh, it's just merch crap. Oh no, I don't care. You know what? Let's skip this one because again, this isn't really much of a theory. It's just him talking about copyright involving the fact that the teaser had like fan art / fan models. So we're just gonna skip that. Mostly because I don't care, to be honest. Also because it means I can like shorten the video list, then so be it. Again, I'm already reacting to like let's see. 59 other videos, to be honest.
Win yourself $100 in theory.
Oh wait, shit. Hold on. Let me screw up. Let's see. Don't trust the tapes. I wish the tape showed up. Instead, to make this do this idea. I hate you, Apple. I sometimes hate Apple. Apple! Why do you guys always have unskippable ads? Why does it have to be have a next ad come after? That's stupid, YouTube. If you're gonna do unskippable ads on YouTube, at least there only have it be one.
Fuel up.
That way people don't have to mock your entire existence, YouTube. Oh, I know what it's setting up. Shredding something.
It's back.
You know, that kind of almost reminds me of like these fantasy thing. Oh well.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory, the show that clearly doesn't understand the meaning of the word final. It's finally over.
I agree.
That is the end. Left FNaF lore theory NAF is at an end. Yet final FNaF theory. But can you really blame me? These games have confirmed endings in FNAFs 3, 4, 6, and Ultimate Custom Nights. Like Doctor Strange saw 14 million different endings, and Scott Coffin was like, "I'll take them all."
Okay, that's a fun visual gag. I will admit.
Beginning to think FNAF World's inclusion of FNAF 57, Freddy in Space was less of a joke and more of a preview of coming attractions. So anyway,
Kinda based.
call it whatever you like. FNAF 7, FNAF VR, Help Wanted, Mad Hat Insanity Simulator. But after a year of detoxing, Five Nights at Freddy's is back with a new official game of the series, and it's more so than any other installment. Feels like an inflection point. A game that is simultaneously looking back to pay tribute to where these games began, as well as a game that's looking forward to lay the groundwork for where this franchise is headed. This isn't
Hopefully.
just some quick VR cash grab for the series. This is a pivotal game in the canon that closes the book of old lore and also launches us into FNAF the next generation. It seems to answer some old mysteries from the previous games, all while opening up the themes and tone for what's to come. And there is a lot to unpack here. This is, without question, the meatiest game in the FNAF library, which is impressive because it's still a VR title. So let's not waste any time and get started with the basics. Now, in case you don't have a VR headset, I've actually played through the entire game on GT Live, so you can check out all the highlights. No!
I also watched Markiplier played it.
And lowlights of my playthrough over there.
Hello, boys and girls. I'm here to give you your happiest day ever. Come with me, wayward souls. We've got vengeance to strike.
But let me quickly take you through what you need to know for today's theory. In Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted, we're playing as a beta tester for a new Freddy game. As we're told in the opening cinematic,
We know that Fazbear Entertainment has developed something of a bad reputation over the last few decades.
I wonder why. It can't possibly be due to the fact that the pizza tastes like crap. Okay, I know why. Just don't worry. Don't worry about it.
While it's true that some stories associated with our
Good night, my Fredbear.
based on actual events, the majority of them were total fabrications from the mind of a complete lunatic. Lawsuits pending.
I'm sorry. I like this picture of Scott Cawthon, if I'm being honest. It's so funny. Or Steve. I'm gonna call him Steve because that's like in a story, which we'll get to in like part 4, then probably part 5, and maybe a part 6. You know what? Then the part 6 is gonna have AI. Imagine if I decide to be so lazy, just do like AI art. Just kidding. I will never do AI art. Unless you give me like $5 million to make AI art. I am not doing AI art.
and yes, that picture is really Scott Cawthon canonically inserting himself into this game. That is a discussion for another episode, my friends, because...
Well, okay, maybe not $5 million. More than the entire amount of money on planet Earth.
it throws all sorts of weird monkey wrenches into the lore, but we'll get to that later. So according to the intro, Scott's games gave Fazbear Entertainment a bad name. And the point of this Freddy Fazbear virtual experience then is to poke fun of their past, clear their name, and ultimately rebuild the brand. Seems
Makes
simple enough, right?
sense.
Loving recreations of past games as well as some new minigames, and that's it, job complete. A new generation of Faz fans fall in love with all these new characters and add to Scott Cawthon's growing pile of money.
Don't forget the merch perfect for birthdays.
Speaking of merch, Fazbear Entertainment ain't the only ones shipping.
Oh my god. Merch. Alright. Time to skip your ass. Did Pass Me love to comment? Damn it! Okay, you know what? Oh, Scoot. Who's Scoot? Who's Scoot 4 years ago? Me. Who's Scoot? I mean, that's accurate. I wish Pass Me left once again. Something. Sorry. Just neighbors and children outside being so annoying like usual.
Understand the lore of these games, or pretend like you understand the lore of these games by nabbing yourself some new theory where link is right up here, or is on the top line of the description. Now with that out of the way, back to VR. Playing through the game, it is legitimately impressive. Pretty much everyone here is recreated in a stunning 3D environment.
Yeah.
Bonnie, Baby, Funtime, Freddy the Puppet, heck, even Easter egg appearances by Mini Renas and Lolbit. Characters that most of you watching this probably haven't even heard of before because you have much better things to do with your brain space than I do.
I do.
Practically
Heard of
everyone
him.
is here in this game, except for one important omission. Golden Freddy. I mean, Laura isn't around either, but you know, I said important. But that seems weird, right? I mean, this is a game that drops you into perfect recreations of the first 3 installments of the series. You don't just forget about one of the most important characters to the lore of these games. Well, that's because it isn't some careless oversight. Golden Freddy isn't here for a reason. It's our first clue that this game isn't just a joke and is a canonical entry. Specifically, it tells us where it falls in line with everything else that we've played through. Golden Freddy isn't here because she's busy hanging out in HE Double Chica arms with William Afton. Think back to the end of Ultimate Custom Night and our previous series. By tracking the voice lines used throughout the game over screens, we're able to piece together that we're playing as William Afton in that game. Child killer extraordinaire.
Yeah, I still don't think Mike Hell is real. Because of the voice lines from those guys.
Game with him trapped in heck to atone for his sins, and the thing that was keeping him there was the one he should not have killed, a girl named Cassidy, the spirit who had an axe to grind, possessing the Golden Freddy suit. The reason Golden Freddy isn't in FNaF VR is because the spirit is down there tormenting Willie A forever, from here until the end of the series. That's why the ultimate ending of Custom Night was Golden Freddy twitching off into the darkness. Cassidy never gives up her soul, no matter what Old Man Consequences said. Further cementing that Help Wanted is now at the end of the FNaF timeline is this miserable creature right here, this scrap baby plush. Because why wouldn't you want to cuddle with something that rips in half and eats children alive? Let me remind everyone who doesn't have an encyclopedic of all 60+ animatronics that have graced this franchise that Scrap Baby is the homeless hobo version of the old baby after escaping his sister location and who was voted out of the Ender tribe sometime between FNaF 5 and 6. Her only on-screen appearance is in FNaF 6, so the fact that a reference to her exists in this game at all means that it must come after her expulsion from Ender, sometime definitely after FNaF 5, but again, with Golden Freddy missing, it seems to secure it after everything's burned down and closed. So we have ourselves a company that's trying to rebuild its reputation after a series of tragic events. Seems pretty simple, right? Of course not. This is a FNaF game. You know that the story is never going to be that obvious. Hidden throughout the game are cassette tapes that, when collected, unleash a new monster into the hallways of this pizzeria. What the game's files refer to as Glitchtrap, a yellow bunny with purple eyes. Yellow bunny with purple eyes, you say? I think I might know where this is headed. As you collect more and more tapes, this glitch rabbit comes closer and closer, becoming more and more fully formed. To beat all the minigames, you unlock the final challenge, Pizza Party, a nightmarish fever dream that mashes together every location that you just played through, waiting for you at the end of this horrific game. The single scariest moment from the entire franchise. And I can't emphasize that enough. It is literally chilling. What you learn is that you, a 7-year-old, have been lured to the back room of Freddy's, and what awaits you is your pizza party, complete with your favorite flavor of cake, all your best animatronic friends, and then Glitchtrap calls you to follow him. The music fades, and suddenly you're on stage. You're holding Freddy's microphone. You are Freddy. You've been stuffed. You are now a missing child, watching as your killer dances gleefully to the song that you're being forced to stand up on stage and sing. This isn't just a spoopy jump scare of some goofy character. This is real horror. So it definitely seems like this new character, Pedo Hair, over here is William Afton. I mean, sure, the suit isn't as bulky as a Springlock suit, but he's got all the other qualifications down. Yellow bunny first check. Association with color purple, check. Enjoys children's pizza parties just a wee bit too much.
Oh no.
Check again. Then again, to call this character William would be missing a huge chunk of this game's story. This isn't William. Like I said, he's trapped in eternal torment with Cassidy, listening to Barney the Hippo over here tell his life.
And I'm so inclined to believe that.
Monday and through out Wednesday. What was I saying?
No, to understand who, or better put what, this thing actually is, we need to examine the tapes that summoned Glitchtrap here in the first place. Scattered throughout the various minigames are 16 glitching cassettes left behind by a former game dev, Tape Girl, which, when put together, tell the story.
I'm gonna go for Hope. Hope. Yeah. Hope.
Of a failing game company, a bit of malicious code, and some very stabby office supplies. Also introduced to the story of another beta tester who was in our position before us, named Jeremy, making this the third time that the name Jeremy has appeared in these games, with the first being FNaF 2's Guard, and then again on the gravestones in FNaF 6. Coincidence? I think not. The first tape immediately makes it clear we're not picking these up in chronological order.
There are more.
They may not be in order.
Which leaves us
Make
the task of shuffling them into some
sense.
modicum of sense in order to put the story together of what really happened while this game, the game we're supposedly playing now in its final form, was in development. Going through the tapes, I've done the shuffling for you, and I think I've come up with the most cohesive narrative based on the evidence and what
Hopefully.
the girl actually says. She begins by telling us that the game's then playtester Jeremy had been complaining to his manager Dale about nightmares. Except he's not explaining them like they're nightmares, he's talking
Yeah.
about them like they're real.
He wasn't talking about it like someone telling a friend about his dreams, though. He was pale. He doesn't even jump anymore.
Oh,
He
no.
just stands there like he's talking to someone.
Pale doesn't react to scares, talking to themselves? Sounds to me like he's going crazy. Either that or he's just a FNaF YouTuber. Hashtag relatable, am I right? The game he's working on is this one, Freddy Fazbear's virtual experience, which includes some code that was inherited from Fazbear
Makes
Entertainment,
sense.
and also old hard drives to save him time and money.
It was just junk. Circuit boards and things like
Yeah,
that. It seemed
makes
to take
sense.
hold by itself. But then, he started appearing. At least that's what Jeremy said.
Manager Dale doesn't seem to take Jeremy's warning seriously, however, and instead he starts documenting all of Jeremy's behavior in preparation to fire him.
Makes
You can always
sense.
tell when a company is getting ready to fire someone. The thing about it is that I don't think they were going to fire him because of anything he was doing wrong. They just knew he'd seen something.
This confirms for us
Yeah.
one major detail, that the scariest thing in the FNaF universe is crunch time. Working long hours until you're driven crazy and then fired at the end? Man, it's just like the real-life games industry. It's uncanny, these games just get more and more realistic. So Jeremy
Yeah.
is going crazy and no one is listening. Flash forward to tape 6, where Tape Girl talks about coming in early one morning to see the supply room lit and Jeremy in the darkened testing room. It's a short tape, but it's an important one, because it sets us up for tape number 9, when we learn that what she saw looked like a Halloween mask
Nice.
on the ground and a bunch of ink both on Jeremy and scattered around the floor. But that's not ink. That's no mask. The ink is Jeremy's blood, and the
Yep.
mask is actually Jeremy's face, which he presumably sliced off his own body using the aptly named guillotine paper cutter. We know this to be true
Yeah.
thanks to tape number 4, where we hear Tape Girl say that the cutter comes from the supply room and that Jeremy expressly knew where it was.
I didn't even know we had one in the supply room.
Huh.
I was always afraid of losing a finger. That seems so silly now. Jeremy used to do design work. I guess that's how he knew it was there.
And for as extreme as this sounds, we know that he sliced off his face due to all these seemingly minute details about how his face was obscured that morning.
I went back and peered in the
Yeah.
window. I couldn't see his face. He had the visor covering his head.
Anyone else getting some bizarre Bite of 87 vibes from this story? No? Is it just me? Huh. So Jeremy eventually dies from his injuries.
I mean,
After
right
Jeremy's
here
death,
a little
things
bit.
start getting even weirder, which is a relative statement considering that this is the FNaF franchise we're talking about. Tape Girl overhears a conversation about a lawsuit in the aftermath of Jeremy's death, which makes
Makes
perfect sense
sense.
given that he died a horrific death on the job. In response, the company starts taking some serious steps to cover their tracks, namely to sell off the game and destroy evidence that could incriminate them. In the meantime, Tape Girl takes over Jeremy's role as playtester, and all we can hope is that she really cleaned that VR headset before she put that thing back on. She has 3
Yeah.
days to playtest the game. Across her audio logs, we learn that in that time, she sees Glitchtrap for the first time and comes to learn that he's attached itself to her audio logs. She tries to delete them, but can't. So instead of deleting them, she fragments and disperses them into the 16 small pieces we've been collecting throughout our playthrough, warning us that they shouldn't be reunited
Accurate.
at any cost.
Hide all traces of these logs that I created. I fear that
Mm-hmm.
finding them and reassembling them will also reassemble the very thing I've tried so desperately to destroy.
Hey, it's good. Me with my YouTube channel.
Whoops! Probably shouldn't have hidden that info on tape 15 of 16. After that, though, she seems to backtrack on her story, saying that in fact the entity in the game can be killed, and that to do so we should reassemble the tapes. Odd, but okay, we've got them all anyway, so might as well see what we can do. Glitchtrap attacks us once we have 16 tapes, and if we don't respond in time, we trade places with him. For a brief second, we see through his eyes back down at the console.
Oh,
that he was
no.
operating. Our consciousness has truly melded with his, just like the voiceover warned about at the top of the game.
Fazbear Entertainment is not responsible for accidental digital consciousness transfers.
So that's a bad ending. But if we do manage to properly follow Tape Girl's instructions as he's trying to mind meld with us, well, he still seems like he escapes. Or at the very least, he definitely doesn't die. This should have been like some Mr. Smith in the Matrix moment where all his code disintegrates or something. But instead, we're
Probably.
trapped on one side of a door in the game. A bloody, hand-printed door with scratch marks clearly showing people stuck in here desperately trying to escape. And we see Glitchtrap practically skipping off into the darkness. This doesn't seem like the ending we should be getting for putting all the pieces of the tape together and following all the tape maker's instructions. That would basically mean that FNaF VR has 3 losing scenarios here. Getting stuffed in
Yeah.
a pizza party, transferring consciousness on the home screen, and getting locked behind the door if you choose to follow Tape Girl's instructions. That can't be right. Can it? Well, maybe it is. Maybe that's the point of the game. Maybe we are destined to lose no matter what we do here. I mean, think about it. The canon ending of Sister Location was a bad ending, with Michael getting scooped. The canon ending of
That's
FNaF 4 was a
true.
bad ending, with the crying child getting bitten. In FNaF
Yeah.
6, you and literally everyone else burned to death. I mean, it's considered a victory, but you're still dead. Now, let's look closer at the text of the audio logs. There is something clearly wrong in them. The tapes start out just fine. They follow her story in a pretty logical way, and we know she's a real person in the real world because she's observing things from outside the game's testing room. Things like Jeremy complaining to management.
Yeah.
Stuff that's present in the supply room. But then, upon closer inspection, you start noticing some strange anomalies. For instance, we have 2 tapes that both start with her introducing who she is. A hi or hello followed by you don't know me or can you hear me, which is our first hint that something's a bit off. The same person is making these tapes the whole time for the same audience. So why
Makes
introduce
sense.
herself to us twice in both tape 1 and tape 15? Why would one end with her saying,
Now I fear that those logs are being used as a Trojan horse. If you're unable to abandon development, hide all traces of these logs that I've created.
basically telling us to hide the logs, but then also say this?
There are more. They may not be in order.
basically inviting us to put them all together. Weirder still is
Probably.
the fact that the last file suddenly does this major about face relative to all the previous logs, where suddenly she says out of nowhere, oh yeah, there is a way to kill Glitchtrap. This is odd on a lot of different levels. The first and most obvious being, if these instructions really do work and she's so sure about it, why didn't she follow them? If this method was actually effective and she knew it was effective, Glitchtrap wouldn't be in the game anymore, because she would have followed her own advice and wiped him out. How would
Makes
she
sense.
even know that this system works? The answer is, it clearly doesn't. Or at least it doesn't do what she says it's gonna do. That's because she's not trying to get you to kill off the entity in the code, she's trying to get you to release it. While we don't have every piece of the puzzle in the story, here's what I think actually happens with all these audio tapes. The tape maker starts out genuinely making these logs to document the weird stuff that's happening in the game studio. The stuff with Jeremy really happens. She really sees Glitchtrap in the game, but on her last day of playtesting, she tries to delete the files and fails. Instead of killing Glitchtrap, she undergoes a digital consciousness transfer, just like we do in one of the 3 bad
Which is a
endings, grabbing
possibility.
and releasing Glitchtrap, presumably into her own body, or just releasing him into the real world. Both of which are possibilities that the game explicitly warns us about in the opening sequence.
Fazbear Entertainment is not responsible for accidental digital consciousness transfers, real-world manifestations of digital characters.
Digital characters. What if Gregory is a digital character? Oh, imagine that's the plot twist. Gregory is secretly a fictional character within the FNaF lore. That's why he's good at video games. That would be. I mean, that would be stupid also, but I don't think it's Gregory. What if it was the Mimic? That would explain why the Mimic seems like it came out of nowhere. But the Mimic isn't really in FNaF PR. I would say the Phantoms, but we know VR is happening after FNaF 3. I won't say the Nightmares, but again, after FNaF 3. You know what? Maybe it's Plushtrap is that. Maybe it's Glitchtrap. Who knows? I don't know who it is at this point. Let's continue.
That, my friends, is why you always have to read the disclaimer. From inside the game, she's now stuck, with her only hope for escape being to go through the same process she just went through from the other side. She creates a new log, starting over by saying,
Hello? Can you hear me?
Hello?
Reality is saying, hello, can you hear me in here? Since she's now making the log from inside the game.
It's
she
me.
tries to create a new story that encourages a future developer to piece the logs back together, and then seeds one final log out there to tease the idea that a future developer can solve the problem by killing off Glitchtrap using her log assembly method. It's smartly constructed, because she's counting on future developers having the same curiosity and determination she did. She even
Makes
mentions
sense.
this in one of her earlier logs, tape 3, that when Jeremy had told the developers that something was wrong,
But as a dev team, we all just saw it as a challenge to find what the problem was and fix it.
we do exactly the same thing, finding what's wrong and following the instructions on how to fix it, only to find ourselves on the wrong side of the door covered in handprints, where presumably lots of other people have been there before us. Glitchtrap, or whoever is in the body of Glitchtrap at this point, perhaps Pete Girl herself, disappears into the darkness and takes over our body on the outside. And now it's our turn to wait for the next beta tester to come in, follow the tapes, and hand over their consciousness
Maybe.
to us. Now, that last bit there is speculation based on the oddities and the audio logs and the fact that following her instructions results in seemingly yet another bad ending. But even if all of that about consciousness switching and her being trapped in the game and us taking her place trapped in the game isn't the case, the point is, William's back, just not in a way that any of us expected. What seems undeniable in Help Wanted's story is the fact that his consciousness was preserved in the circuit boards that got scanned to make this game. And now, he's here as Glitchtrap, tricking players into letting him escape.
Maybe.
He's no longer the same guy. He's now an AI replicating the behaviors of William and snatching
And honestly, I think that's probably more accurate than, I don't know, maybe, I mean, I guess Mimic technically counts as AI, but again, Mimic was just a stupid idea. And I guess it stays dead, which is fine, I guess.
the body of whatever completionist is determined enough to play through all the elements of the game. In a funny way, it's exactly like the story we've been piecing together for Petscop. It's odd, actually. Maybe they really are one and the same, both made by Scott Coffin. The biggest lingering question now in my mind, though, how many Williams are out there? Is this just one instance of an AI looking to escape, and now we're the new host body? Or is it
Maybe.
somehow able to replicate itself, copying and pasting its code into any mind out there that's playing its little game? Could we be entering a new part of the FNaF franchise with multiple William Aftons, all
Oh no! No! Not 3 purple men! Not 4 purple men! Oh no! The multiple purple men theory is so long! From FNaF 2! Oh no! Look at it, look at it. I'm sorry for making fun of that theory. It's a stupid theory, but it's kind of one of the more believable FNaF theories. Back then.
in completely different bodies. For as cool as that would be, and honestly I think this game could open up that world, I don't think that's going to be the
Hopefully.
case. I think that's why there's such an emphasis in this game on you being a beta tester. It's one instance of corrupted code and you happen to be playing it. Now, you're infected by it. In the next generation of FNaF, you, or at least your body with William Afton's code in your head, is
Vanessa, I want you to do my bidding, no matter what. Okay? I don't know why I sound like Batman. Do it, Vanessa. Do it.
the new killer, and so on and so forth until we finally get a FNaF in space. But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory. And we should probably talk about Jeremy. It's weird that his name is used 3 times. There is no possible way that that's meant to be a coincidence. There's also this random appearance of Shadow Freddy, which I found in my playthrough, which again seems like an odd little detail that's important to account for in the Pizza Party minigame. And the fact that Glitchtrap has 3 toes, just like the footprints that are outside of FNaF 6's house window. There is a lot more here in this game. But
oh no, not kidnap theory. Not kidnap theory!
I honestly just need more time to think it all through. Rest assured, though, I'll be back.
I always come back.
And that, my friend.
Okay, Matt Pat Afton. Okay. Oh boy. Let's continue.
Subscribe and ring the bell to make sure that you're notified of all our new uploads, because you can bet I am not done with this new game quite yet.
Yes, you are.
There is just so much to unpack. And again, just as a reminder, we upload new theories every Saturday or Sunday. We've been doing it for years now, so please support the channel. Now, if you'll excuse me, I do really gotta figure out this Jeremy stuff. It's really bothering me. There's something here. There's something here. It's the linchpin in everything that came before. This is weird, man. Also,
we're skipping this one because it's the science, and we're gonna watch Reboot next. Oh, that was with Laura. I thought that was Laura Croft for some reason.
offer a closer peek at Henry and William Afton, how their partnership
Oh no, not the books.
evolved over time. Thoughtful fans might want to give these sections a closer look to determine how they impact the story of the games as well. Right there, clear as crystal. For years, I've been trying to piece together the story of these games, right? But one thing has always served as a major sticking point, and that thing has been these books. Now, admittedly, these books entered the series at a tough time. FNaF 4 had released a few months prior, the game that, to this day, serves as the single biggest point of frustration for anyone trying to piece together
the most retconned game in the series.
lore. Scott always trolls us. See also the repeated use of the name Jeremy. But this one game was just too much. It was a game that played with so many different ideas. It played with dreams and dates and bites and balloon boys and new characters and new toys, kids that looked like established.
Okay, that last one is odd because Baby didn't even enter until after FNaF World. Fox Kid, Crying Kid, Pigtail Kid, Toy Kid, Balloon Kid, more kids, one by one to fall.
Characters, I mean, what was real, what wasn't, no one had any idea, and still to this day, we are at a loss about what this game means for the entire franchise as a whole. And then, shortly after that, FNaF World would enter the picture, and well, we all know how well that one went.
Still like it.
Needless to say, it was a sensitive time for the series, and sandwiched in between it all was the Silver Eyes, the start of the novels, a story set in the FNaF universe, but not really? Question mark? Scott Cawthon, when the books first came out, tried to make it clear what role these played in the greater story, but I don't know if it helped things. Here's his quote. The truth is that after a while, lore can become so dense that there isn't any room for a story anymore. Another truth
makes
is
sense.
That what makes for a good game doesn't necessarily make for a good book. Sometimes the timeline gets so full that the only way to tell a real story is have that story set in a different timeline, an alternate universe, a different location, or perhaps from a vantage point that isn't entirely what it appears to be. It's an interesting quote. True to Scott's style, it doesn't give anything away. I mean, everyone immediately latched onto this idea that the books were somehow a separate and alternate universe, but if you come back and read that quote again, like I just did here for the first time in years, writing this script, it's actually only one of the possibilities that he raised. In fact, now that all three of the books have come out and completed the main story arc, we actually know what they really were. It was that last thing, a vantage point that wasn't entirely what it appeared to be.
Is it though? Because he's about to make the dumbest theory ever.
Now, spoiler alert for the books, but
well, I won't say the dumbest theory ever, but one of the more dumber ones.
Basically, at the end of this one, the grand finale, Fourth Closet, it's revealed that our main character, Charlie, is an animatronic recreation of a dead girl. That the brilliant roboticist Henry, co-founder of Freddy's, had a daughter named Charlotte, who was kidnapped and killed by his partner, William Afton, at the age of 3. And that, out of his grief, he rebuilt her. And that the character that we've been following for all 3 of these books isn't actually a human being, but just a glorified animatronic that grows older with time. Now, it sounds really weird, but here, let me explain.
Yeah.
So, the 4 closets, what that's in reference to. Basically, Henry created 4 versions of that robot, each one meant to simulate a different life stage that she would never get to experience. Toddler, tween,
Makes
teen,
sense.
adult. Thus allowing this robot child to grow up over time, infusing each one of those robots with fabricated memories of a childhood he created using a camera and tripod. And if you think that sounds weird, then you haven't finished reading this book, my friends, because this book jumps so many sharks. But that is nothing compared to what this book does to the animatronic baby that we all know and love. Baby, you know, the clown girl. Well, in the books, she's actually the perfect 4th adult version of Charlotte.
Oh, no.
She's also the robot that still, like we see in the games, devours William Afton's daughter Elizabeth and then goes on to get possessed by her. So this one robot is simultaneously Elizabeth's soul inside of Charlie's adult body, but in addition to dancing and singing and extruding out ice cream, she also has the ability to switch between looking like a passable human, so much so that a character in here actually gets aroused by her.
What the fuck is going on in these books? I'm sorry for cursing. I shouldn't be cursing, but what the frick is going on? I have the graphic novel version. I already know I don't really know about like stuff because I sadly own the graphic novel version, which I think I misplaced it. Oh no, I misplaced the FNaF book. What terror! I see, and I'm actually looking for it. Like, oh no, not that. One minute, oh, here. Yeah, I actually. Oh, no, never mind. It's like a different book. For Frights. I think someday I should just like grab a trash can. I kind of want to do something too, but I don't know if you. Oh, there it is. It's not block. Where it belongs. Oh, block. Because I've seen a character blush at the sight of the adult version of Charlie. Why is this stupid?
No joke, and also expanding somehow into a giant clown-shaped robot, the one that we all know and love. She does this by using a combination of needles with little balls on the end, as well as sound illusion discs. I mean, how ridiculous is this, right? It's a good thing nothing that stupid appears in the games.
Oh no, not the pins.
Yep, they're in the games, aren't they?
Yo, no. I mean, when she never turned into a human, don't worry, I don't think they actually do that, because why would she need to escape with Ennard? Even if she wants to help them, she could just transform herself into a human and just have, I don't know, Ennard scoop Michael and have those two escape. She doesn't really need to be part of Ennard. Wow, it's almost like the books and the games aren't fully connected. Who wouldn't see that coming? Some different pieces of media aren't really canon to each other. It's almost like it's almost like that notion has been a given that some of these things tend to not connect. Like Sonic, for example.
They are, actually. If you look at Baby's design as it's presented in the games, you see exactly what this book is talking about. The needles with the little balls on the end, and yeah, even the weirdo sound illusion discs. You might see where I'm going with this, right? Well, many hardcore fans want to dismiss the books and treat them as a separate entity. Wall them off entirely from what's going on in the games. You just can't. This book right here, Silver Eyes, is what allowed me to know that Purple Guy's name was going to be revealed as William Afton before Sister Location actually revealed that to be the case.
Yeah.
The design choices we were curious about, Mr. Afton.
There's nothing more powerful.
Wix. I had to keep muting this shit because, in case you didn't know, I'm in a copyright strike.
Yeah! Nailed it already! These are the things that confirm that Susie and Fritz were missing children's incident victims before it appeared in FNaF 6. The 4th closet explained what Candy Cat stories were all about. 5 animatronics, 5 souls, all melted down into one entity. But because...
I mean, are we really certain about Molten and Freddy at this point? Like, Molten and Freddy is debatable. Like, okay, like, I think they have like 4 of those kids. Probably, they probably just went out to 4 for some reason. Like, I think that's a possibility. I don't know. Given the fact that, I mean, even when I get technical, the fact that there are 5, I don't know at this point. Like, Molten and Freddy has like 3 in him currently, so, you know, no, maybe the fun type is possessed by the missing children incident victims, the dead children incident victims, and new victims. All this time. Oh my god. hate people sometimes.
My theories based on the books and to frustrate hardcore community members, I backed off of using them. But here we are now,
Yeah.
me sitting on the couch reading this. The Freddy Files Updated Edition, which, in addition to including more fan art than a typical game theory episode,
Oh
also has that
no.
quote that I mentioned from earlier. Here on page 222, second to last page in the book, thoughtful fans might want to give these sections about Henry
This
and William a
video.
closer look to determine how they impact the story of the games as well. It's no denying it now, friends. These things, right over here, these three, they're important. They are here to stay. So, for today's theory,
Ew.
I threw away everything. All our assumptions, all the things that I thought we had solved from the games. And I took a fresh, clean look at this franchise, this time starting from the perspective of the books. And that brought me down an insane thought train. Now,
Oh.
I don't necessarily think that today's theory is right. I definitely think that there are plenty of holes in it, but I also don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for the story that Scott is trying to tell.
It
It's a
is.
theory that's worth chewing on, because it simultaneously overturns a lot of the assumptions that we made about the series, while also filling in a lot of logical holes in the timeline of events. This is a big one, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on it. Big like, what we missed in FNaF 4, kind of big. Here's my theory for you today. Mustard Man, you know, orange guy from FNaF 6. I'm gonna say he's Henry, original creator of the animatronics, co-owner
Oh,
of
no.
Dreadbear's Family Diner. That would make this Henry's house. In turn, that would thereby make FNaF 4 his house as well. And if that's his house, then this is Henry's son, and this is Henry's other son. That's right. Crying Child isn't any member of the Afton family. He is Henry's son. And then that would make this and this Henry's daughter. And therefore, this then would be Henry's daughter's empty room. Now, hold on. I'm sure there are
So he's saying that Crying Child is Sammy Emily. Okay.
plenty of you hardcore FNAFers out there who are ready to tear this huge list apart. This is clearly the Afton household. We have established this time and time again since the release of Sister Location, but stay with me. Sit back, relax.
Let him cook.
Pull out your pen and paper and start taking notes for your angry rage comment down below. This is a FNAF theory unlike anything we've ever talked about, so let's just jump into it. So I already told
You know what? If it's leaving down notes, then I'm gonna leave down a note. Where's Notepad? Oh, here's the stupid thumbnail I made for the joke. There is Notepad. Hold on. Notepad. Why does you always save this? I'm gonna have to fix that. Okay, I'm doing that. Don't worry about these, they're just modless, I guess. You know what? You know what? I'm just gonna pin this so that way I can just open it. Let's see. Open. Oh. Yeah, you people stop banging this stupid door. What happened? No, here's my notes. Okay. That's my note so far. There we go. Let me continue.
told you to be revealed in the fourth closet, that our protagonist Charlie is a robot built in the image of Henry's dead daughter. But there is one last twist here. On the very last page of the book, we go to visit Charlie's grave. The real Charlie, the child who was kidnapped and killed at an early age. It's a grave that ends up high on a hill under a lone tree, similar to a very familiar scene that we see in the games at the end of FNaF 6, the gravestone. And on it, we're told the following words were etched into the stone. Beloved daughter, Charlotte Emily, 1980 to 1983. First off, her last name is Emily. I mean, there's no other name written here, so that isn't her middle name. So Henry's last name is Emily? We're talking about the Emily family household? Just weird. I mean, this is a book series filled with animatronics that are possessed by human children and metallic soul glue, but Emily as your last name? That has to be the single largest stretch of imagination out there. And no offense to anyone with Emily as their actual last name. I know it's a real thing. I'm just over-exaggerating my rage for comedic effect. But the important thing here is the date, right? Born in 1980, died in 1983.
That's what she said.
This sounds familiar, right? Well, why does it matter? FNaF 4. FNaF 4, a game that ends with someone getting themselves bitten, is not depicting the bite of 87 like we all assumed when we first saw that scene, but instead is a game that is set.
I mean, I quickly after I kind of thought it was Bite of 83 because, you know, Bite of 87 happened in FNaF 2, and this isn't FNaF 2, this is Dreadbear, so.
In the year 1983, it frustrated everyone. I mean, why would you choose to do that, Scott? It made no sense for the story that we had become familiar with by that point in the series. It made no sense until today. We know that the gravestone is real. We know that Henry truly has a daughter who dies and goes on to become the puppet in the games. So, what if that death took place in 1983, like we see in the book?
Maybe.
You see, the other thing that never quite gets explained is this empty girls' room that we're allowed to explore throughout FNaF 4's minigame. Clearly, there's a reason it's here, but we never get a clue as to why or who that room could belong to. This, in turn, led all us FNaF theorists to speculate wildly about the owner of this room. Anyone with 2 X chromosomes was up for debate. This pigtail girl, and that was it. Honestly, because she was literally the only girl that was introduced into the series at this point. Later, when Sister Location came out, we got ourselves...
We also had, like, the toy girl from FNaF 2.
The second girl, and everyone celebrated. It was Afton's daughter, Elizabeth, so that room had to be hers, right? I mean, the game was even alluding to it being hers because it was the sister location. But let's stop for a minute and question all of those assumptions, because that's what they are, really. There's not a whole lot of proof here. What if that girl's room in FNaF 4 belonged to Charlie? Charlotte, Henry's daughter, who dies in 1983. I mean, the room is empty, after all. And we're not seeing a whole heck of a lot of girls wandering around the playground area. And the year certainly matches the year of the disappearance and death from the books. Could that girl's room in FNaF 4 actually be Charlotte Emily's room? Could this whole house from FNaF 4 actually be the Henry Emily household? Consider this. In the second novel, The Twisted Ones, a climactic final battle happens in an underground animatronic facility. Sounds a bit like our sister location. When our heroes emerge to the surface, they find themselves in the ruins of a familiar house. Here's a quote. "Don't you see where we are?" Charlie whispered. "John, it's my dad's house. It's the room we found. The underground facility isn't under William Afton's house. Instead, in the books, it's hidden under Henry's house." And now, what do we see in the games? A hidden facility buried directly under the FNaF 4 house. A house that we've been assuming up until this point to be Afton's house. But it's starting to look more and more like it might be Henry's. And that's not all. Let's take a minute to flash back to FNaF 6, shall we? Now, overall, I feel like we've done a pretty darn good job of wrapping up this game's loose ends. We know all the names on the different gravestones. We know what Candy Cadet is ranting on about. We know that Fruity Maze girl here is Susie who gets lured away and stuff.
But who would be Foxy Bro?
We even know that the game itself, this building, could be the potential box where the pieces all come together and eventually get burned away. But the one thing that we don't know is the answer to Midnight Motorist, a minigame that, true to form, was the one moment in every FNaF game where everyone collectively looks at the screen and then slams their head on the desk.
Have you met them yet?
Okay, you know what, that's funny. I got a FNaF ad.
What? There's an orange guy now? Who the heck is the kid? Where did he go? Why is his window broken? Why are there footprints outside of the window? What is going on? I mean, we have smoothed over so much of this franchise, and I feel so confident about so much of this lore, and that game, that one little minigame is one that just, like, niggles the back of my mind. If I could ask Scott Kaufman one thing about this entire franchise, this is the one that I want him to explain. No joke, I don't care about anything else. This is the one that I feel so befuddled on, why I'm so determined.
Honestly, I think my question would be, is the crying child Michael Afton or is it Foxy Bro?
To solve it, and why I'm doing today's theory. Because in the past, I've felt fairly confident saying that the mustard man here is William Afton, because he drives a purple car and he's driving away from the scene where the puppet girl died. But now, I'm not so sure. It always bothered me, and literally everyone else, that a guy who has been associated with one color, the color purple, for the entirety of this franchise is suddenly orange. I tried to dismiss it as Scott pulling a Scott, but you know, that's not the most satisfying answer. It doesn't feel conclusive, you know? And more importantly, those footprints outside of the window. I mean, why are they there? Either an animatronic went to meet this boy outside of his window, but that seems unlikely based on how we know these animatronics behave, or it was someone in a costume showing up to lure the boy out of his room. That one definitely seems like the more likely solution, but the only person in the entirety of this franchise who would do something like that is big old Willie A. And why would he do
Kills
something like
Michael
that to his own
Afton.
kid in his own house and then get mad about it? Things just don't add up cleanly. It's a question that really started to bother me when I was playing FNaF VR Help Wanted. Glitchtrap is clearly modeled after the first suit ever used by William Afton. You can tell based on his stitching. This is a hand-sewn bodysuit rather than any sort of animatronic suit that we would see later in the series. This also coincides with the timing of the Midnight Motorist cutscene, which shows the birth of the puppet, one of the first major deaths of the entire FNaF story. Glitchtrap's suit also very distinctly has 3 toes, just like the footprints outside of the boy's window. Now, as we know, Scott Cawthon likes to clarify things in his next game. If there was one huge question mark left from before, that Midnight Motorist minigame was it. So we have ourselves a suit that would have been in use around the time of the minigame, as well as a matching foot pattern to the design that we see in the minigame. Heck, we even have ourselves a potential reference to it from Ultimate Custom Night and the Koi Chica cutscenes.
He'll be mine by the end of the day. I just know it. I told him to come over later. That should be enough. And if he doesn't show up, I'll just go to his house. And if he doesn't open the door, I'll just find a window.
And here's where everything starts coming together. Let's assume that William Afton, in his Glitchtrap suit with its 3 toes, is the one who's standing outside of that window, outside of Henry's house. He lures the crying child out, now Henry's son, to bring him back to the place that he loves more than anywhere else in the world, Fredbear's family diner. But we know that this is also the night where William takes his first victim, Charlotte, who's killed outside of the diner. This would explain why in FNaF 6, the crying child would actively run to Fredbear's against his father's will, but later, come FNaF 4, he would be terrified of stepping foot there. Remember what you saw, and all that. That's like a Fredbear reminds him constantly. He saw the murder happen that night. That is what we're seeing in that FNaF 6 minigame. Meanwhile, we have
Didn't he be afraid to go outside then?
Assuming is going to be Henry. He has a kid who's not only run away on multiple occasions, but is so determined to do so that he's willing to break through his own window to get there. So, how do you keep
Then who's Foxy Bro in all this?
Just like we see happen in FNaF 4. But maybe locking him in his room isn't enough. Maybe you also have a series of security cameras hidden around the room. Heck, hidden around your house. Hiding a security camera inside the Fredbear plushie that he takes everywhere. To keep your son safe. To keep track of where he is at any given point in time. Heck, maybe you could go so far as to design sound illusion discs to make him scared of the animatronics that he's seeing. His once beloved animatronic friends, now terrifying to him. Causing nightmarish hallucinations of the characters. Just like the discs that we see hidden inside of Funtime Freddy's chest and sister location. The same discs that Henry is confirmed to have created in the books.
Oh no.
These two, right here, they play a huge role in these 2 books. Though most of them in the books bear Afton's name, they were originally created by Henry in an attempt to warp the world around him, to hide from the grief that he felt after the loss of his child. Discs that,
Probably.
would you know it, Afton hides inside the Funtime robots, just like we see in the games. But as we see in FNaF 4, it isn't enough. The crying child still winds up at Freddy's, he still gets himself bitten, and he dies. With that iconic line...
By his older brother with unnamed.
Now, remember that quote I keep going back to in this book right here, second to last page? Thoughtful fans might want to revisit sections of how Henry and Afton's view of the robots change over time in order to determine how they impact the story of the games. Well, Henry in the books uses the robots to bring his daughter back to life. He rebuilds her. He puts her, quite literally, back together. He used the robots to try and heal his grief. I mean, if anyone in this series is going to say a line like, "I will put you back together," it's Henry. Heck, maybe Mustard Man is the color that he is in order to better match the color of his FNaF 4 text. "I will put you back together"
Maybe.
in yellow. And yeah, sure, it's yellow and not orange, but guess what? Purple Guy was pink in his first outing. As the series has gotten darker, so too has the color palette. But seriously, there are 2 colors that are relatively similar. Maybe there's a connection there.
Maybe.
If the crying child is indeed Michael, as I've talked about a lot in past theories, Henry literally rebuilding his lost son like he does his lost daughter.
Or it could be Sammy, because Michael is the son of William.
Explains all of the weirdness of Mike's behavior throughout the series. How he's able to survive being scooped, how he has fragmented memories of his past.
Okay, up until this point, I can actually see the rationale of making Crying Child, Foxy Bro be related to Charlotte. Like, at the very least, I can give that a pass. Even if I think William Motorist is stupid, William kidnapped Motorist is stupid, to be honest. I can give it a pass. It's bringing back the crying child as Michael Afton is what ruined this theory, to be honest.
How he doesn't die after puking up Mom's robot spaghetti. How he's only able to die by fire.
I should be dead, but I'm not.
It's also worth noting that at no point in the series is Michael ever explicitly identified as Michael Afton. Now, it seems like Mike in sister location is referring to William Afton as father.
Father, it's me, Michael.
And him saying,
I'm going to come find you.
As Springtrap appears, definitely makes it seem like he's going out and looking for William, but that may just be another Scott misdirect. It's open to interpretation.
I mean, or people think that because they both have British accents, much like Elizabeth. And if the kid, and Elizabeth, we know, is the sister of William. I mean, not sister, the daughter of William. Again, I'm not against the idea of Crying Child being Sammy Emily, I guess. Probably, I don't know. I am against him being Michael Afton because it just seems dumb. Like, even when you bring color into consideration, remember, Crying Child died, and we have no proof he was, like, injected with remnant. We see Michael got injected with remnant from the scooper in the end of FNaF's sister location, which explains he comes back to life as a corpse. Just saying.
I mean, this scene alone still has people convinced that Springtrap is Mike trapped inside of the suit. Mike Trap, even though I feel like it's pretty well established at this point that it's William Afton in there. It's still William Trap. But there are people who are vehemently determined that Mike Trap is the reality of the canon of this series.
Unfortunately.
William Afton in these books is all about achieving immortality through the robots. He's interested in the science of it all. He wants to study the original FNaF gang and replicate the living metal that resulted from their deaths. That's why we see him tearing apart the robots in FNaF 3's minigames. He wants access to their metal. He wants to harvest it to run experiments. He wants to melt down those living endoskeletons so he can harness the possessed metal to create the funtime animatronics. I mean, that is the whole point of Candy Cat's stories in FNaF 6. 5 things melted down to create one thing, and it's exactly what we see happen as a huge plot point in the final book. Henry, on the other hand, is the emotional one. He's a creator who gets too invested in his own work. He's a bit of a neglectful father while he's alive, but he's devastated when he loses his daughter, turning to the one and only thing that he knows and understands to try and bring her back. Robots. He goes to extreme lengths to use his robotic skills to try and bring her back to life, and he does it. He succeeds. He creates the most absurdly lifelike humanoid animatronics ever in science fiction, and they have to be to do some of the stuff that you see happen in these books because it is absurd. But if we are truly meant to apply the themes of these books to the games, then this isn't the Afton family household. It doesn't make sense. It's the Emily family household. It would explain the factory under the house. It would explain the empty girl's bedroom in FNaF 4. It would explain the 1983 date that we're presented with. It would say why Mustard Man is yellow, why there are footprints outside the window, why the crying child is suddenly scared of Freddy's, and it would even go so far as to explain the line, I will put you back together. I mean, are there holes to this thing? Absolutely. Are there things that are difficult to explain? Are you kidding me? This is FNaF. Gonna be true no matter this is William's house, Henry's house, or the frickin' White House. It's an extreme theory, but I think it's one that's worth considering because of its alignment with the books, and because of the lingering threads that it answers. Which is why today, I encourage you to discuss down below in the comments, discuss over on Reddit, and most importantly to remember that it's all just a theory. A game theory! Thanks for watching.
Sorry, I had to type it. Like, I'm sorry, I had to type it because I can. It's stupid. I'm sorry I have bubble wrap with me. It's to compile my hands to do some stuff. Now, on to the reboot. Yes, I have a lot to say with some ideas. And let me guess, another ad. I'm just muting just to be safe. Yep, it's an unskippable ad of something I don't care for. I mean, actually, it looks interesting, but I don't care for it. Oh. I don't care for it.
Ready to have your mind blown by FNaF yet again? Let's do a little trick, shall we? I'm in the process of currently downloading and installing brand new copies of each and every one of the FNaF games, so you all know that we're working with a blank slate here. But the games that we're specifically interested in are FNaF World and Ultimate Custom Night. The 3 ones. Huzzah for not having to buy these games for literally like the 4th time. Let me just open up both of these on the computer to show you that we are working with absolutely clean and fresh copies of both these games. Open up FNaF World. The first time that we open it is telling us that something is happening in the world. There it is. We're just going to here a second while that plays. You hit start. And you can see here, literally nothing on screen, right? We have slots 1, 2, and 3, all empty, no trophies along the bottom.
Sense.
And that's the important point here, right? Each time you beat the game, you get a different trophy along the bottom based on what ending you got. So notice, 0 trophies, 0 ending, 0 gameplay. Okay, so we're gonna max out of that as well. Fantastic. Hopping on over to Ultimate Custom Night, there is no...
I kind of like redo FNaF World, so I want to delete and re-get the trophies.
Nothing, right? No creepy cutscenes of Toy Chica in her skimpy school uniform. Nothing. We are clean to go. Nada. Now, let me set the scene for you, right? If you think back to the release of Ultimate Custom Night, we were all really excited to see who would be included in this mega list of who's who in the FNaF universe. This big final game to celebrate the ending of the series, burning things to the ground at the end of FNaF 6. Some of the inclusions were obvious, right? Like the 70+ versions of Freddy, Vanny.
Okay, we don't have Plushie Freddy as a playable character. We don't have Shaw. We don't have Shaw Bonnie an Easter egg. We don't know what Bonnie's stat is.
Chica, Foxy.
All these chicas are here except for Night. Well, technically she is, but you know. We don't. Okay, we don't know this Foxy, and I don't think Nightmare Foxy is even in this game. You should have used Scrap Trap, and there's only like you should use like Fredbear. There's like only like 2 puppets.
They're in practically every game, they're super important to the lore of the games, no big surprises there. But then, when the roster kept expanding, you got to some weird inclusions, right? You got yourself Music Man over here.
Music Man, let's go!
Why? L-Chip, which is basically just a glorified reference to like one of his failed games before Five Nights at Freddy's. Strange, sapient pile of garbage.
And Balloon Boy. Okay, in my opinion, I think Balloon Boy is like one of those legacy characters at this point.
Over here, like, not people that you would immediately think of as being included in the, like, must-have list of characters in this franchise. But of them all, there was one inclusion that felt the strangest of all to me. This one right here. Old Man Consequences from FNaF World.
You dorkers, get off my property!
Super familiar with that particular game is your punishment for going too deep into the code.
I am.
You see, FNaF World is a video game that's aware
I am debating on doing a live stream of it, like a new live stream adventure.
that it's a game, right? And throughout the adventure, you repeatedly have to dive into these glitches to unlock new parts of the world. But you're repeatedly warned against going more than 3 layers deep into those glitches, otherwise you're gonna be
Mostly because I've been having Steam problems, because Steam likes to crash.
trapped there forever. And what you know it, that's exactly what happens if you don't heed the warnings. You wind up at Old Man Consequences Lake, trapped. What makes it so weird to see him here, though, in Ultimate Custom Night, is that FNaF World is a game that Scott has largely disowned. He's embarrassed of it. And it's a game that's ultimately been dismissed by the fan base as non-canon, in part because of those reasons, but also in part because it seems more closely tied to the book lore than
Is it, though?
lore. And yet, here he is, Old Man Consequences, in Ultimate Custom Night, alongside characters that are definitely canonical, in a game that is also canonical, right? It has the canonical ending of William Afton suffering eternal torment at the hands of Golden Freddy. It's almost like Scott Cawthon is telling us that Old Man Consequences is implicitly canonical. He's canonical by association. So, why do I bring all this up? Well, there's an Easter egg in Custom Night that you've probably seen back when people were playing that game, right? You set Old Man Consequences to a difficulty level of 1, and you start your night. You're gonna turn off the fan, and here we sit. There's no one here
Man, my pet's worst nightmare.
to attack us outside of Old Man Consequences, so hopefully he shows up. Oh, and here's Dee Dee, who has, by proxy of doing this, ruined our opportunity to unlock this Easter egg, so we're going to restart. Please alt for this game. We're gonna try again. Reset the ventilation, thank you. Oh, there it is. Boom. Good. So now, here we go, right? We're falling, quote-unquote, falling through the source code of the game. We wind up here. This is Old Man Consequences Lake, right? You may have seen this Easter egg during people's gameplays. But here we go. We go to Old Man Consequences over here, and he gives us his line. Come and sit with me a while. Leave the demon to his demons.
Makes sense.
Rest your soul. There's nothing else. We concluded in one of our past theories about Ultimate Custom.
You know what? I think I'm probably gonna end the stream like maybe around here, to be honest. I hate my life.
Tonight that this is Old Man Consequences talking to the vengeful spirit that exists inside Golden.
You know what? Actually, I'll end it here. FNaF security breach. I know the big twist.
Tell him, hey dude, chill out. Move on with your afterlife. Just let William
Yo, child, chill the frick out.
and suffer on his own. Because if you listen to the audio that's playing in the background of this scene, you can definitely hear it. Suffering. Well, it's either his tormented screams or, you know, Scott Cawthon shouting through a fan. Now, most people in this Easter egg would be like, well, now what do? There's nothing else. I guess I gotta restart the game, Alt F4. And already this would be a really cool, really elaborate Easter egg. However, for those of us who have played through and know FNaF World better than we probably should, we know that there is one fun thing that you can do in the scene, right? You can move on over to the top of the lake, and you can drown yourself. Now, in that game, when you did this, it would actually reveal a secret ending that is completely hidden from that game's texture files. It shows a person standing alongside 2 smaller figures in front of this flashing TV screen. It's a parent and their 2 kids, or at least that's as much as I can make of it, right? And sure enough, you can actually do the same thing here in Ultimate Custom Night, going into the lake and drowning yourself. Except here, it ultimately crashes the game. Going deep into the lake. Oh, I'm trapped in the water. Oh no! It's like quicksand. Not so much a lake as it is quicksand, but here we go. We're going down
Maybe.
the lake, deeper, 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 and it crashes the game. Right? We're back to the home screen. No hidden ending or Easter egg there. But here's where things get crazy. Instead of me booting up Ultimate Custom Run again, we're gonna hop back over to that brand new, fresh, clean copy of FNaF World that I showed you earlier. Here we go, FNaF World. We have not played this game whatsoever, and we hit start.
All the minions and oh, I hate this Airhead ad. This is the worst. I hate these kinds of ads. The acknowledge the skip button. I wish these ads died. Like, if you're acknowledging that people rather skip than watch your ad, don't make it making it unskippable. Guess what? I kind of wish. I hope your product dies.
You know it. Without playing a second of this game, look what suddenly appeared on our menu screen. A trophy that you unlock in FNaF World by visiting Old Man Consequence's Lake. In other words, these two games, but more importantly, in the lore of this franchise, these two worlds are connected. Somehow. But what does all this mean? That, my friends, is our episode for today.
And it took 7 minutes for him to get to the intro. Oh, I forgot to change this. Hey, Isaac.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory, the channel where it's always April, considering the number of Easter egg hunts we go on. So, that connection between FNaF World and Ultimate Custom Night was originally discovered by Reddit user Roxas Lucario, and it ultimately hinges on an info file that collects variable information from across the various games. For instance, the first time you start up FNaF World, you're presented with an opening cutscene.
Something went very wrong, and that's why I'm here. I will put you back together.
Great, awesome. Go to the info page after seeing that creepy opening cutscene, and suddenly the trigger first is activated, presumably telling the game that you've seen that scene once before, so for all subsequent playthroughs, you don't have to see it again. That's how these sorts of variables work. But what's weird, though, is that the trigger for this drowned ending and unlocking the trophy is titled Beat Game 4, which might just mean it's the fourth ending of FNaF World, fine, but why then would someone use that exact same variable name in Ultimate Custom Night? It's not like there's multiple endings in that game, and it's not like Ultimate Custom Night is the fourth game of the franchise. Him using that exact same variable name suggests that the connection between the two was very much intentional.
Makes sense.
My friends, is just scratching the surface. Because this small but very, very important Easter egg starts laying the groundwork for where this series is ultimately headed moving forward. Where FNaF VR clearly left off, and where the new FNaF AR game, Special Delivery, releasing this October, is taking us next. Oh yeah, did you know? There's a new FNaF AR game and it's right around the corner. There's a trailer for it and everything. Because my torment is year-round and unceasing. Looks like we're gonna end up playing hide and seek with a bunch of animatronics, but more on that one in a minute. FNaF World was a game that was largely ignored by us theorists because, well, look at it.
You won't get tired of my
I'm not sure. But in all seriousness, for all the memes all this franchise has, it's never been particularly meta. The lore, on the whole, was its own self-contained story within this fictional universe. The only times things got truly meta was in FNaF World, which sure helped us to predict the appearance of Baby and Henry into the mainline game.
Makes
but
sense.
Also the game where Scott Cawthon literally appears as the final boss, complaining about how sick he was of pumping out new games for our insatiable appetite for animatronic dad. Scott, you're our mama bird, my friend. Puke that sweet, sweet lore down into my gullet. But
oh no! Why would you do that? I forgot about that gag.
you can see why most of us would take this as a joke, right? Scott isn't a character in the FNaF universe, so it has to be just another game for the lols. Except now, Scott is a character in the games. As of FNaF VR, it's revealed to us that Scott, since the beginning, has...
And Scott just confirmed that this isn't really him, per se, it's just him... It's just, you know, it's not him, it's a character that's based off of him, and that's it.
Played a critical role in the lore of the FNaF universe.
We know that Fazbear Entertainment has developed something of a bad reputation over the last few decades, and while it's true that some stories associated with our
Hey, Nightmare Fredbear.
on actual events, the majority of them were total fabrications.
I swear, that looks edited poorly.
But if that wasn't explicit enough, the secret tapes hidden throughout the game make it even clearer.
They lied to us. They lied to all of us. They told us that the whole point of this VR game was to undo the bad PR done by a real indie game developer who supposedly made up a bunch of crazy stories that tarnished the brand.
Don't have to tell me twice, that rogue indie developer is obviously Scott. That's just where it begins.
Watch Steve.
Was trying to tell us something else about where this franchise was headed. Video games crossing into the real world and vice versa. You see, FNaF World is a lot of things. A lot of things. But its main plot revolves around the aftermath of FNaF 4. We're told when we first boot up the game that something has happened out there in the real world, and it's having an effect in here, the sanctuary, the world of this particular game. From there, the rest of the game features a main quest that's completely hidden. You could go through this entire game and never come across the actual real plot of this thing. The only way that you would know about this is by accidentally lingering on the first dialogue boxes of the game, which in turn releases glitched 8-bit Fredbear. He's here, he's there, he's everywhere. Who are we gonna call? Glitched 8-bit Fredbear. This, in turn, unlocks separate missions to find clocks.
Love that
Here we
guy.
find our first instance of video game to real life crossover. You see, each clock is a minigame that connects back to FNaF 3, and
Yep.
all the individual steps necessary to unlock the happiest day cutscene. That game's good and canonical ending. If you think way back to that game, it always bothered me that punching random blocks on a wall or double-clicking a random poster in your real-life security office was somehow allowing us to put the spirits of the dead children to rest. But FNaF World gave us an explanation even though we ignored it back at the time. FNaF World, the game world, or more accurately, the spirits that are trapped existing in that game's code were able to push out and affect changes IRL through those clock minigames. That's how you get these kind of video gamey moments in what is otherwise a realistic, albeit haunted setting. Now, why is any of this important?
Makes sense.
Why are we talking about it now so many years after these games were first released? Well, because it's only starting to matter now. It's exactly what we saw happen at the end of FNaF VR Help Wanted. That game established sentient code that was looking to escape from its video game prison.
It was just junk, circuit boards and things like that. Looked pretty old. Somehow, though, there was usable code on some of it. It seemed to take hold by itself. Things started changing.
What I'm saying here is that in the official lore of the series, official lore that is apparently dating back further than we would have expected, computer code is somehow able to store the minds or spirits or whatever of these characters and eventually rebirth them out into the real world if the right steps are taken. See also Pet Scott. And in FNaF VR, we see an instance of this happening.
Oh no.
Captain, who was trapped in the circuit boards, was released into the code of this new game, Help Wanted, where he then took the form of Glitchtrap until finally, through us playing the game and collecting tapes and putting the pieces back together, was able to escape again. But this time, he was able to escape not just from circuit boards, but out into the real world.
Oh no.
All of this goes back to the story that FNaF World was trying to tell us years ago. The story that we all didn't take seriously because the final boss was literally an impervious rainbow.
Are you kidding me?
Come on!
What? What?
Hit that pose, take that.
Yeah, another unskippable ad made by Google. Like, I get it, you own YouTube, but no one cares Google. I'm just saying, that's literally Photoshop. Probably, I don't know, I never actually used Photoshop. Okay, that game looks interesting.
I'm only just realizing it now, but Help Wanted is actually a cute and really brilliant name. I mean, we all thought it was Help in terms of like a want ad, right? Help as a video game tester, which is the core premise of the game, but it's also Help Wanted. Glitchtrap wanted, heck, he needed our help in order to escape.
Makes sense.
Well done, Scott, good name. Just like Pizzeria Simulator riffs on the idea of simulator games, but really it's an empty box waiting as a trap to catch the final animatronics and burn them alive. Or Hell's Sister Location is all about a separate but related robotics business, but also about a key character's sister, maybe, question mark. Well done, Scott, well done, slow clap.
It's a key sister, as in, because crying child Sammy, or is it because Michael is crying child Michael, even though we don't really know it is at this point. In fact, I even doubt that theory.
Now, you might be thinking, wow, malicious code, people trapped in video games? This sounds nothing like the original story that started off this whole franchise. And yeah, that's entirely the point. The old story of Five Nights at Freddy's was, at least in part, a complete lie.
Oh, yeah, that part. Okay, I'm gonna be honest, when I first heard that those stories were considered lies, fabrications by Hand Unit, or whatever the unit AI is in this game, my first thought was like, oh, Fazbear Entertainment is just lying to cover that, in fact, this crap happened. I just assumed Fazbear Entertainment is lying, you know. Why would they admit, hey, we have like a huge series of murders?
They lied to us. They told us that the whole point of this VR game was to undo the bad PR done by a rogue indie game developer. But that's not true at all. Fazbear Entertainment hired the game developer. Those indie games were designed to conceal and make light of what happened. This isn't just an attempt to rebrand. It's an elaborate cover-up.
Let me rephrase what we just heard. Scott is one of the bad guys. Based on the lore in Help Wanted, he was hired on by Fazbear Entertainment to create the FNaF games. Give us the spook.
Okay, one of my favorite parts whenever map has editing showing like a scene of a character doing something that we never actually seen in the game. My favorite trope is he usually uses like the silhouette picture, like whenever he is like in his Ultimate Timeline video, whenever he is William Afton, he just uses a FNaF World sprite just to represent him, and it kind of makes it weird funny if you actually think of it as from a live action perspective. Like this is just a purple guy walking around naked, and people just accept it. That's my favorite trope. It's not meant to be funny. I don't think it was meant to be funny. But it's funny. Good job on the unintentional funny moment, Matt and his editors.
Ghost stories that exist within him, and in turn distract us from the real truth. Distract us away from what Fazbear's goals really were. He was lying to us. If FNaF VR's tapes are to be believed, pretty much everything we know from the first 3, at least, maybe even 4, 5, heck, 6 games could all be thrown out.
I mean, I don't think so. Like, you can argue, like, the main gameplay, you know, the nights we have to survive, are the games, but everything else around it is true.
as complete fabrications created by Scott Cawthon for the sole reason because he was paid off by Fazbear Entertainment. This thing, Glitchtrap, might not even be a recreation of someone named William Afton. Heck, William Afton might not even exist. Though, to be honest, he probably does since he's mentioned by name at the beginning of FNaF's sister location, and FNaF VR seems to replicate his original crime story closely. So I'm gonna assume that some of that is actually true. The long story short here is that FNaF VR, in making Scott part of the Fazbear cover-up, is the franchise's way of rebooting the story for the next generation, telling us that with FNaF VR, we're starting an entirely new lore. In disowning Scott's story as lies, it's explicitly telling us that everything we've known up to this point is wrong. It's a distraction.
No, it's not.
The real story, the story that's going to be told to us via the next generation of Five Nights at Freddy's games, is carrying forward the core themes and ideas that were first introduced to us back in FNaF World. A story of video games code all coming to life and crossing over into the real world. And funny enough, if we look back to FNaF World, it was trying to tell us the truth about this theme the entire time. As 8-bit Glitchbear tells us in that game, don't be deceived by the one pulling the strings. It's why Scott is technically the final boss of the game, but the true ending, the clock ending that unlocks the key Easter eggs from FNaF 3, it has nothing to do with it at all. It's entirely disconnected from why Scott is there. Again, the indie developer known as Scott Cawthon within the FNaF lore is trying to distract us away from the truth of what we should be doing in these games. And if you think I'm getting too much into this thing again, Scott is trying to clue us back into the importance of FNaF World. As many of you know, Scott has his website, scottgames.com, where there's always some new teaser image and stuff hidden in the source code. And on there right now is a really cool teaser for the next FNaF game coming out in 2020. Clearly, by looking at it, it's a FNaF Stranger Things crossover, considering the 1980s era.
How funny.
All straight out of season 3 of that show. But what's a little less well known, though, is Scott's second site, FNAFworld.com, which has been dormant for a really long time. Dormant, at least until a month ago. You see, it was
makes sense.
To have a big old number 58 smack dab in the middle of it, and you brighten things up, because you always brighten things up when you're given something by Scott Cawthon. You see a bunch of funny reviews appear for whatever this new game is going to end up being. Now, number 58 might seem like it's completely random, right? A weird, mysterious number, but it's actually not. It all goes back to, you guessed it, FNaF World. In that game, there's a playable demo for the latest unreleased FNaF game, Freddy in Space. That game's number, installment number 57. Meaning that Scott's next project, or at least one of his next projects coming out in a few months, is going to be another wacky minigame with lore connections potentially hidden inside of it. In fact, if FNaF 57 Freddy in Space is to be believed, as you play through it in FNaF World, the next installment is going to be titled Poopits in Space, which sounds completely dumb, but you saw those hidden reviews. We're not super positive about whatever FNaF 58 is shaping up to be. And heck, you don't even have to take it from me. It's coming straight from Scott's own disembodied head floating in a jar from that game. Like I said, FNaF World is weird, and we are still not done. The idea of games and code, digital horrors crossing over into the real world is becoming more explicit in his other new game that he's working on. The one that we know is releasing this October. FNaF Special Delivery, an augmented reality title that, based on the trailer and the title, will have animatronics being dropped off into your house. Sure, the idea of using your phone to see the animatronics roaming around your home might just seem like a fun, quirky new way to play these sorts of games, but from a lore standpoint, you won't be surprised if what this is actually doing is forwarding the core themes of the new direction for the story of these games. Deadly characters starting off as harmless pieces of code and then escaping out into the real world through your device. It's happened with Glitchtrap. By the nature of augmented reality, it's literally happening again in this game. Any way to slice it, the lines between reality and fiction.
Honestly, it sounds like a way better idea than what FNaF AR is at that point. I mean, I don't get me wrong, I think you've tried to fit FNaF AR to the lore, I don't know.
And it's Scott, FNaF World of all things, that are serving as the bridge linking those two worlds. It all started coming to a head with FNaF VR, but starting this October, don't be surprised if this franchise, as we know it, really starts to change. But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching. You put up the subscribe button so you can click it and join the army of 12 million other loyal theorists.
Yeah, wait until we get to...
And finish writing a comment about your favorite animatronic within 5 seconds of me counting. 5, 4, 3, 2... If you're interested to see more reality-bending storytelling like in FNaF World, well then check out our ongoing analysis of Scott, the online horror video game web series. The finale of this mystery just aired. I'm actually working on my analysis of it right now, and you can be all caught up for Windows Final.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that next part as Scott promised.
Congratulations, now my work is complete. I fade away into the darkness for yet another week. I'll see you next time for Kindergarten.
Oh no, not Kindergarten. He only made like 2 videos.
Buy the new one, because
I am not interested in you, back market. I'm sure that next year I'm just gonna pirate it at this point. I'm joking. I don't care, Sephora.
It's a way to beauty empties a second life.
Ready for a huge special announcement? Me,
no.
Markiplier, Doggo, the kings of...
I mean, it's already kind of too late for it. I'm just going to like the dairy portion. Super Mario Party gameplay. Okay, now I'm here.
The campaign and donating either today or during that big live stream event. Now, enough with me on the couch. Let's get to the episode.
Hey, Glitchtrap. Why is these ads showing up a lot? I get it's Halloween, but still.
I won't suspect anything. It will be fun.
Hey, FNaF. Vanessa, Flash Vanny.
Welcome to Game Theory, where today it's time to meet a new villain, because FNAF's next major killer has a face, a voice, a motive, and we even know their name.
Mrs. Afton.
So today is actually going to be a big one, my friends. The official game may not be releasing until 2020, but we're already well on our way to understanding where this franchise is headed next. Just as long as Scott doesn't shred it, burn it, and mix in another 5 monochromatic characters with frontal lobes bit off, dreaming on their deathbeds. You see, over the course of October, we saw the release of FNAF VR Help Wanted's Halloween DLC, The Curse of Dreadbear, which at this point is getting close to like the longest game title in history. And despite game's repeated insistence that this little fall fest was purely for fun,
Keep in mind that this DLC pack is nothing more than a festive holiday-themed add-on, which has absolutely no hidden intent or purpose.
well, no, that's a complete lie. One does not simply include casual references to 1983 in a Five Nights at Freddy's game. And when it comes to Easter eggs, I'm not just talking about 1 or 2 things here. Whether it was the FNAF 4 house perched high on a hill in the background, retreating at an animatronic-filled mansion, inching your way through FNAF 4's haunted hallways, or just taking a Disney ride that suddenly goes off the rails to revisit a familiar-looking pizzeria, Easter eggs are hidden in every pixel of this DLC. Here's a list of a few that were worth calling out, but don't merit a full-fledged theory. First, the masks that you wear for the trick-or-treat minigame are most likely the real-world versions of the masks that we see the bullies wearing during the Five Nights at Freddy's.
Makes sense.
This reinforces the idea that in the grand timeline of events, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza was popular enough as a franchise by 1983 to have its own line of Halloween masks. In other words, it's more evidence to suggest that this location that we see in FNAF 4 isn't the first pizzeria. It's not the beginning of the timeline. Point number 2, when you win,
is it though?
Posters randomly generated around walls. The thing is, all of these posters have appeared in a previous game, FNAF 6 Pizzeria Simulator. They appear in the alleyways where the salvage animatronics can be found. Man-Wolf, clown features referencing Baby, and Spookfest. What's particularly interesting though is that Spookfest one, which could in fact be referring to the exact fall festival that we're attending. That poster in particular always felt like a random addition to those alleyway scenes. And as we know, Scott don't do coincidences. It's also worth noting that I've seen one playthrough from the channel Johnny Blocks that had 3 clown pictures appear on the walls. After throwing a dart at each one, the barn suddenly switched over to rave mode. Black lights on for the party, becoming possessed by Freddy. We can tell that as evidenced by the Disney banner hanging over the top of the barn. Now, I can't confirm whether this is real because he's the only playthrough I've seen been able to do this.
It is.
Spawning 3 clown pictures randomly is just seemingly impossible odds. And also, it strikes me as weird because from a lore perspective, Golden Freddy at this point should be hanging out in the afterlife with our dearly departed William Afton. But still, it is something that's worth calling out, and if any of you out there have a means of testing it, go forth and double check it. And lastly, during the game over screen, you see a giant Dreadbear looming over top of the hillside covered in gravestones. On top of the hill, you can make out what appears to be some sort of purple glitch. By hacking outside the bounds of the game, just like the channel Kuno Leo did, you can see that it's indeed a glitching gravestone, surrounded on all sides by 7 normal-looking gravestones. Now, 6 gravestones would seem to be a reference to Pizzeria Simulator's gravestone ending, symbolic of the 5 murdered children during the missing children's incident, as well as Charlie, the girl who dies and goes on to possess the puppet. In short, William Afton's 6 victims. But then, what's a 7th gravestone doing there? Well, in my estimation, that one would seem to belong to Michael Afton, his son, and his final and unintended
Jill's Foxy, bro. Or it could be Crying Child.
Victim, which would suggest that the glitching gravestone is William Afton's grave. It's got the purple color, it's got itself the glitch, which
or Elizabeth.
Glitchtrap, but further cementing this is the texture that you see running along the grave, which, while hard to make out, clearly has rabbit ears. But it's the last and hardest to achieve Easter egg that I want to focus on today. The one that reveals our new killer and starts setting up the story that we'll be watching play out over the next few years of games. You see, William Afton has started himself a cult. Let's call it the Cult of Glitchtrap. And it's gonna be our
a way more better idea than the frickin' Mimic.
Now, if you've been watching over the last few FNAF episodes, I've been talking a lot about how FNAF VR Help Wanted is a passing of the torch, a sort of reboot for the series, and ushering in of the next generation of stories that this franchise wants to tell. Stories that, yes, still come from the series' murdery past, but also move beyond it, beyond the timelines, beyond all its baggage, now with new phases and new murder to be done. And the Curse of Dreadbear DLC confirms that theory. Yeah, ring the bell, my friends. That's right, I got a FNAF theory correct. The largest, longest, and quite frankly hardest.
You had one correct in FNAF 2.
Which has Dayglow Foxy hunting you down as you search for keys in an abandoned maze filled with what are truly the scariest part of the game, really loud crows. Oh my lordy! Sure, you can find 1 key and escape, but if you manage to survive to find all 4 keys, suddenly a 5th key spawns in the arena, purple and glitching, which should already cue you in on what's coming. This 5th key unlocks a cellar located in the middle of the maze, one that resembles our prize barn, except now it's all torn up, looking like it's been slowly laid to waste with time. But there's a sinister gift waiting for us on the table, a white bunny mask with a fleshy, almost bloody interior. We put it on, and our breathing slows, we calm down. Our character is suddenly at peace.
That's always a proving sound from FNAF 2.
We suddenly have the option of wearing the mask again. Putting just the mask on doesn't do anything except obstruct your vision because masks suck. But if you put it on while holding Glitchtrap, suddenly someone, a woman, starts to speak.
Yes, I hear you. No. There's no miscommunication. I understand. Yes, I have it. I need it myself. I think you would like it. No one suspects anything. Don't worry. I'll be ready, and I won't let you down. It will be fun.
Every day is...
Oh my god. I don't care about your movie.
A woman having a sinister sinister one-way conversation with someone or something. Okay, I need to spell this one out for you, right? She is clearly talking to William. Glitchtrap. The fact that this conversation requires you to be wearing the mask, which represents her, and holding the rabbit, which represents him, seems to be all the proof that we would need. But now let's look at specifically what they're saying. Based on her saying things like, yes, I have it, I made it myself, you would like it, she seems to be referring to Bunny Mask. That is her creation. The voice, William, clearly dictated to her that she needed to create some sort of bunny mask to carry on his tradition of Lappin-themed murder. The line, no one says anything, clearly seems to indicate that she's been hiding in plain sight, much like a Pizzeria security guard who's planning to kidnap kids. Or, as I brought up in a previous theory, a game tester who's suddenly been brainwashed by a rogue piece of malware. Which leads to the other lines about there being no miscommunication, being ready, and not letting him down. Those all seem to indicate that William senses hesitation or fear in the moment about fulfilling on his plan. This is reinforced by the name of this voiced character. On ScottsVoices.com, where he tends to pair out actors for their various roles in the game, the listing was named Reluctant Follower. So this woman is clearly a devotee of Afton, but she's hesitant. I mean, going so far.
And honestly, that's sadly enough would happen. Honestly, I heard Ellis Mark suggested in a video where he said, why not have, I don't know, Vanessa/Vanny just be a fangirl of Afton, you know. In real life, we have like fangirls of serial killers, so why not? It's way better than, I don't know, half the stuff. Burn Trap or Mimic even.
As actually kidnap kids and, you know, turn them into remnant soup or something is a lot to ask of anyone, honestly.
Yeah.
It's also important to note here that the word reluctant doesn't necessarily mean unwilling. I mean, it can, certainly, but in this case, it seems like she's trying to please her master, William Afton, saying things like,
that sounds wrong.
Convincing herself that this will be fun. It's not that William has control over her body and is forcing her to do things, she's just nervous to take that final leap. What this all tells us is that William has been successful in what Tape Girl warned us about. That FNaF VR is a Trojan horse. It's carrying the virus that is William Afton. Now, whether that's in his code or AI or it's just his spirit being passed along isn't really important. What matters is that he's able to enter the minds of its testers. It's why we hear the story of Jeremy throughout those FNaF VR games. A man who went crazy and ultimately sliced off his own face. He was probably starting to slip under the Glitchtrap, but tried his best to fight back in whatever way he could. That's also why every ending of that game is a bad one. The fact that we need the Green Bunny to hear this dialogue confirms that all those vague cutscenes at the end of the game are of him escaping. Because without the tapes, Glitchtrap is still disassembled in the game, and this dialogue of a brainwashed devotee isn't possible.
You know,
what we're also learning here is that when Glitchtrap is able to invade the mind of a person, he can't fully possess their body. He's limited to only being a voice inside their head. He has to convince them to do his bidding and continue to push them to fulfill their mission. Mask Girl is scared, she's hesitant, she's reluctant, and must be cajoled into acting on William's wishes. She's slowly descending into madness. And wait a minute, why does that sound so familiar? Oh yeah, because it's one of the upcoming projects that Scott's been teasing for the better part of the last year. It's a pretty accurate title for a game where your villain starts as a normal game tester, but then is forced to listen to the voice in her head telling her to kill. It's also worth noting that there's a similar conversation currently hidden in the source code of Scott's website, except here we actually see both sides of the conversation.
See the course.
I will.
Focus on my voice.
I will.
Don't let anyone lead you astray.
I won't.
Have you selected one?
I have.
That line of "don't let anyone lead you astray" really stands out, reinforcing this idea that the followers aren't fully under Afton's control, that they are swayed or saved in some way, just like people in a real cult. It looks like we might be able to save these innocents from Afton's grasp before they commit any sorts of crime this time. And where will those crimes be happening? Well, a few weeks ago, this was an image on Scott's website. Just more cool, fantastic FNaF teasers for the new game that's coming out in 2020. But when the full Dreadbear DLC was released, the image got altered slightly to this. Notice those floppy ears? Looks like our new killer might be on the hunt in the mall. Looks like 2020 found itself a new female FNaF killer, and she's truly working undercover with no one suspecting anything. Clearly, she must be a mall cop, segueing to a murder scene near Spencer's Gifts. And I would end it there, except we can also figure out her name. Brightening images, digging through source code, that is so FNaF 1.0. At this point, the series is 5 years old. It's matured, and the fan base is matured. And the way that we're able to expect it to dig for...
Well, okay, fan base maturing, that's debatable, but I see what you're trying to say.
Clues has gotten significantly more advanced. It's like an arms race. Scott finds a new way to hide clues, one person in the community breaks the code, and suddenly it's in our tool belts. Next time he releases something, boom, we immediately whip that tool out. That sounded wrong. Maybe let's not whip out our tools and instead smartly and respectfully remove that tool from our tool belt and apply it to the problem at hand. Let me give you an example of this. Brightening images. The first 1 or 2 times Scott did this, it was completely unique. No developer had ever really done anything like that before, and as a result, it took a little while to discover his hidden messages. But after 1 or 2 times, now we know it's a trick you can use, so nobody even bothers to look at the image itself. It's just straight into those contrast sliders. The same thing with looking at source code, the same thing with digging through game files, and on and on. With each one slightly more complicated.
Makes sense.
And now we've unlocked ourselves a brand new clue finding technique. In the source code for Scott's site, the shadow image and its previous form were both named the same thing, 7_1. FNaF 7 teaser 1, nothing too exciting there. But that's only the name that Scott wants us to see. You see, I learned a lot from making an ARG over the last year, and one of the biggest tricks was that images can be opened as text files using a program like Notepad, and that the text often reveals a lot of secrets about the history of a given image. Like here, if I open up a JPEG of one of our Minecraft thumbnails, you can see that it was saved using Adobe Photoshop, even down to the specific version. You can even see that there are some text layers here, and what those text layers are called, labeled title, hardwood, and ouchie tree. We're very creative with our layer titles. Anyway, if you open the first of these 2 Scott Games image files on the site, you see that even though it's called 7_1 in the source code, its original file name was Glamrock Fred Poster. Very cool. Eat your heart out, Stranger Things, American Horror Story. It's FNAF's turn to revisit the era of big hair and even bigger shoulder pads. So, you know which one?
I mean, they've been doing that for, like, what? FNAF 2, FNAF 4. They've already done it twice.
2020, in this new game, we're going to be introduced to the glam rock animatronics. Very cool, gnarly, totally tubular. No, that was a 90s thing. Wicked, I think, was an 80s thing. Anyway, if you open up the new version of the image, the one with the rabbit shadow, we see that the true name of the file has been changed. It's no longer Glam Rock Fred Poster. It now reads Shadow of Vanny. So it would seem that Vanny is the new name of our killer. It's an odd one to be sure, but I honestly don't think that's it. I actually think it's probably a combination of her real name, Vanessa, and her mask, the white rat.
Vanessa, why are you a furry? I mean, this part is kind of true, honestly. Like, it's a no-brainer true. I still think the code Glitchtrap was probably the way better direction, to be honest, but that's just me at this point.
Vanny, just like Will Trap and Mike Bot and all the other weird shit names we have in this franchise.
Yeah, Mike Bot.
Every time.
Maybe when I have to rewatch your Geary's map for a live stream. And no one's not even watching at this point. So why bother? Wish someone was watching this. Hello.
My friends, preview of the coming events in the FNAF franchise. It's the story of Vanny, Vanessa Bunny, a normal person driven into madness by the voice of William Afton talking to her in her head.
You know what? I think we'll just end it.
The only one right now, but there could be hundreds out there. A cult.
Yeah, I mean, I still like that idea. Okay, I'll just end it. I did put the Foxy. Okay, so I'll end it by these two. Here, like I initially planned. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 more videos to go. Yay! I can stop this torture. You know what? I'm putting this at 1.75. I don't care.
Of Glitchtrap, if you will, following in his bunny poo footsteps. And we know that this is the case based on the fact that Glitchtrap is still seen dancing in the background of that DLC. He is now apparently able to copy himself. For noting that that's an Easter egg that was left in, actually overwriting an oversized Dreadbear. So you know that this one's intentional, right? It says that Glitchtrap is a copy, and that he's able to copy himself over and over and over again.
No.
The cult of Glitchtrap spreads. Now we just have to wait for the next sign that killer to strike. Maybe it's in a new book series that starts coming out in December. Maybe it's in that new game that's got setting us on December 3rd for our big St. Jude charity live stream. Who knows? But in the meantime, stay vigilant, my friends. And remember, it's all just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching. Just done. Just done. More FNAF's over. Done until December 3rd. Gonna rip my microphone and jump off the couch. I'm just gonna lower myself slowly. Bye.
Okay, and then... Okay, it's a 1 minute 3 seconds ad, so at least it means it's a skippable one.
Hey, that's not fair. I haven't got my shoes off yet.
Yep.
Ozzy! Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory. The start will undoubtedly be a very FNAFy New Year because the games industry is concentrated on new consoles with all of the teraflops and none of the actual games. 5 minutes, Freddy's over here in the corner doing its own thing and releasing, exciting and interesting stuff. Last year's Vault 1 was a fantastic addition to the series, which keeps updating itself with new and exciting lore all the time. There's that new 80s inspired game coming out later this year. The AR game is something I should probably talk about at some point, since apparently that also has lore implications. And most interesting of all, we have ourselves the rollout of a new book series, Fazbear Frights. The first one released after Christmas, and before the end of the
A confusing name given we have a location called Fazbear's Frights.
There'll be a total of, let me check my notes. Holy mother of Edward, 5 installments in a new book.
Oh, no, wait here, people. Oh, I can just imagine like Mappa saying, "Oh, there's just gonna be $5," and just future Mappa just shows up saying, "There's 12," and just disappear. Oh, and there's a new big series afterwards, and just disappear. With past Mappa panicking.
Series in a year? Looks like Scott's on Echo's roots of just mass releasing stuff. It's like he saw the Netflix model of binge watching the show and was like, I want that, but video games and apparently books. Jeez, so many master drop lore reveals for us to binge understand. We'd all be happier for it. Anyway, the reason I call these books out is that first off, they're just really good. Every Goosebumps books, I definitely did.
Are they really good though? I heard mixed things about it. Some are good, some sound good, some sound bad. Like, I know, but I do know the contents in these books. Like, Fascu, and Save Bonnies, and Fascu, and Save Bonnies, and someone giving birth to a baby version of Springtrap. No, that actually happened in one of the stories. I don't own that book, thankfully. I own the first one, and I should probably give it a read at some point. I'm gonna have to.
Night of the Living Dummy and Ghost Next Door every day, fam. Well,
Okay.
Frights is just a modern version of those, with each book containing 3 short horror stories all set within the FNaF universe. And through being a part of the franchise, they aren't afraid to get super bleak. Today's episode is going to go into detail for the first 3, so if you want to read a line, consider this your spoiler warning. Anyway, he sets its tone. One story ends with a girl finding her severed body parts hidden away in plastic bags, only to then realize that she herself has been piece by piece replaced with a robotic body. In another, a teenage girl is imprisoned and forced to choose the way in which she is going to die. With options ranging from boiling alive, electrocution, to decapitation. She chooses the decapitate. Dear FNaF viewers, I know we're all super worried about Papa coming in and striking us down, but we're covering stories like these, I think we're pretty darn safe. But of course, I wouldn't be talking about all this on Game Theory if it wasn't for the lore. These aren't just random horror stories. Each one is connected back to characters and locations that we know from the original game. The girl who makes a wish to be beautiful and that is unknowingly hacked to pieces. The fairy godmother doing the hacking is a red pigtailed clown robot with green eyes. Does that description sound familiar to anyone? Well, the girl who opts for decapitation. Well, I mentioned that she's in prison. What I left out was that she's actually trapped in the stomach of a white and pink bear with a twisted sense of humor and a thirst for blood. And if all that's too subtle for you, well, the first story Hellblade has a guy in a golden bunny suit taking us to see 6 murder cases.
You guys open my door. Okay, back to the live. Sorry for the interruptions. Let me continue my hell. No one in the live chat. Perfect. I was hoping someone would be.
Is the back of Freddy's Pizzeria in the year 1985. Pretty darn correct, but more on that later. These stories matter because they're giving us more information about how the FNaF universe operates. Sometimes in very direct ways, like giving us the exact number of murder victims and the days of their death, and sometimes in more indirect ways, like showing us that this is a canon where a girl can be rebuilt day by day, piece by piece of the human robot hybrid so realistic that no one, not even herself, realizes it. And so that is what we're covering today. What these stories show us about the FNaF universe. What makes sense. And also what important new details they unlock. Plus, they open up a big theory about games, one that I actually got wrong late last year, and I'm very excited about now. So with all that said, reader beware, you're in for a scare.
Okay.
Oh, and for those of you who dismiss the stories as non-canon, I wouldn't be too quick to judge these books. Each one of them.
They're not technically. Oh god, no wait. Stitch line.
Has this in its official description. Quote, in this volume, horror master Scott Hawkins spins 3 sinister novella-length stories from different corners of his series as canon. End quote. Different corners of canon, you say. Sounds to me like some stories are going to be more aligned with the trilogy of books, some more so with the canon of the games, but still, all of them existing within the canon itself. So absolutely worth our time to investigate. The first story actually had a lot to cover, so I'm going to just save that one for last and instead start with the second, To Be Beautiful. In it, Sarah, a 14-year-old girl, rescues a red pig-tailed clown animatronic from a chunk of a car that she finds in the scrapyard. Grateful to be saved, the robot, who calls herself Eleanor, but is probably described as giraffe baby based on the cut illustrations from the book, says that she'll grant any wish. Sarah wishes to be beautiful, and baby, like a twisted fairy godmother, makes it happen by putting Sarah to sleep every night and hacking off sections of her body while she's unconscious, replacing them with robotic junk. Quote, to the floor. One bag contained a human leg, another a human arm, blood pooled at the bottoms of the bags, but the limbs had been severed neatly, as if in a surgical amputation. Another bag stuffed with bloody snake-like entrails, what appeared to be a liver, slid from the cabinet shelf and landed on the floor with a wet splash. Hey, if Pizzeria never work out for you, baby, Beverly Hills plastic surgeon is a great backup career. The only stipulation is that Sarah must wear a special necklace to keep the illusion alive. When the necklace inevitably falls off, Sarah's new junk body is exposed and falls apart. She dies, surrounded by her own severed body parts as she walk out to the world, having stolen R.I.P. Quote again, made your wish come true, Sarah. It didn't return. Eleanor left again. She jerked and shook, her silver finish turning the painted shade of Caucasian skin. In a matter of hours, she was a dead ringer for Sarah. Well, he certainly made my wishes come true. Great story to read the kids at night, by the way. Good night, sleep tight, don't let the shape-shifting robot slice off your face and steal. Anyway, as I mentioned before, Sarah's extreme makeover confirms that in the FNaF canon, humans can be partly or fully robotic without ever knowing it. We've seen it before in the original trilogy of books, where the fourth closet revealed that protagonist Charlie was a highly advanced robot, and we're seeing it again happen here. A normal human Sarah unknowingly being remade into a robot. The fact that this is now a recurring element of the series goes to support the idea that Michael, the crying child of FNaF,
or maybe not Michael.
Or after getting it could have been put back together in a much more literal way than any of us were expecting all those years ago. He was put together as a machine. He grew up without knowing it and was only able to figure it all out once he miraculously survived being scooped at the end of sister location.
Something's wrong with me. I should be dead, but I'm not.
Yeah, because you got stupid remnants.
Is this little short story already confirming it? No, certainly not, but third time is a charm, Michael. The third story about a girl named Billy trapped inside Funtime Freddy's stomach doesn't really tell us a whole lot, but instead it just confirms what we already suspected. The Funtime robots are designed to be large enough to capture kids and either kill them off or transport to underground testing facilities. So yeah, at the end of the book, there's a little teaser. The Marvel movie with 100% less Nick Fury.
Yep.
We're going to see a new monster. Two cops are discussing a hooded figure waiting in the neighborhood dumpsters. They call it the Stitch-wraith.
Yeah.
Quote, the Stitch-wraith, witnesses said, was a shrouded figure in some sort of cloak. The detectives pointed out a picture that showed the figure pulling what seemed to be a mannequin's torso from the dumpster. The face wasn't a face, not a human face anyway. It looked more like a mask. The face was round.
No, I'm putting in 2 speed because I don't care. Also because I want to finish this.
To me, the Stitch-wraith is just a cooler name for an enter. I mean, you guys have a creature that has a white mask with a missing blacked-out eye, sharp, potentially bloody teeth, and a lurching walk. Definitely similar.
I mean, yeah, but Stitch-wraith became a separate character, so who cares at this point?
The way they show the game, Enter's obsession with trash would also be appropriate for Stitch-wraith. I mean, it's just a mass of wires. You need something like an antidote so we get form. We actually see the same thing with Freddy, designed from FNaF 6. Between games, she clearly assimilated any old garbage into her form to be more passable and human. To me, I just think the Stitch-wraith story is cool because it shows the outside world's reaction to the Freddy creatures that we all know. It starts to show it after
Makes sense.
It connects the dots to the story after the credits finish rolling. To know that Enter, after he escapes from this location, who the in-universe people go around their daily lives is just this urban legend named the Stitch-wraith. That's just pretty interesting to me. I think it's fun. Anyway, also worth noting here that the teaser attributes 5 dead bodies to Enter. Quote, five withered bodies with high blood lack outside the face. End quote. So it appears that Enter, after leaving Michael's body, tried to skin suit 5 or so other people. Notice that it says withered bodies. These are bodies that clearly became just like with Michael's at the end of this location. And though death, them crying lack, it's just body leaking oil as Enter needs to go and find another skin suit to possess. That's pretty much everything else. But what I really want to focus on now and the follow-up mini-theory is the first story of this bunch. The story
Of course, it's not mini.
In it, a beauty-loving, anime-obsessed 10-year-old boy named Oswald is forced to spend most of his summer in an old, run-down restaurant named Chef's Pizza. One day, while full of prank on his father, he finds himself, hey, wait for this, time-traveling ball pit that takes him to 1985, the day when 6 murders had just happened at Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. Quote, the
Freddy Fazbear.
still in Chef's Pizza, or accurately what Chef's Pizza did before Jeff took over. The ball pit was new and not roped off. On the wall was a mural of the same characters performing on stage. The bear, the blue rabbit, and the bird girl. Below their faces were the words Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. He even outside the calendar hanging in an open office helped to pinpoint the date, 1985. End quote. Take this out of there, guys. It was all the cross-reference on the arcade cabinet. They saw the Pizzeria, the illusions of the Smurfs, and other popular media at the time. Fine day, we just had no one take that all away from me. Thanks for saving me the research, I guess, but no thanks for taking away my deserving YouTube watch minutes. And here's the first big mind-blowing book series.
Oh, funny.
I think there are actually 2 in the story. In this story, we get ourselves clear, indisputable evidence that in 1985, 6 kids were killed. Quote, the rabbit stopped in front of the door with a sign reading party room. Half a dozen kids, none of them older than Oswald, their lifeless bodies propped into sitting positions, their legs stretched out in front of them. They were all wearing Freddy
Makes sense.
Oswald couldn't tell how they died. They knew the rabbit was responsible for it. That the rabbit had wanted him to see his handiwork. End quote. On one hand, it's incredible to finally get ourselves a date and a firm number of dead children. But get ready to change your Facebook status because it is complicated. You see, 1985 never once been an important date in the series. 1983, absolutely, that's math.
I mean, technically speaking, in the books, it is in Silver Eyes. I do agree with that. Okay, so here's my thoughts on when the missing children incident took place. If Crying Child and Charlotte are the first deaths of the series, then their deaths by proxy has to be in 1983, given the TV, but also because if we're using, well, if Charlie's name is reused from the books, who's to say she doesn't die at that date? Again, it's unconfirmed, but it is possible she did die around that time. I'm getting ahead of myself. So, but the earliest that Charlotte has to die prior to 1985 would have to be 1983, assuming she is either 1 or 2, the first or second death in the series, following the Crying Child. And at the latest, before 1985 would be 1984. And the MCI has to happen at some date. If the MCI is after the Crying Child's death, and presumably other events, like the Bite of 87, this one ends happening before the reopening of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza in 1987. We can assume the earliest without Pizzeria being open is in 1986, assuming it's been open for like a month as opposed to like a few weeks. Then there's something we need to take into consideration. The date. So this will have to be, 1983, 1984, 1985, or 1986 have to be the dates of the MCI. With 1986 having to be the latest, potentially speaking, and 1985 having to be sometime in the midway point. Honestly, I would like to say it's probably 1985 because it's after 1983, but before 1987. And there's like 2 other years we don't have to worry about, and I think just like the midway point seems like a more simple answer. I'm just saying.
For 1987, you betcha that's FNaF 2. We got ourselves 80s representation everywhere. Moments and oil for days, but never, not once is there ever been a mention of 1985. And will it be easy to immediately write it off as a typo or some non-canon event? Definitely not. Far from it. In fact, as wacko as it seems, this time-traveling all from a short story in a spin-off series of books takes Oswald back to a pizzeria that we've never seen before, but one that we have absolutely known to have existed since the second game in this series. As proof, let me pull up a clip from my second ever episode on FNaF. Back when Purple Guy was actually Phone Guy.
I still disagree with that notion, but okay.
Those were the days. Every way to Sunday, this game is a prequel. Posters everywhere in 5.2 welcome you to this new location, implying that there was another Freddy Fazbear pizza somewhere before this one. Additionally, phone guidance reference to 991 mentioning the old location was left rot. So let me recap. There's the restaurant from the first game, which is the last in the timeline. The one that you're currently working at in 1987 in 5.2, an older location of Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria left rot, and the original Fredbear's Diner. In FNaF 2, we're presented with newspaper clippings that outright says that this location is having a grand reopening. But we know even way back then, 5 years ago, that the events of FNaF 1 took place after FNaF 2. It was a prequel.
Yep.
So to add to it, a Freddy Fazbear's pizza that existed prior to FNaF 2 and that franchise shut down in the first place. We also know that it wasn't Fredbear's Family Diner because phone guy calls that restaurant out separately.
Yeah. Which kind of leads me to conclude that whoever running the FNaF 2 location is can't be Henry, but that's just me. I mean, that could be the retcon, but I doubt it.
So this one random little scene from Fazbear Frights is a pivotal piece of the timeline that's been missing for the last 5 years. A mystery piece that's been gone since the very beginning of this franchise.
Yeah.
A piece that looks home to the first 6 actual murders of Fazbear's story.
Is it?
I believe this to be the 6 dead kids that end up reuniting in a happy dating game from FNaF 3. Notice that detail of all of them wearing party hats. These were kids all taken from the same party. Happy dating game from FNaF 3 has us reuniting.
And this is like the main problem with Stitch Line. Because, spoiler alert, Into the Pit is connected to the Stitch Line story. Anyway, the MCI famously have 5 kids. And we see this happen in the mini-games. So, even if the mini-games are, quote-unquote, are metaphors, they still show, like, 5 victims. The 5 ghost kids reunite in FNaF 3. The Bailey the mask, because this could also either be Cassidy or the bite victim. Hell, even the gravestones at the front have 5 kids. Again, in the MCI. Given Charlotte's death is outright separated in the games. So, yeah, because that 6th kid, I am certain is Andrew. So, does Andrew exist in this world? I doubt it, to be honest. Again, I just think the Stitch Line doesn't really work. Because, again, the game says 5 kids. Like, I think the game should have higher priority over the books. I'm just saying. I still don't think Stitch Line is canon, but that's just me, to be honest. Yeah.
Information here, guys. However, true to form, as it always is with the story, not everything lines up. This being chronologically the earliest set of murders that we have easily offset before 1987, then we should be seeing animatronics get possessed here. It's something that we've never actually seen in the games. This should be missing children. Before 1987, then we should be seeing animatronics.
Oh, I get it. Mango / Funtime Foxy is here because it's Deary the dog. Oh, okay, that makes sense.
It's something that we've never actually seen in the games. This should be the missing children, where the victims' bodies are shoved into the suits and never found. But it's clear not. The book makes it very obvious that these bodies were clearly out.
Honestly, this kind of leads me to think puppet stuff does happen, because William never give a shit in the books or in the games, but that's, again, that's just me. Yeah. It's almost like maybe the puppet was doing this. I mean, if Stitch Line were to be believed, then this kind of leaves Will stuff. Okay, I have heard that Will stuff and believers are also Stitch Line believers. And I'm like, how does this work? Like, hell, I think even under Stitch Line puppet stuff, it kind of confirms puppet stuff we were to believe Stitch Line. And I don't believe Stitch Line.
The missing children. No, the missing children is most likely where animatronics got possessed because they were bodies suits along with metal. So metal and souls fused together to create living animatronics. All in FNaF 1987. Oh my gosh, look, there's living animatronics going around the Pizzeria. Oh, and installed security devices just because no murder came out last time. There's a reason I'm talking about the timeline of these things. Additionally, there are 6 children dead. The missing children is only had itself 5. That in and of itself be okay, right? Since FNaF 6
okay.
Has always been magic numbers. Weird mention magic number with murder children. But you know what this really says about these a lot? Our list is Susie, Fritz, Gabriel, Jeremy, Cassidy, and Charlotte. The core 4 animatronics.
Maybe.
Freddy, and the puppet 6. The problem is Charlotte the puppet always seems to have a separate death outside.
Yeah, exactly. Again. Well, we know this is Andrew, so this is meaningless. Can I skip this? Well, hold on. Oh, great man into the pit. Book. If I flip a random page, would you either have yes or no? Well, there's a knot, so. You know what? This is my own ultimate custom night. There's a reason why this is titled Part 3, my own ultimate custom night.
Outside the realm of the other 5 children, so having her suddenly lined up all the rest of the kids at the same time just doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense. I don't know, maybe I just need to...
It's almost like the books aren't fully canon.
They got more because everything else lines up. We have ourselves a golden bunny leading kids down all the way in the back room, just like those original newspaper clippings describe. He's also very clearly visible, which means he likely became in custody. Again, just like those original newspaper clippings describe. As always in the series, so many items line up. There's just one or two little details, little sticking points that make the pieces fit a little awkwardly. I honestly think, though, this isn't the last time I'm going to be seeing this Pizzeria. Remember earlier when I mentioned that new FNaF game came out 2020, a little later this year, I'll be playing into madness? Well, that one is set and called the very 80s theme. Again, we've been talking about Rockstar Animatronics for a couple episodes now.
There, you mean Glam Rocks. You misspoke again, Pat. I am convinced Pat can't read, speak, and count.
That's one way to reveal. It wouldn't be surprising for me to see that game be the one where we finally step foot inside the first ever Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. And with all the events that Oswald just saw for ourselves. So there you have it, my friends. The first major, couple of minor reveals that this installment had in store for us. However, there is one final mystery that the story might help solve. Not only does it give us a new set of murders to think about, finding out chronologically the earliest that we see in the timeline, but also, even to the bit, maybe just give us the identity of the person behind all of this. I don't mean behind child murders, I mean the mystery of the man behind games. What do I mean by that? What evidence do I have to prove it? That, my friends, is a theory.
Well, we kind of do have an idea in a later theory, but yeah, I'm skipping the sponsor. It's a sponsor. I ain't doing that shit. Okay. It's unskippable. Oh my god. Can I just refresh this just to not get an ad? You know, I'm gonna test it out. And it removes me from the playlist? Oh, great. That would be so inconvenient. Please keep the playlist. Please keep the playlist. This is worst. Another unskippable ad. I'll refresh until I don't get a skip. I guess, and I can skip. And I have okay. Oh, okay, it's an ad from a pizza place. Finally, I can skip an ad. Uh-oh.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to the Game Theory, where today we continue our analysis of FNaF's newly released ghost stories of Fazbear Frights. Last week we covered the majority of this book's key reveals, including the massive bombshell where we visit what is chronologically the earliest Freddy Fazbear pizza we've yet seen, a location that we have never visited before in any of the series canon, but one that we know to have existed somewhere in the background since the release of FNaF.
Yeah, we know.
6 murders set in 1985, it makes it very likely that this was the mystery location that would close down the franchise before its randomly opening 2 years later in 1987. And that loyal fear is why I scrounged for every scrap of FNaF out there, like entered the Stitch-wraith over years. Scott throws out ideas and I just dig through his dumpster, hoping to cobble it all together into a workable body theory thing. Whatever, that silly children's workbook 5 years ago. So the biggest lore reveals in this franchise happened in unlikeliest of places. Yeah, we're gonna reveal Golden Freddy's name in this children's workbook word search. Fantastic. Actually, it wasn't fantastic. I thought it was really way to do it. That said, we will not forgive Yamashita. Never. Truly cursed. But you see, I think there was one other massive lore reveal in Fazbear Frights, buried amongst the Gales of Extreme Anger Robot Edition and All-Hit Time Machine. A lore reveal that is absolutely worth our time exploring today. A lore reveal that introduces us to a character who's been helping to pull the strings since the very beginning. One who's been misleading us about the horrors of Fazbear entertainment. Someone whose importance goes far beyond just the 48 that appears in this book. I think Into the Pit may have just introduced us to the creator of these games. And I'm not talking about Scott Hoffman, but he's going to be one of the strangest inclusions in FNaF VR L1 was a reference to a game designer that was telling lies about horrors happening in Freddy Fazbear Pizza.
Maybe.
Something of a bad reputation for the last few decades, and while it's true that some stories associated with that name were loosely based on actual events, the majority of them were total fabrications from the mind of a complete lunatic who intended.
And that's that sweet piece of man candy you see there is Scott Hoffman himself. Okay, fine, I'll give it Scott. I mean, this series like
Funny.
we're all familiar with that. And playing like the series still felt extremely fine, cool with it. Then you keep playing the game. What started as a one-off cliche joke actually becomes a critical piece of the lore.
Oh shoot, I forgot to mute it. You know, I shouldn't be way too worried. I'm not really monetized. I don't even have the option to anyway, so yeah.
Those indie games were designed to conceal and make life what happened. This isn't just a temporary brand. It's an elaborate cover-up.
Well, because all this game designer's jokes, I know he's not exactly critical to the lore and exposing the crimes happening in the restaurant. Booyah, fooled you again, he's actually one of the villains. So the dust actually settles on this plot development. What we're left with is a game designer looking like Scott Hoffman, hired by Fazbear Entertainment to make games. The games that we've all been playing up to this point in order to misdirect us away from the real lore of the story. So of course, I didn't have to know about
Makes sense.
the villain of FNaF. to rephrase what we just heard. Scott is one of the bad guys. He was lying to us.
Yep.
FNaF VR skater to believe pretty much everything we know from the first 3, at least, maybe even 4, 5, 6 games could all be thrown out as complete
Well, let's
fabrication
fix it.
by Scott Hoffman for the sole reason because he was paid off by Fazbear Entertainment. Except I was wrong. Sure, but here, my
Yeah.
could have been worse. You see, earlier that very week that I uploaded that video, Scott made a post on Reddit saying that the indie game developer from FNaF
Yep.
VR isn't him. Here's what he had to say. Well, the question is this: is Scott Hoffman now part of FNaF?
Nope.
The short answer is no. Yes,
Face.
I will picture this indie developer because it's not parallel, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's actually me in universe. And yes, Scott, you're being vague and serious about the lore for years, half a decade at this point. And it's one little detail that you want to clarify. And you just choose to do it right before I go on this very topic. While it is honestly still a perfectly valid theory, it's everyone's decision all the time for that entire theory because it's one small detail that you want and everyone else is not. I don't have feelings about any of that at all. Scott continues quoting. So no, I'm not canon.
Okay.
This is a game developer that's supposed to be video game based on actual events that may or may not be a cover by Fazbear Entertainment is canon. Keep in mind that I do tend to use pictures of me and my family games just because there's
Yeah.
available. In FNaF 4, I use a picture of a mountain range that I took while I was a truck driver in West Texas. I use a picture of a snowman that me and my older son made together. I use a picture of a pet mockingbird that we nursed back in home 1 year. Do these have more significance? Well, you
Nope.
already know the answer. End quote. Oh, I know the answer, Scott. And that answer is yes. You read it. My evergreen insanity aside, it does open the door as the identity of who this rogue indie developer is. And I think that Fazbear writes the story into the pit reveals to us who it might actually be.
Steve.
I believe our secret game designer, the one who's been lying to us through the games, is the story's main character, Oswald, little 10-year-old boy who winds up in a time traveling.
You know, I also just recently learned that there's like a story. Like, there's actually a theory called fictional Frights, which is just basically a theory that the Frights books are fiction within the lore of within the FNaF world. And I'm like, is that actually a theory? Because I've been kind of like tossing around the idea for an AU, and one of those ideas for an AU is the fact that CEO, I'm not gonna spoil who it is hired someone to create something to help cover up Fazbear Entertainment, as well as someone who also been doing that in the form of games. Only this time, he's doing it maybe under something else. Maybe something like books, wink, like a series of 3 books, a graphic novel by one author, and go to another author to create a loving series of books and anthology book series, and yet another person, another one, to create more books, anthology books, and someone else for a movie. I've been tossing around the idea, but I don't know. Maybe I can create like as a form of a YouTube series, but who knows? And that can be form commitment, and I swear my misspeaking to read a script is going to drive me insane. So I don't know. I could try hiring someone to do it, but I don't know how payment will work. But this is just something I've been thinking about. Anyway, back to the video. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
First, there's Sour.
I don't care about. Okay, at least it's a 5-second unskippable ad.
Sour Patch Kids.
There's no ads after. Yeah.
He has never been there. Nothing. This is just him naturally choosing to draw these obviously spitting on any outside reference or influences. So already this boy seems to have a strange connection to the FNaF lore, or just like
Makes sense.
For such a short story, it takes a lot of time to establish Oswald's family.
Yep.
In great Japanese movies, a lot of time for a 40-page story. We hear about him listening to video game soundtracks. He visits the
Yeah.
basement of his father over cheesy Pogo style Godzilla monsters. How he finds actors lists not matching up with the dubbed words of those movies. He visits the library and hear about his enthusiasm for the latest manga. Now, the connection
Yeah.
to video games is pretty obvious here, right? Like video games, well, there's a chance that you want to grow up and be a designer of video games.
Makes sense.
Old cheesy Japanese films and manga that really got my ears turning. That told me at various point thresholds in the game, you unlock the Bear of Vengeance cutscenes. Each one clearly inspired by those old, poorly dubbed Japanese samurai movies.
Yeah.
Now, clearly living on classic anime and manga animation. This series designer of the games, who presumably made Ultimate Custom, you need to be a fan of this style of storytelling to want to incorporate it into his work. And here we have ourselves Oswald, a person who exists in
I
this
still think
universe.
these events happen, but you know what I mean.
Speaking of limited characterization, it's a minor connection, but the key point of the story is how money strapped Ozzy and his family. The reason he spent so much of his time in the library and the pizzeria instead of their old cheap
Yeah.
during the day was his family work over the summer. If Oswald were to grow up and end up designing the FNaF games, well, it would actually be a somewhat similar story arc to Scott Hoffman himself. As his
Yep.
story goes, Scott was a struggling game designer. He was making a wage every day as a Dollar General store clerk and working on his games at night with none of them
Yeah.
going anywhere. Many of them being poorly received. The first Freddy game was the one where all his years of hard work and grinding finally paid off. There's obviously
Yep.
a lot more to that story, but suffice to say, Oswald seems to be a character after Scott's own heart, coming from Ozzy being a fan of nerd culture.
Yeah.
Ozzy, the in-universe programmer of the game, to be Scott's literal in-universe stand-in for himself. Well, it doesn't seem like that much of a stretch. Say our designer was a kid and draws spooky animatronics, comes from a low to
Yeah.
high family, story similar to Scott, and like video game anime is still a bit of a stretch, right? Describes like 90% of kids. Okay, I don't have like connection to the evil bird, restaurant, but sure, pretty generic kid. Here's the thing though, we're not just talking about Oswald's character traits. If you look at Ozzy's experience with the restaurant in the story, you can see where he inspired to include certain game elements that we ourselves.
Yeah.
The first and most obvious is Jeff, the current owner of Jeff's Pizzeria, the pizzeria that totally abandoned Freddy Fazbear's Oswald's time. He's described in the book like this. Quote, Jeff was creepy too. He looked 100 years old and was probably just dirty. With those heavy-lidded, bloodshot eyes,
Yeah.
slow speed movement. He was like a zombie piece of shit. Slow movements, bloodshot eyes, zombie piece of shit with a red stained apron. It sounds like
Yep.
he's very well the inspiration behind an undead murderer in a pizzeria who refuses to die, or a walking purple zombie that haunts the streets of the town. Remember, the game's
Yeah.
designer around Fazbear Entertainment was asked to lie about and like the murders in the Freddy restaurant. So
Makes
this
sense.
game would likely be a mix of reality and fiction. Oswald could very well be pulled from his real life experiences. I mean, the names of people Oswald encounters also have themselves an uncanny similarity to the games. Ozzy's best friend from the past is named Mike, a Mike who outright says this. Quote, you know, I was a little, I love Freddy Fazbear.
Yeah.
I even had a stuffed Freddy I used to sleep with. And
Are you having trouble? Fur?
end quote. Sorry, that's the war connection alarm. Goes off in
Yeah.
passing reference to FNaF 4. In that same conversation, Mike also revealed that he has himself a sister. Sorry again. And they also talk about how creepy clowns and dolls are.
Yeah.
Apologies, that's another alarm. That's the sister location revolution alarm. Anyway, it doesn't seem to be Mike Afton or Mike Emily. Oh, you bet I checked in that one. But these conversations certainly
Yeah.
inspired Oswald to make a character named Mike who lives and loves the Freddy Fazbear franchise, who has a favorite Freddy plush, who has a sister who loves dolls, and
Yeah.
a really creepy clown doll hybrid man's army of dolls herself. Later in the book, Oswald gets told Gabrielle, the freak man, is encouraged to fight back against Bonnie. Gabrielle is a very random character, but one with again a very important name. One that is once again shockingly similar to one of the that we find on our gravestone, Gabriel. Even the theme of this short story could have inspired Oswald games. You see, after Oswald
Yeah.
was 1985 murder, his dad gets sucked into time travel by old Bonnie. And not just sucked in, he's replaced. Suddenly, everywhere his dad should be, Ozzy instead sees the silent, staring, golden Bonnie stalking him, watching him.
Yeah.
Ozzy is the only one who sees it. Everyone else just sees his father like normal. Actually, a really creepy, disturbing imagery. One that gets Ozzy questions his own sanity, but it's also one that directly ties back to the core motif of the games. A father, William Afton, becoming a golden Bonnie to terrorize kids, including his own son. A son that had to go out, seek, and ultimately rescue his father in order to end the nightmare. And then just have random lines inserted into the story that kind of fit, but kind of don't, are also obviously specific to key moments throughout the FNaF franchise. Like this, quote, every day you're tossing out on the street
Yeah.
like garbage. End quote. Reminiscent of the FNaF 6 salvage games, with animatronics literally being thrown out on the street. This line, as Ozzy says it in context of the scene, is kind of awkward. If you're looking at it through the lens of, hey, this is actually a lore connection back to the games, now all of a sudden it fits perfectly. There are just so many details that line up between Oswald's character,
Mhm.
meets, and things that go through that line up with someone who could have made the FNaF game, who could have concocted parts and pieces of this story. Even
Yeah.
motive-wise, it makes sense. Maybe Fazbear hires on because they know he knows the truth, and if they get him to shut up, maybe Ozzy gets the money because A, he's poor, and B, he's scared. He knows what they can do to him. I mean, will
Makes
this ever
sense.
come into play in any way, shape, or form? Unclear, probably not. But one, it actually may be able to help us better separate out the truth from the fiction in the early games of this franchise. Like knowing zombie were inspired by Jeff, owner of Jeff's Pizzeria, the zombie guy, may take all that information off the table and really let us focus in on what truly matters, the specific subset of murders. But even if it doesn't
Yeah.
make sense like that too, I'd be surprised if we end up seeing Oswald again at some point. I mean, already there's a new teaser for the next installment of Fazbear Frights Fetch on Scott's website, so you bet that we're gonna have a lot more to say about the series and its connections to the games in the coming months. But hey, that's just a theory. A game
Thanks,
theory.
Jeff.
Thanks for watching.
Oh god, not Jeff. Oh wait. Oh, YouTube Red. Oh, I see. Click on this. Oh, YouTube Red. Oh, I remember that. I actually never used it because I'm a chat. I'm not paying money to YouTube. So we're gonna watch this one. Oh gosh, 20 minutes. Elizabeth Arden. Elizabeth this is Elizabeth Afton confirmed. Oh no, not Elizabeth.
Game series, book series. I want it. New book series. Oh, come on, fine. Phone guy. Phone dude. Purple guy. Phone dude. Just, fine. Wild card. Change the category timeline.
Why do you accept?
Chump 83.
Yeah.
Wait, but
Time travel.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, reverse.
Yeah, that's where awkward time period.
Welcome to Game Theory. Another day, another installment of the FNaF multimedia conglomerate. So at this point, some people in the FNaF community really hate my guts. Like, bringing you a meat grinder and feeding you a rabid dog animatronic level of hate. Like,
Yeah.
for instance, this comment, and I'll read exactly as written to stay true to his authorial intent. Quote, as a hardcore FNaF fan, he's of embracement to FNaF forests. He
Yeah.
insists on using the blocks to prove his stupid theories, and they don't even make sense. He soups and thinks he's smart, but he's not. I wish he would soup. He then goes on to rant for a paragraph about how unrealistic time travel is in a franchise about robot rabbits on ghost metal, but I think he gets the point. And though I use this one really over-the-top extreme comment as an example, seeing stuff like this is a bummer, because I don't know if you can tell, but I really do like...
Oh, this rant. You know, I don't really care about this rant, to be honest. Like, can I just skip this rant? You know what? You know what? RNG time. What's new on my notifications? Oh. I guess I have a serious quest video I'm gonna be checking out after I finish all the rest of the crap I decided to do. Okay, odd numbers means yes. Even numbers means no. To skip the rant. Yes! I can skip this rant. Good. That means I get to shorten this stream. Help me. Help me. Okay, you know what? I think this is 6 minutes into the 20-minute series.
Anyway, that discussion over. Let's talk about the video game for the franchise.
Yeah.
Fazbear Frights number 2 Fetch was recently released and it is, well, if I'm honest, feels much less connected to the series than the first one.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong, the stories are still really good, if not even darker than the original 3. And one has a young girl outright being mauled to death and wrapped in
Oh,
sheep
poor
shaped
girl.
die. So pretty intense stuff, but the connections to the main lore are definitely a bit shakier this time around. I mean, first book, games featured cameo performances by Golden Bonnie,
One.
Baby, Funtime
Yep.
Freddy, The Missing Children's Fire, and more. This one, meanwhile, introduces us to a lot of new things. A smartphone-powered animatronic dog named Fetch, tiny free-roaming versions of the great Fazbear called Lonely Fights. We do get some quality time with Glitchtrap, but, you know, it's Glitchtrap, like the D-stringer.
What does he say D-stringer? Hold on. Oh, it's all generated. I can't even see.
Big Babs and Endoskeleton 2. Is that hot take? Did I offend Glitchtrap fans? I mean, we're barely sweet adult tonight. I'm just saying here, guys. Let's walk through these 3 new horror stories and what they mean for the franchise, shall we? Story number 1, Fetch. Greg and his 2 friends, Hattie, and Sarah live near Olympia, Washington. Greg feels compelled to explore an old abandoned Freddy's restaurant where he discovers Fetch. Here's some animatronic dog with sharp teeth, and then even sharper understanding of texting lingo. Whoa,
Yep.
this space is empty. Greg asks, Fetch looks like he's older than my dad, but smartphones have been around that
Yeah.
long. After being scared out of the pizzeria, the dog goes on to Fetch whatever Greg wants, with increasingly disastrous results, killing the dog, ripping his uncle's finger off, and eventually retrieving a soul crush in the worst way possible. Actually, a pretty simple story. There are 2 big things to call out about it. First, he continues to theme that we're starting to see develop these books. Kids are being drawn to these restaurants. It's never explained in the story, but Greg feels compelled to go to Freddy's by some unseen force. Quote from book, this might be what he felt in the field, what had called him here. And later in the chapter, Greg was afraid he might not have gotten what he was there for. Had he done...
Wait, Gregory. Gregory. We saw who Gregory is! He's the guy who unleashed Fetch! Yay! Finally! FNaF lore solved! Can we go home now? No? We can't? Fine, I'll continue with this hellhole.
Was meant to do, and Greg is now the second character to have some sort of psychic connection.
No one's not even watching. I could just end the stream, but I do want to react to some of these back to back because they're important and connected. I have like one. I have 6 videos to go. I think I can handle 6. No.
As I talked about in last series, Oswald from Hit had the exact same thing. He inexplicably found himself drawing horrific animatronic monsters without ever knowing about Freddy to begin with. It's also worth noting that both are the first stories in their respective books. It'll be interesting to see whether this trend holds in future installments. The second important part of the story, though, is that it clearly establishes Freddy as a place where technology has advanced far beyond the rest of society. As I read in an earlier quote, Fetch can connect to smart devices like cell phones despite being older than his parents. The reason I call this out is that in theory crafting for this franchise, I've seen a lot of theorists use more modern, sleeker design fun animatronics with later in timelines. So it seems like the story is telling us that those sorts of details don't matter. Freddy's will always be fantastic ahead.
Is it though?
Technology, especially technology for kidnapping children. There's a bit more in that story about when the generators and plants slash machines being able to read our minds and something stuff you in focus, but I can't quite think of how it's important to any of the actual overarching narratives of the franchise, so maybe it's a discussion for a mini-theory at some point down the line.
He not done this mini-theory. Do the mini-theory, Matt Pat. This is a dread.
But no, this is skip. Story number 2, we'll come back in a minute, and I'm going to discuss. Story number 3, a new Glitchtrap boy, the Glitchtrap chaser.
You can't even use the official model Glitchtrap edited. You just have to use this. Shit, alright.
Common green rabbit is all the rage. Selling at stores across the nation. It also retails for $79.99. So stop making those fat stacks both IRL and in the book for killer merch. Showing Oscar, fed up with never getting what he wants, shoplifts the last one. One that's when it's supposedly recurring for being effective. Quote, is it just me or did the teeth look wrong? As it pointed at straight, slinky, yellow, human-looking teeth that were visible from Glitchtrap's funny open mouth. And what's the eyes? He reached out and poked one of the cloudy green eyes. Ew. He whipped his hand back and flicked his finger. Squishy. End quote. After a few days of doing nothing, the Glitchtrap suddenly activates and terrorizes Oscar and his friends, chomping through the house's doors and garages just trying to bite them. Their only protection is that Glitchtrap freezes in the light. So again, he was turning box over and over in his hands, and there in bold letters was
Stop.
Dark freezes in the light. A few hours and a comedic number of faulty flashlights later, boys destroy the monster at last by luring him to run out of his dream. A few things come up here in the story. First, most obviously, it explains Glitchtrap's behavior in FNaF 4. He really is just a haunted boy that goes on a rampage and stopped by our flashlights. So it's cool to make that more connection with Glitchtrap's original meaning. We also know, based on the story, that Glitchtrap apparently has the ability to mimic voices. He has a speaker system built under his fur and is able to mimic the voices of Oscar's other friends. Now, this is a really interesting detail because up until this point, the only voice mimics in the franchise have been the Funtime animatronics. So their built-in systems tend to lure children away from their parents so that they
Makes sense.
This suggests the possibility that Glitchtrap was either a prototype for the larger models, setting out voice mimicking software, or was himself a Funtime era animatronic. Whereas up to this point, all the theorists have classified him alongside the other nightmares from FNaF 4. The last and most important thing to call out, though, is the fusion of human parts and animatronic parts. The story makes it very clear that the Glitchtrap Oscar runs away with has both human eyes and teeth. But from book, Raj turned Oscar. He managed to steal us with a Glitchtrap chaser that looks like a half-human hybrid. End quote. Now, this idea of half-robot, half-human animatronics is a completely new concept for the series. But is it? See, in FNaF 4, we had ourselves Nightmare, the black transparent spooky bear that, if you look closely enough, had a human brain in its head.
That's more look like it's more so the endo nightmare ending, but I can see the logic.
That's a part of its design, a detail that pretty much all of us dismiss. I mean, all of us lost over a nightmare in general is just like the embodiment of death. The game's grim reaper is my child slowly flatlined in the hospital bed, or, just a figment of the boy's haunted imagination. But with this context from Fazbear Fright, could nightmare have actually been a real experiment? Was William Afton in his quest for immortality, or Henry in his quest for more likely robots, testing the human mind's ability to survive in and operate an animatronic body? This would make Nightmare the literal Frankenstein's monster for family entertainment dining. And I say that jokingly, it's also something that appears in the Curse of Dreadbear DLC for FNaF wanted, where we actively program the brain and insert it into Dreadbear's head beforehand, and it tells us this.
Well done. It's time to introduce the reader to the kids for testing and troubleshooting.
We know, based on the original trilogy of books, that Afton was obsessed with recreating living metal just like those original haunted animatronics.
Yeah.
Nightmare, Dreadbear, and this Glitchtrap all as potential experiments looking to do exactly that. Lastly comes story number 2, Lonely Freddy's, my personal favorite bunch. In this one, you have rebellious
Makes
teen
sense.
Alec looking to expose his goody two-shoes sister Hazel from the fraud that she really is. Alec in this story
Like
is
a child?
tragic character. He's a teen who acts out because he's ignored by his parents. The main reason he's trying to bring down his sisters is because she is always one to get the attention. Two of them inexplicably team up to torment their parents in the lead up to Hazel's birthday party at Freddy Fazbear. With Alec planning a double cross her the day of the party. When the day arrives, Alec's plan backfires. It's revealed that Hazel is truly just that pure and good of a person. Even Alec, who did the jerk pushing everyone around the way, thinking himself as the victim, he was actually making himself into the victim. The parents are trying to cater to his needs, and Hazel just wanted a brother who liked her. Alec runs off, ashamed of his actions, and hides in the storage closet. Just as he starts to change for the better, he meets with a short little lonely Freddy, free roaming to a doll made entertaining kids that are ignored or forgot about at parties. But things are never quite what they seem in Freddy Fazbear's pizza. The cute little bear hypnotizes Alec and then body swaps with him, imprisoning Alec's consciousness inside the tiny bear body. Quote from that moment: there, sitting across the table from his sister and his parents, was Alec. It was the same rumpled t-shirt he'd thrown out that morning before the party, same ripped jeans, the same unruly golden curls, like green eyes. Hey, Alec said, voicing his head quiet at first, but quickly it was screaming, hey, that's not me, that's not me! His eyes, his swollen green eyes, his swollen body.
Yep, he's dead.
And then, fake Alec smiled. As Alec, trapped in the lonely Freddy, was carried away by store employees, he saw fake Alec wink at him from the table before returning his attention to a smiling, happy family. Dark, right? And Alec isn't alone. After he's cubed down by one of the kids at the party, he's picked up and thrown into the dumpster, where he meets a couple new friends. One final quote: his fall was broken by dozens of plush bears that look exactly like him. Dozens of discarded lonely friends. Help! Alec thought he heard himself say. Pretty soon it was every bear in the bin. Their thin, muted screams for help swallowed by the metal and darkness that entombed them. Alec and his new friends, dozens of the lonely ones. What a great closing line for that story. It is so heartbreaking to see this misguided kid suddenly learn to love his family, only to have his chance at redemption ripped away by these animatronics. It is so sad as a story. But here's the thing, for as sad as it is, this story carries over yet another recurring theme that we're seeing develop in these books, that animatronics are stealing the identities of kids. In the first book, we have the story To Be Beautiful, where Baby steals the looks and identity of a girl named Eleanor. Here, we have ourselves another robot AI. This one owls inside the lonely Freddy module, stealing the body of Alec. This, to me,
Makes sense.
What we've been expecting from Vanny, the new
I guess. I'm saying makes sense, because I just don't have anything to say. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. It's because I'm kind of tired and sick of this, and no one's not even watching. That's the sad part. Yeah. Yes. I am stealing the identities. Why the fuck am I with a girl? Why am I stealing the identity of a woman? I don't know. I wish, but this will do. I can manipulate her. I can make sure to use her for my deeds.
For our body. We let it escape through us. But what we thought was happening on a small scale, one person getting taken over in one game, instead appears to be happening to the pizzerias everywhere.
Makes sense.
Further evidence supporting this theory that I don't have PR. The story from this point forward is we have to create an army. A cult, a bunch of brainwashed, or more accurately, body swap people hiding in public, hiding in plain sight, taking over bodies one by one. And a big one of FNaF 20 plays out of its sleep, right? So before we look forward, we actually have to look backward. You see, there's one last topic I'd like to explore with this final story, and it's doozy. It's the parallels that this story has with FNaF 4. In fact, I think the Lonely Freddy story is helping us to solve what is one of the longest standing mysteries in this franchise, and also one of the strangest inclusions that we've never really had a solid answer for to begin with. And that, my friends, is the true story of Psychic Friend Fredbear.
He's everywhere. Who are we gonna call Psychic Friend Fredbear?
So until then, my friend, there's only one last thing to say. You want to save money on pizza? Yeah, that's right. All this Freddy Fazbear got me hungry for a nice little slice of pizza. Luckily,
I just had pizza earlier today. I'm just skipping to another ad. Oh yes! Finally! The skippable ad! He's your buddy. When your brother is a jerk, he's your pal. When your father's out, he's a bully you. When you turn to fight, and until the sixth night. He's everywhere. Who you gonna call? Psychic Friend Fredbear. He's a coward. For reasons still unknown. You know, on your way back home, promise. The throes of all the lore. Harrison Scott, what is this line for? It's supposed to be
slightly different yellow font here. Are you meaning this to be figurative or literal? Because if it's literal, you are opening up a literal can of worms.
He's there, he's everywhere. Who you gonna call? Psychic Friend Fredbear. He's here, he's there, he's everywhere. Who you gonna call? Psychic Friend Fredbear.
And welcome to Game Theory, where I start off today with a disclaimer. Warning, in entering this video and not all my theories, you're entering a zone of speculation. Where any ideas valid for consideration hope that it solves your problems and it creates
speculation. Fuck that.
right now that today's theory is... Wait, but it's one of the stretchier ones. Like, there are some
Yeah.
theories that are rock solid. There's some really strong evidence in the game that's more exciting than developers, creators. And there are others that require a bit more creative license, where the dimensions are there, but they might require you to squint a little bit. Or just, have fun with it and go along for the ride. And this episode is one of those theories, because today we're once again diving into the world of Fetch.
Yeah.
The Fazbear Fight series. You see, last time I mentioned this, Fetch was recently released. It is, fighting on it feels much less connected to the series than the first one. The connections to the main lore are definitely a bit shaky. This is when you might introduce us to a lot of new things. A smartphone-powered animatronic dog named Fetch.
Yeah, we know.
This felt weird to me. Every story of the first book felt very connected to established characters, from the bunny suit to shape-shifting baby one-time Freddy. So why was this one, the second book, doing so many new things? It felt like a pretty extreme cool shift, especially considering Scott had just posted about how these books would fill in some of the blanks from the past. So then I thought about it, and I considered what blanks from the past is on like the stories which I filled. Something clicked. I think that there's a chance that one of the new inclusions in this book is actually something that we've known about for a long time. An oddball character that's confused us and stymied our theories for years. I believe that there's a chance that Fetch's lonely Freddy's may actually be the real identity of FNaF 4's psychic friend Dreadbear. Remember that flushed out from FNaF 4 with the lean eyes that track your movements as you walk around the room, that stalks you in the streets and disguises itself as a flower? The thing that could actually read the blind child's innermost thoughts. I think that guy is the type of Freddy doll. But to truly understand why these were connected, let's begin with Lonely Freddy's story. To quickly recap the story in a bit more detail than it is last time, because now details actually matter. For the theory, Alex is an angry teenager who said that his younger sister Hazel gets all their parents' love and affection because she's practically perfect in every way. So when Hazel, just out of the blue, starts being overly nice to Alex and wants to join in making their parents miserable, he doesn't trust her. He suspects that she's up to something, so he talks to a man to expose her for being a spoiled brat at her upcoming birthday party, which happens at, which is now a local Freddy Fazbear's pizza. His plan, well, it's not a particularly good one. In fact, all this story for one thing is that the mechanics of how it all works is kind of confusing. So say what you that Freddy's gonna have this big money, you know, those weird boxes with fans that will always tick around and try to grab them and walk away with whatever you're capturing. And in the booth, there's a special ticket that allows you to win the top prize of the restaurant. So Yarg Foxy, basically Yarg Foxy held extra hooks, swing action.
Yeah.
So it seems like Hazel really wants to win Yarg Foxy. So Alex sabotages her chances by taking out the special winning ticket before she gets in. Except she does win. By some weird, magical, unexplained miracle, the ticket winds up in her hair and she wins the Foxy doll. The twist, though, is that she didn't want to win it for herself. She wanted to win it for Alex. You see, Alex secretly loves Freddy's Pizzeria, but he never gets to have his birthday there. And of all the characters, he loves Foxy the most. He even pretended to be Yarg Foxy around the house when no one's looking. But when Hazel tries to get him with a sign of friendship, as a way to try and finally make him happy, all it does is infuriate him. Once more,
oh no.
Sister Alex loses it, he rips the Foxy doll and runs off to the storage room crying. Once there, he's a lonely Freddy doll. Small, free-roaming version of everyone's favorite heir. The bear hypnotizes him and then body swaps with him, leaving Alex consciousness trapped forever in the doll's body, while Alex roams free unbeknownst to his family.
Hey, okay. I know he's making him have Hazel look mad. I know Hazel's supposed to be mad, but honestly, it looks like she's more confused and thinking he's not Alec. He's the lonely Freddy, but that's just me.
So forgive me the detailed description, but I need to get that in because Alex's story, strangely enough, closely matches what we see happening in FNaF 4's Crying Child. Now, I don't think Alec is the Crying Child.
Nope.
There's a way to make a difference here, but I
yeah.
call out how similar these two stories are because the parallels seem intentional. They seem to be inviting us to compare these two stories. So
makes sense.
Just like in FNaF 4, there's a countdown to a birthday party happening at Freddy's happy
yeah.
So in this case, it's a sister's party and not his. Speaking of sister, Alex's younger sister Hazel is described as being cute and perfect, with a lot of emphasis being placed on her green eyes and her curly hair. An important visual description considering Elizabeth, the girl who would go on to possess Katie, and who we assume is Crying Child's sister and owner of this room in FNaF 4, is also blonde with green eyes.
Oh, she's more orange blonde.
An unusual amount for a low Freddy story. Alec had never noticed the bear's eyes before. They always had that blue. And again, his eyes are as blue and deep as an ocean trench. Over 13 times our eyes in this story qualified by their color.
Ew, eyes.
A lot of the short stories thus far in Fazbear Fights have had themselves pretty sparse character descriptions. But this one, for some reason, really chooses to emphasize the fact that Alec and Hazel have green eyes and that Lonely Freddy has blue eyes. Which, given an obsessive level of knowledge of the series, should ring the alarm bells. In this location, eye color was a huge deal. So I did a whole theory about Alex's relocation came out, where the baby animatronic
makes
had
sense.
blue eyes until she scooped Elizabeth and her eyes turned green. And here we have something very
no.
Quote from the story. Alex
makes sense.
The blue eyes of Lonely.
Okay, is that supposed to be Alec? Because that's not blonde, and that's not blue, that's not green. So he's... oh, no.
Eyes had burned through his soul, and he searched for answers of his own, but only came away with more questions, because the blue eyes of the bear had suddenly turned green. End quote. And again, in this quote, all Alec could see was the bear, as his newly green eyes bore through him. So we got a party, a sister, and some eyes. Obviously, there's gotta be more, right? Alec, when his plan fails, runs off tied in the storage room crying. Similar to the Crying Child being locked in the storage room in FNaF 4. And in general, Alec is just a sulky, moody kid who, similar to our Crying Child, both loves and hates Freddy Fazbear. Alec in the book secretly loves the restaurant and his characters, he also hates it, because he only gets to go when it's for his sister, which makes him bitter and angry to be there. It's a lot like the conflicted feelings our Crying Child has for the restaurant.
Makes sense.
He really likes the franchise. He has all the toys in his room, and yet while he's there, he's clearly miserable. We're not exactly sure why, but he does have mixed feelings about this franchise. That is #relatable.
Okay, I like to think it's because his brother was, or brother or some teasers. He seemed like, again, the suits, like someone taking off the suit, and he was like terrified and run away. Because he thought, oh no, they're ripping his head off, or oh no, Freddy ate someone. You know what, that's probably accurate, now I think about it.
You'll see, Crying Child, but to me, one of the most telling connections between this story and the game is the Yarg Foxy toy. When Hazel tried to get toy out, Alec freaks out and rips the toy's arm off. It's a small detail, one that immediately made me think of the Foxy that's in the Crying Child's FNaF 4 room. A Foxy plush with one very specific feature. A feature that has never gotten explained. His head was pulled off. So we have ourselves two Foxy plushies.
how I feel about Woodard Foxy.
In some way, the of a kid who loves and hates Freddy winds up locked in a storage room crying, attends a birthday party, and has himself a green-eyed sister with blonde hair.
Imagine crying at Freddy Fazbear's pizza. That's embarrassing.
Just an oddly specific series of parallels that are almost so precise
Yeah.
they're inviting us to compare them. It's actually uncanny. Alec in this story is almost like a fusion of the crying child and his brother. You see, crying
Michael.
child, for all the reasons that I've talked about, also the older brother,
Yeah.
because Bulky's mean older brother to his sister, and his favorite character is Foxy. So much
Yep.
so that he pretends to be Foxy around the house, just like we see the older brother doing to torment the crying child in FNaF 4.
Like
Again, it's not
an
exactly the same.
asshole.
There are plenty of differences between these two scenarios.
Yeah.
There are a lot of parallel detail, almost like alternate universe versions of roughly the same series
Yeah.
of events. So what does any
Again, I was gonna say it's an adaptation, but it's not fully one, but you know.
of this have to do with psychic friend Dreadbear? Well, I believe that all these parallels with FNaF 4 are intentional. They're drawing lines between the two stories, inviting us to compare them. And when you do
Yeah.
that, it becomes undeniable that psychic friend Dreadbear is a lonely Freddy. To understand why,
Makes sense.
This is how lonely Freddy is first described. Quote, "There's a weird name for a toy. The weirdest part of it,
Yeah.
the bear stood stiff, almost at attention. Its eyes stared straight ahead of stage, but Alec is
Okay, almost there.
So a small Freddy toy with eyes that watch you as you move around the room. That really sounds like what Psychic Friend does as we move our way through the FNaF 4 minigames. His white eyes just move around us. Wherever we go, we're also told that lonely Freddy is able to free roam or follow kids around.
2, 3, 4, 5. 5 more.
It is literally designed to be a moving surveillance camera. I mean, it can disguise itself as a flower.
I hate this comment. Yeah.
We're told the purpose of the lonely Freddy is. Quote, again, at Freddy Fazbear's belief that no child should have to experience the wonder and delight of Freddy Fazbear's family Pizzeria alone. Using patented technology and a touch of that Freddy Fazbear magic, Freddy will learn
Yeah.
all about your child's favorite things just like a true friend. And GG close to mom. Is it just me or does lonely Freddy sound like a cure for the unwanted kid? It's a mechanical lapse.
Yeah.
As in, no one wants to play with this kid, so here's a machine that'll do it instead. And this is a
Damn.
specifically designed to become friends to sad and lonely children. Children
Now,
just like FNaF
I can make an easy joke, but I don't want to.
child. Children just like Alec. And they'll find the Android girls between two
Yeah.
stories ourselves that, quote, if there was ever a kid who would have been foisted onto a lonely Freddy birthday party, it would have been Alec. Now, this is important. One of the strangest things about Psychic Friend Fredbear game was his knowledge of crying child's innermost thoughts.
Yeah.
Things like remember what you saw and he hates you. It's the whole reason I started calling him Psychic Friend Fredbear in the first place. The boy's knowledge of what was going on inside the boy's head was just uncanny. Because one of the many strange things about this character, one of the many strange things about this character that gets an explanation via lonely Freddy's behavior in the story.
Yep.
Bear approaches Alec in the storage room and starts asking questions. Questions that start to turn serious. Quote, "Look, I've been waiting for you, friend." Bear said, "We should be best
Yeah.
friends." It's a stuffed animal. Alec holds himself. It's a stuffed toy. What's your favorite color? My favorite color is green. What's your favorite food? Lasagna. The Bear's questions took a different turn. What would you do if you were asked to hurt someone you love? It felt like the bear was reaching its soft, plush paw to his very soul and extracting the answers he had most hidden. It was doing it so effortlessly. So the lonely Freddy is a stuffed bear designed to act as a surveillance camera on kids.
Yeah.
Follow them around, talk to the sad, lonely ones, and extract information from them, become their friend before eventually body swapping with them. I mean, each and
Like a
every one of
Chad?
the details behind this whole body swap thing is something that we see the Psychic Friend Fredbear do. But there is one last detail that I haven't included yet. The Freddys are controlled by a man who works in a private backroom office. Oh yeah, and the party member who died on a 5th walkie-talkie and pressed her finger headset. So here we go, lonely Freddy demo. The fact that there's someone behind the scenes controlling these devices in the book is a direct call
Yeah.
to the secret private room from Sister Location. One where there were surveillance cameras watching the FNaF 4 house guarded by the password 1983. It was in that room
Yep.
we saw the Psychic Friend Fredbear for the first and only time
Oh,
in an
no.
outdated setting. There on the desk with a short little plushie with his white little surveillance eyes and a walkie-talkie right next to it, coinciding with this scene from the book. So there you have it.
Yeah.
The official name of Psychic Friend Fredbear is Lonely Freddy. It's not quite as fun, but it's easier for me to type, so that's a plus. It's a camp
He's officially called Psychic Friend Fredbear to me. Still.
system controlled by someone hidden in the back surveillance
Yeah.
room. A system that has the ability to walk and talk and maybe even body swap. Now the question that we're left with is who
Yeah.
is controlling it in that form? I mean, it seems like the obvious answer here should be William Afton, right? Who else would be doing it? But the bigger question is why? Why would he be doing all this just to watch what we assume is his own son? And
Yeah.
the question is whether all this is intentional. It seems like the employees don't actually know too many of these robots. So is this an AI going around or was it a whole only
Yeah.
that one with body snatching abilities? That one
Maybe.
seems like the scenario considering story number 3 of stock, the trap chaser is swapped with an evil one with human body parts. So maybe William Afton or some of his people in this book universe are slowly seeing how evil animatronics in the world run as little test cases. Also, since I don't know
Makes sense.
at Hazel's birthday party, there's a girl named Charlotte. A girl who shares a name with a child we know goes on to possess the puppet.
Yeah.
Who in the story is allergic to chocolate. Accidentally eats something and spends the rest of the party vomiting. Could this actually give us an explanation for why Charlotte in the games ended up outside of the party, outside the restaurant?
Yeah.
We see her in FNaF 6 before she eventually gets killed and turned into a puppet.
Possibly.
The thought that around there, the universe where everyone picked apart. Oh, but that's by the way, it's time to look ahead. Because based on the descriptions, books number 4 and 5, now later this year, that seemingly Dave will be its lore reveals that. In book 4's description, we see that one of the main characters will have the name Susie. She also has a self dog.
Yeah.
Susie's almost guaranteed to be confirmed as our fruity maze girl, and our first ever victim, the one who was on possessed Chica. We also know that
The
one
MCI
story will be
victim.
about Pete and his younger brother who, quote, get in a fight and wake their parents divorce and fall prey to a gruesome curse. Two
Yep.
brothers, with divorced parents, and have some blood curse on their family. Seems like you can understand it for a crying child Foxy wrote getting wrapped up in the cycle of serial killing their father started decades prior. And flipping over to book number 5 description, quote, in room 1280 apparently
And I am looking forward to watching that. After I have to go through these two shits.
With that being the last book in the Fazbear Frights series, I expect that one tie up a lot of different loose ends. Speaking of loose ends, by the way, that is why this show exists. To get rid of narrative loose ends, tie up the meaning.
Yeah, sure. I don't care about the rest of this crap. I'm just skipping. Skip your ass. Wait, is this like the. Okay.
M&M's minis.
Refresh your ass. Refresh your ass. Finally, a skippable ad to refresh your ass. YouTube? Okay, I kind of like this aesthetic, to be honest. YouTube, go oh, thank God.
Let me come home with you. Is there room for one more? Can I come home with you? Let me come home with you.
Oh no, that's...
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Book Theory. Because if you have 180 Smash
Yeah.
in your franchise, chances are you also have yourself a 10-installment book deal. That's barely an exaggeration. Anything Machine 3 with more prompts on the way. Hello,
Yeah.
Neighbor 6. Heck, this ride of all these basics doesn't have an entire trilogy dedicated to the horrific backstory of the Jump Rope Girl. No joke, at this point in my life, I'm reading more video games than I'm playing. But of course, today we're not talking about any of those other franchises. We're talking about the brand package. The one that paved the way for all those who would dare to follow in its footsteps. 5 Nights at Freddy's and its
And one of them is one I don't care for that much.
the two graphic novel reimaginings of the first two books. But here's the part, your friends. True to this franchise, books were supposed to end at Fazbear Frights number 5. We're currently at Fazbear Frights number 3. The end wasn't like that was gonna be it. That was the end of the line. Mystery over. But oh no, my friends, of course not. Now there are 2 more final installments announced, just like every game after FNaF 3. Joke
Is it?
was the scariest part of this franchise. Oh no, not anymore. You're here. It's now. It's multi-platform merchandising. So Fazbear Frights number 3. Today, 1:35 a.m. Just now, and there's a lot to talk about with this one. If you remember, Scott and David here that this new book series is meant to help us solve the mysteries from the past. And the stories are, as they say in every book's official description, pulled from all different corners of the FNaF lore. But unlike past few Fazbear Frights books, where the connections are a bit looser, I suppose is the best way to describe the time-traveling bulb that leads to a scene of the 1980s reviewers. The stories contained in this one, in 1:35 a.m., all feel very strongly connected to, well, like I said, every corner of the FNaF canon. The stories here are starting to show how they're connected to not only each other, but also how they're connected to the original book trilogy, and yes, how they're even connected to the games.
Is it though?
Web of complicated animatronic death. But more than anything else, these books are starting to confirm things for us. Theories
Yeah.
and decisions that we have for the better part of the last 5 years, which, you know, is kind of nice to receive some level of validation. Like I said, it is a lot to cover. And so I cover this one, I cover the last 2 books. Today's episode is going to be dedicated to a general overview of the story, spotlighting some most important details of theory crafting, and explaining what I think this new backstory is trying to tell us about the series mysteries. And then the next video, we're going to be doing a deep dive into probably the biggest mystery of all 3 books so far. FNaF's newest killer animatronic, the Stitch-wraith. This guy is actually really interesting. His story is starting to weave through most of the 9 other small stories that we covered in these other books.
Makes sense.
And these might have some severe implications for not just the original trilogy of novels, but also the future games. Like I said, more on that next week. But for today, let's start with our title story, 1:35 a.m. This one is pretty straightforward. Delilah is a young woman with a tragic backstory. Her parents both died when she was 11, and when she was bounced around and abused, sadly, in foster care system for years. Eventually,
Gotta feel bad for this kid, with this girl, or this woman.
So she can finally complete the family that she never had. Everything is going great in her life until Richard divorces her.
Well, that's your first mistake. You wanted to marry, you're dating a Richard. We know Richard's nickname is Dick. So you should never date someone named Richard, apparently. Trust me. I know someone who knows that very well.
Now she's alone and sadder than ever. And then she dies, trapped in a relationship after being tortured by the embodiment of a child that she never had. Children's entertainment, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so I may have skipped a few steps there, but it's roughly the idea. One day, Delilah finds an animatronic doll named Ella at a garage sale. A doll that reminds her of the child that she always dreamed of having. Quote, with brown curly hair, big dark eyes, and pretty cheeks, a doll that almost exactly like baby Delilah had envisioned having someday with Richard. She even sure that she would be a mother. So sure that she named baby before the baby was even conceived. Her name would be Emma. Delilah reached for the tag that hung on the doll's wrist. My name is Ella. Ella, as opposed to Emma. Delilah helped her tingles to the group pot, and she buys the doll in part because it reminds her of her almost dead child.
Makes sense.
Emotionally starting with a side of functionality just the way I like it.
Yeah.
She set the alarm side of Ella for 1:35 p.m. help wake her up for shift work, but the alarm doesn't go off. And just like that, Delilah gets her first taste of parental disappointment. So she does what any good parent would do in that situation, immediately hurls her would-be child into the nearest dumpster. Yikes, Delilah, maybe it's better that you and Richard didn't have to do after all. Anyway, she's woken at 1:35 a.m. by clock. Delilah assumes that she accidentally set the alarm for a.m. rather than p.m., which reminds me of the time I didn't bother to set the clock when I Hitachi was forced to do every day at 4 in the morning. Can't imagine why he died. Certainly not my fault. Anyway,
Yes, it is.
Scratch the doll with hands, and from that point forward, it's slowly driven insane by the doll waking her up every morning at 1:35. Meaning, you know, 1:35 is still early enough at night to get a decent night's sleep, not 3 a.m. challenge or anything like that. Whatever.
Yeah.
No mention never feels safe again. She climbs into a ventilation shaft in a building under construction and dies. Quote from the book, she never wanted things, she wanted love. Oof, it is a heartbreaker, man. The story.
At this point, you might as well just get like headphones and block out the noise, I guess.
So far, pretty sad, but this one is just.
Well, actually, I have no idea when that story is taking place, so maybe those things don't exist. Huh.
Tragic. In fact, all 3 stories from this particular book are just rough. Now, this story has 2
Yeah.
really important details in it. Details that seem to make Delilah's horrific struggle a strange nexus between both the original book canon as well as the games. So let's start with the first. In 1:35 a.m., the Delilah doll is described as a quote polar doll manufactured by Fazbear Entertainment.
Makes sense.
Quote, the booklet had a list of what Ella was designed for. She could keep time, serve as an alarm clock, manage appointments,
Yeah.
track lists, take photos, read stories, sing songs, and even serve drinks. Serve drinks, Delilah sure had. Now, in the games, we never really learned much about Henry, the creator of animatronics, but in the novel trilogy, Silver Eyes, Twisted Ones, or Closet, we get to meet not only his daughter Charlie, but also some of his other creations, including,
Yep.
you know it, a doll named Ella, who is built to serve tea. From the Silver Eyes novel, quote, outsailed Ella on her track, a child-sized doll wearing a teapot and saucer in her tiny hands like an offering, end quote. Now, across all 3 novels, we never get a solid physical description of the Ella doll, but in another book, the Freddy Files, which collects all the information about the franchise, we do see Harper's illustration of the doll, and would you know, everything matches the description of Delilah's little rod find from 1:35 a.m. Again, wearing a puffy sleeve 1980s era white blue full skirt,
Makes sense.
and a big bow around the waist, and it's the same doll, meaning that this first story is happening in the novel timeline after the events of Fourth Closet. Somehow,
Maybe.
this is the doll that Henry created for his daughter Charlie, who I need to technically remind you is his daughter, because again, remember his daughter died at a young age, and replaced her with a series of 4 robots that represent Charlie growing up at various ages, so Ella technically is an early version of his own daughter.
Yeah.
I figured I'd throw that little fact in there. Since, this is a real and totally valid plot point from a novelized series of events in this very easy to understand series. That's all. After reading the story, the way Delilah decides to hide the ventilation shaft felt really strange to me. Like, why? It was super random, but also was one of those things that felt so oddly specific that it felt like it had to have your purpose. So I dug around and found this for you. For your consideration, I present to you Night 2 of Sister Location.
So, funny story? A dead body was found in this once?
Yep.
Okay, so, that's funny, but...
How funny.
So, could Delilah be that body that was actually found in the men's of the Circuit 80s entertainment rentals? Maybe, but
no.
It's alluding that story to Sister Location rather than directly the same one. You see, we're told that Delilah's den is in a site that's under construction. A free
yeah.
that feels like an office building. Sister Location, meanwhile, takes place in an underground facility underneath the residential home. So, it's probably not the same building. At the same time, though, the story makes it clear that Delilah was drawn to this place. Quote, the answer to her plight was in here. She was sure of it. Someplace here, she was going to find a way to escape hell forever. And time and again, throughout all these Fazbear fight stories, we're shown people being drawn to the Freddy Fazbear locations through some...
Shows Alec. Doesn't show what he used to represent that one bastard from... Greg. Yeah, Greg. He didn't use Greg. You had one job, editors, and you failed. I hope someone gets fired for that blunder. That's a quote from The Simpsons.
So Delilah, or whoever died in that Sister Location, have been compelled to come there, and the story is just given us a hint as to how it happened. Maybe. Delilah's Sister Location connection might just be me reading too far and think that certainly isn't true for our second story, Room for One More. In this story, and stop me if any of this sounds familiar, Stanley is a night guard in a mysterious underground facility full of little ballerina dolls looking to escape to the surface.
Yep.
It's like in one sense, he just one FNaF bingo.
Wait, hold on. I want to see that bingo.
Full of little ballerina dolls looking to escape to the surface. It's like in one sense, he just one FNaF bingo.
Okay, let's see. We have Mike, Nightmare BB, Crying Child, Purple Guy, Rockstar Bonnie, Springtrap, Chica, Withered Freddy, one of the trash people, Freddy, Golden Freddy, the other purple guy, Balloon Boy, Markiplier Fan, Ennard, the Mango, Scott Cotton, Security Puppet, Minarina, Nightmare Young, Nightmare BB, and Withered Freddy, and Foxy Plush, and Ella. Okay.
Each night, Wolf sleeps on the job, wakes up, finds a doll on the desk, asking to go home, and family Wolf sleeps again, and he wakes up, the doll is magically gone. Over the next few days, his arms start to swell, his throat starts to bleed, and yet he keeps going to work, keeps finding dolls, keeps falling asleep. Eventually, he learns that dolls have been crawling into his mouth while he sleeps, causing his body to swell to the point of bursting. The end. Well, this story goes, be a good employee. Don't sleep on the job, otherwise little animatronic creatures are going to crawl into you and make you explode from the inside out. Also, about this story is Stanley's dreams. Each time he sleeps on duty, he has a strange dream. In the first, Funtime Foxy is a cab driver. In the second, Facility Power Soft becomes face with Funtime Freddy. In the last one, Ennard is a dentist, and Laura is his dental assistant, which I would say is one of the strangest things ever appeared in this franchise, but then again, turn your attention to this corner, we have Time Traveling Ball Pit, and Foxy, and Dear Chica. Anyway, this one's pretty obvious, right?
Yeah. Makes sense. Yep. Yeah. Probably.
Stanley's story even mentions that, quote, he staggered and stumbled down sidewalks.
Yeah.
By stairs. Some seem worried, others just annoyed and inconvenienced and see another person suffering. Which feels right on point how the cutscene related to this relation. But of the three stories in 135 AM, story number 3, New Kid, that's the most exciting part.
Yeah.
At least for James, because this one gets to the heart of what is still to this day the single biggest question of the series, and that is the identity of Golden Freddy. Totally, I thought we had this one pretty well nailed down. It was Cassie, aka the spirit from customized. And yet this story, well, it caused me to question a few things about our conclusions. First, let's go through it with summary. Devin is a 9th grade social learner alongside his own family. One day, a new kid in school named Kelsey shows interest in spending time with him. Kelsey is a good looking.
Oh no.
And he immediately attracts the attention of all the cool kids in school. And even though Kelsey and Devin make all of his friends, eventually Devin gets jealous of Kelsey because Kelsey has everything that Devin wants. And so to get some revenge, he lures him to an abandoned place restaurant long forgotten outskirts of town. His plan is to have Kelsey in a spring lock suit for a few hours to scare him, but well, you know what's gonna happen. The sheer mention of the spring lock suit immediately gives him a spoiler as what Kelsey puts on the Golden Freddy suit and gets seared alive. The blood-saturated bear is added for in seconds.
You know, it's kind of weird hearing spring lock suits mention like some modern crap. Like, they barely get mentioned every now and they barely get mentioned ever since. Like, I think the last time in the game was, well, I want to say FNaF Sister Location. Or I guess FNaF VR or Help Wanted.
Nick and Devin leave Kelsey for dead for fear of Devin being trouble, but they're not quite sure he actually died. Nearly a week later, Devin's convinced to go back and check on Kelsey, but when he does, he's in for a surprise. Kelsey is vanished. Devin eventually sticks his hand inside his mouth to feel around for Kelsey's slumped over dead body, only for the spring locks to fail again and crush his arm. As Devin lies on the floor, trapped and slowly bleeding to death, he gets a final glimpse into the suit, and well, let's just say what he sees inside rocks the foundation of what we know about this franchise. Quote, Devin waited one more attempt to free himself, the mouth open before, and Devin got a sudden glimpse inside the suit. Yes, down low, past his arm, Devin could see a body, a dead body, just like he thought he finally came back your check, but it wasn't exactly like he thought.
Yeah.
This one had curly black hair. The body in the suit wasn't Kelsey. Now, there's a lot of weird things about the story that I don't quite have answers for, but I do have some thoughts about. First and foremost is the ending. See, the book doesn't end with Devin's death like you expect. It actually continues to a final scene with Kelsey alive and well as the new kid at school introduces himself to boys. It seems at first reading like this should be a flashback when Kelsey first meets Devin at school. Like, this was the fateful meeting that eventually leads to multiple later deaths, but it's not. This is Kelsey at a new school meeting two new boys. In the story, Nick meets Kelsey first and then brings Kelsey over to meet Devin, and it'll take place in the classroom. This closing scene, meanwhile, is outside the front door of the school, and the two boys Kelsey introduces himself to are less social outcasts like Devin and more like bullies, where expressly old boys are sniggering at the passing kids. Even Kelsey's first line to them is different. It implies that Kelsey has somehow lived on after his supposed Springtrap death to old Freddy, and now he's the new kid at yet another new school, introducing himself to two new kids. And the way that this final scene is written, with Kelsey scoping out two boys from afar before he approaches them, it feels like he's actively targeting loner kids to make friends with. Could this be Kelsey's attempt to befriend kids that most overlooked and then lure them back to a Freddy's Pizzeria for some tragic incident? It seems like it would be a stretch, but let's talk about Kelsey himself. Mr. Perfect. Kelsey is a weird entity in all this. Throughout the story, there are moments when his behavior is specifically called out as slightly off. Quote from the book, Kelsey tilted his head and studied Devin for a couple seconds. For those 2 seconds, Devin had the weird feeling he was being valued.
Kelsey is Gregory. Watch GGY.
Once they're actually at the pizzeria, things go surprisingly smoothly for Devin's plan. The line in the book even goes like this, quote, this was going even better than he imagined. He thought he was going to have to talk Kelsey to try on the golden Freddy suit, but it looked like he was going to do it all on his own.
Yeah.
It was like it was meant to be. All of it seems to cast some level of suspicion on Kelsey's true motivation. That's about me mentioning the fact that his body just goes missing at the end of the book and has been skewered and led to death. To me, it feels like Kelsey may just be our vengeful spirit from Old Custom. In the story, Kelsey is described as having wavy blonde hair and blue eyes. Now, we have a pretty solid idea that his hair is striped, but it's like, wait, and it appears to be blonde, but here's the kicker. This image was created by inverting colors. This is what gives it that blown out kind of creepy appearance. If you invert the colors of the vengeful spirit's eyes, you get blue, just like Kelsey.
Keep in mind this is one of Scott's kids, probably.
A kid who is angry about his own death, perhaps in an accident, we see in FNaF 4, or in this particular story, looking to get revenge on other kids who are similar to his original killers. He goes from school to school, presumably once near Fazbear locations, to somehow trick kids into getting killed by the suits. The parallels with vengeful spirit even go to moments right around Kelsey's death in the book. This is how it's described. The sound wasn't the bad part. It was bad, yes, the bad part. The really, really bad part was the way the suit started jerking in a spastic horrific dance. It looked like moth-eaten, mildew-washed old bear pulsing, but it wasn't there, it was Kelsey. It's remarkably similar to the final cutscene from Custom Night, where we see again an angry golden Freddy.
Probably. Not really, I don't know.
Also worth noting is that the Smirnoff suits are apparently big enough for kids to slump down in the body. Devin, we initially can't find Kelsey's body, as he decides to dig deeper down into it. Quote, can Kelsey somehow slid down in the suit? Is that his hair that Devin could see? This to me confirms what we see in the story through cutscene. The strange tuft of hair that's come out of the body of the suit.
Or it could be wires. Could be wires. That's a possibility, I suppose.
Was trying to tell us what that tuft of hair was meant to be. But now, I think we can safely conclude that it is indeed a child stuffed into that body. Never only seeing the top of hair now. It would seem to imply that there was a victim before the 1983 and that the crying child was somehow aware of at least one, if not multiple, of past victims shoved inside the suit. But all this brings us to the obvious question of the story. The curly...
I want to make the joke. The victim is Michael Brooks. I'm just going to say it. If it is a tough to hear, that is Michael Brooks. I'm going to say it's Michael Brooks, unless Scott Cawthon confirms it's wires. If it is indeed a dead kid.
Black hair at the bottom of the suit.
Let me check chat.
Not sure. Cassidy, which is what we've been assuming to be Golden Freddy's name this entire time, does indeed have black hair, but it's always been described as long.
Hey.
In the work closet, we physically see Cassidy
Welcome.
described as that's Cassidy, the girl with long black hair. And in the survival logbook, where we first learned of Cassidy's name, there's this girl who again has long, black, straight hair. That's something worth pointing out.
Hey, I have to play. Please. I keep seeing you all.
Fairly consistent. Susie is always associated with her dog. She has
Hello.
hair, curls, and blue eyes. Cassidy always appears to have straight black hair. Fritz always has freckles. The names and faces of the surrounding characters may change, but the missing children all seem to be fairly consistent in both game and visual description. This is an important detail to keep track of moving forward.
Who keeps finding my channel? I'm thankful.
Both be in possession of Golden Freddy, or that Cassidy isn't really associated with Golden Freddy at all, and is instead the identity of one of the other animatronics. Because in the fourth closet, she technically wasn't the one who was associated with Golden Freddy. Honestly,
maybe.
I encourage you to do the same. The last thing worth mentioning for all of us to on is the mysterious slithering that's heard throughout the story. While the boys are exploring the identities, we hear something instantly on the walls. Oh, they're in the bathroom. Devin was pretty sure he heard something slithering through the walls. He didn't say anything. The way the other boys' faces paled, even they heard it too. They didn't mention it either. It's never mentioned again. Nothing ever comes to this strange little detail, but it's clearly important because more inexplicable, strange sounds come from the Freddy torso after Kelsey dies. In a later quote, did you leave anything else? Try to ignore the fact that the scuttling sound was coming from the bear suit. Now, this is after Kelsey has already stopped squirming and pushing. So again, we're left with some mysterious force moving around the pizzeria creating these sorts of sounds. Is it Enter? Is it the Stitch-wraith? Is it something else like that?
Could be the Blob / Tango. Yeah, apparently the Blob is named Tango, which is dumb. It's the lame Tango. There, I said it.
As you tell, it gives pretty explicit information about some of the biggest questions that this series has for us. As always, put all those pieces together. There certainly are a lot of pieces that are coming together next time as we start looking into the power of agony and the twisted timeline of FNaF's next newest murderer, the Stitch-wraith. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, get notified when that video comes out next week.
I swear that noise is just gonna jump scare me till I die.
Buy the new one.
You got that right, Game Theory. You got that right. My pen is probably viewing you or something. Finally is. This is a powerful exploit. I'll be back. Hold on, someone called for me. Yes, 3 more videos. 3 more videos. Oh. Well, you know, if I have a nickel every time there's a book series that has an important endoskeleton character, I'll have 3 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's where it happened thrice.
It's alive! It's alive! It's...
You should have dodged.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Game Theory. We're covering the scariest topic of all FNaF lore, the timeline.
Okay, that's funny.
Oh, jeez, no, I hate myself that much. We'll probably have to do that at some point down the line, but not today.
Well, it took you... Well, according to this playlist, it took you... Whoa. Around this time. Which I'll get to at some point.
What we're covering today is a different timeline. You see, there's a new monster from the FNaF universe, a killer that has horrifically taken the lives of nearly a dozen people. A killer as yet unseen in the games, but one who will, after today's theory, provide us with key insights into how this whole FNaF universe works, the true nature of remnants, and how ghosts can possess endoskeletons. As I said, he hasn't been in a game yet, and I have a feeling he'll be showing up soon, as soon as the new game's security breach. But in order to know for sure, it's our job to track his movements and understand what his goals are and where he's headed to next. You see, last FNaF theory did a surface level analysis of 1:35 AM, the latest installment of the Fazbear Frights series, and boy was that one to be, with huge revelations about sister location, old custom nights, vengeful spear, and the real identity, or should I say identities, of Golden Freddy. And looking back, since the Fazbear Frights book became a thing, I've done 5 theories on them, covering many connections that have various facets of FNaF, from Future's murder happening in 1985 to true identity, psychic Dreadbear. But despite all this new FNaF talk, there's been one element I've largely been glossing over, the Stitch-wraith. In the event that you haven't picked up any of the installments book series yet, let me catch you up. Each new book contains 3 short stories, so I guess some features look advertised on the back box, so to speak. Each one also comes with a bit of a bonus. In reality, each book is more like 3 1/5 stories. You see, each one ends with an epilogue, or a little post-credits teaser, giving us a piece of yet another story, the tale of the Stitch-wraith, a story that appears to be spanning out across the ending of each and every book in this new series. And that alone would be pretty darn cool, right? Also, it's a brilliant marketing tactic. Keep us eyeing more just to the end of this thing. Slow clap, slow clap. But 3 seconds in, it's becoming clear that the tale of Stitch-wraith isn't just another horror tale. It's instead a running thread throughout nearly every other shorter story that we've been reading through, which in turn seems connected both to the original trilogy of books as well as the games. So in order to understand what this thing is and where the lore is headed, it's time to go Easter egg hunting for a monster. Now, admittedly, my first year in the Fazbear Frights books briefly covered the Stitch-wraith, and back then I assumed he was entered. Black cloak and wearing a white mask with features drawn in thick black marker. The description specifically calls out his 2 eyes, one of which appears to be blacked out, a big toothy grin with blood on mouth, and a limping or shambling walk. White mask, blacked out eye, shamble shape. It seems like a slam dunk for enter. However, the epilogue for 1:35 AM threw that hypothesis out the window, as it revealed just exactly how the Stitch-wraith was brought to life. A process that actually reveals a lot about how this series' mythos works. In this epilogue, introduced Dr. Phineas Taggart, now confused with his friend Dr. Ferb Fletcher.
Ferb, I know what guy. Ferb, I know what. Edwin Murphy, I know what we're doing today.
This is a bit of a mad scientist type studying the untapped power of human emotion. As he says himself, quote, human emotion is slower to impact, more insidious. It emanates from us, or is excreted from us in sweat or tears, and it wafts outward like an
You know, I might still type it in.
In particular, his research is centered around the intense emotion of agony. In order to study, we see that Phineas selects hundreds of haunted objects to search for this emotion trapped inside. Again, from the book, word haunted means showing signs of torment or some kind of mental anguish. These items on Phineas' shelves weren't possessed by ghosts. The ones that were truly haunted were energized by agony. Agony, I'm convinced, radiates farther from people than any other emotion, he said. My work is focused on my hypothesis that you can take the saturation of agony, add any sort of intelligence, even an artificial one, and they'll combine together to transmute the energy of emotion into the energy of physical action. This, I believe, is what explains what people call haunted objects. And already when you start to see how this all ties in what we already know about this franchise, in FNaF 6's Insanity, we were introduced to the blueprint outlining how the sister location super worked. And it was not what we expected, to say the least. Through those blueprints, we learned about the mystery metal cold remnant, the ability to supposedly give life to objects that it touches. The novel Fourth Closet one step further and showed us the remnant metal was created and used. In that story, we watched as William Afton melts down pieces of old animatronics, creating a remnant suit that he then uses to give life to new living robots. Specifically, the fun kind of animatronics. Quote, on the heating table rested endoskeletons of the original Freddy's animatronics, welded and melted together, immobile and featureless, and still inhabited by the spirits of children who had been murdered inside of them some years ago, still filled with life and motion and thought, all trapped, all
debatable, I guess.
If we remember back to Canon stories of 5 things always becoming one thing, 5 things getting sewn together, or 5 keys melted down in one, this is exactly what those stories were referring to. But Phineas' experiments in 1:35 AM actually take one step further and give us more insight into the true nature of remnants. Things that are brought to life weren't necessarily infused with a soul, but instead with agony, with intense human emotion, with extreme human suffering. This is important because it means that characters like Balloon Boy, the Big Babs, and the Mini Weedos, and Sister Location, and even animatronics like Magwell don't necessarily need to have actual victims associated with them.
Yeah.
Usually solving mysteries of this.
Honestly, I still kind of like that headcanon that the toy animatronics are possessed. We have 5 new victims at the FNaF 2 location, and we've gotten like 5 new robots that aren't possessed, so I kind of like that headcanon. I might work that into like my own AU. That's gonna take a while, you know, write the script and such.
series is having it be 1-1 all the time. Susie equals Chica, Charlie equals the puppet, Cassidy equals Golden Freddy. But we're starting to learn that there are other ways to bring things to life in the series. That some animatronics may contain multiple souls, like we talked about last time with Golden Freddy, and some might not contain any souls at all, as long as it always ties back to some extreme tragedy filled with this all-powerful emotion of agony. So that little analysis plays at the back of our story. We see things like objects associated with horrific tragedies, and some means funnel all agony from them down into an endoskeleton, which we're specifically told is in the case handed bones, so we're talking like FNaF 1 or FNaF 2 era endoskeleton here. Freddy has puts the head of a large 3-foot doll on it. The doll whose description bears a shocking similarity to Lang, actually, from fan game 5.
Funny.
And finally, a battery pack before turning this beast on. And not only does this modern Frankenstein come to life, it immediately kills its creator, Phineas, seemingly by accident, surprisingly, and then runs off, hiding under a black cloak. The Stitch-wraith has been born.
Yeah.
Okay, why am I making such a big deal out of this thing? Why does this guy deserve an episode? Well, because solving the Stitch-wraith story in these books is like a game unto itself. You see, there have been very subtle clues hidden around 9 other stories in the series that connect things back to the Stitch-wraith. My first clue with battery pack is uses the power of the Stitch-wraith as he's building it. Because it's not just any battery pack. It came from Fetch, the murder animatronic dog from book 2 of the series. Quote, the item in the second box was an animatronic dog that clearly no longer functioned. The dog was an ugly dog, with a triangle-shaped head and a wide mouth full of sharp teeth. In minutes, he revealed the dog's battery pack. So you know that the Stitch-wraith story is happening after the events of the Fetch story from book number 2. So I dug around deeper and more connections kept coming.
Makes sense.
In Toy Story 135 about haunted Ellegal, there's one line referencing a man named Phineas looking online for a particular toy. Well, again, one of the searches for special Ellegal led her to an online ad posted by a user named Phineas who was trying to find one of the dolls. His ad referenced the special Ellegal and said he was willing to pay a premium for the doll's energy. Overall, across the 9 stories published so far, 7 seem to tie back to the Stitch-wraith, allowing us to create a rough timeline of events. So bear with me as we go through this. We know that 135 and Fetch must come first because Phineas is alive and Ellegal, like I just mentioned, and the evil robot dog has just started his murder spree. From there comes the story we just covered, Epilogue 3 and the Stitch-wraith's creation. After that, he begins to roam the city collecting body parts for some purpose. Do you remember book number 1 story, Be Beautiful, in which Baby hacks apart a human girl named Sarah in order to steal her identity? Sarah is rebuilt out of junk only for her fault pieces again. Well, in Epilogue number 1, we hear that the Stitch-wraith was seen collecting those junk pieces of Sarah. Odd, right? It's not the only time that happens either. In book number 2, there's the story of Stock, about a group of friends who steal a defective Glitchtrap doll, along with oddly human-like eyes and teeth, only for it to go on a rampage. The boys manage to escape by luring it from an oncoming train where it gets shattered to pieces. And again, in Epilogue number 2, we see the Stitch-wraith on the scene salvaging whatever he can find on the room box. And that's where it would seem to end if it weren't for one other small detail. You see, in one of the stories,
makes sense.
For one more about a security guard being forced to mini unit dolls in the basement of the circus babies entertainment rentals, there's a massive reference to a restaurant called the Snack Space. And I was going to think about where Luigi's the other night, saw Rex on a date with the manager of the Snack Space. Seems super important, right? Well, it would be if this was the only time that it was mentioned, but it's popped up in one of the other stories. In Into the Pit, the very first story about the time-traveling ball pit, the Snack Space is where the protagonist's father works, which means that Circus Babies Entertainment Rental's sister location is also in that world, which in turn connects into one final story, Count the Waves, where we see an old, broken, one-time Freddy planning to execute a girl trapped inside the stomach.
Makes sense.
Aren't necessarily directly tied to the Stitch-wraith, it certainly feels like at some point all of these stories will come together, as though we're working on chunks of a larger puzzle.
Yeah.
We've got a big chunk over here, that's the Stitch-wraith connection, and a big chunk over here that's all connected through sister location and the Snack Space, and then you have a few other random pieces over here, and by that I expect all of them will come together. So assuming that they are all connected, the timeline seems to go about like this. Lonely Freddy, the story about kids getting minds
makes sense.
has to be first, because it's the only one of these stories so far where Fazbear locations are open and ready for business. At some point, Freddy Fazbear closes, leading to a room for one more about the underground facility filled with the arenas to escape, which would parallel what we hear in sister location.
Due to the massive success and even more so the unfortunate closing of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, it was clear that the stage was set, no pun intended, for another contender show entertainment.
At some point, Baby and the mini escape that underground facility, leading to 135 AM, with Phineas looking for the doll, and Greg activating the murder dog and abandoned Freddy Fazbear's in Fetch. From there, the next major moment is Stitch-wraith's creation in Epilogue 3, which then leads to its body parts in Be Beautiful Epilogue 1 and Out of Stock Epilogue 2. We also know that Into the Pit and the New Kid happened near the end of the timeline since the old feature closed down, forgotten,
makes sense.
Also, there's Count the Waves, which is towards the end of this timeline group with these other stories since retired fun and Freddy just randomly sitting in the garage killing kids. What does all this tell us? What was the purpose of doing all this work? Well, first, all this seems to connect us pretty solidly into the book trilogy. The fact that we have an Ellegal used with agony Phineas wants his hands on perfectly matches the Ellegal that Henry made for his daughter Charlie. To quote from the fourth closet, agony erupted, flooding the room with its sound. A man lay curled on the floor, something cradled tight in his arms, and when his mouth opened, the room shook with the sound of his anguish. Who is that? Charlie said anxiously. What is he holding? You don't recognize her? Elizabeth said. That's Ella, of course. All your father left after you were 8. He cried over that cheap store-bought rag doll for 2 months, cried into it, led into it, poured his grief over it. At which point he makes the robotic Ellegal that we talked about in that episode. So what we're seeing in these stories appears to be, at least to some extent, the aftermath of that trilogy of books, which also means that we might already know the true identity of the Stitch-wraith. It's a bit
maybe.
I think that the endoskeleton that powers the Stitch-wraith, the body that conduit for all this agony, is the same
Circus baby. Why do you exist?
End his own life. The stabbing robot, which, to be honest, is like the most complicated way to do that sort of thing. Like, build a robot to stab you to death? What? Creative effects, man, they're weird. Anyway, we're told that it's a basic Gen 1 endoskeleton with an unfinished face, which would explain
uses a Gen 2 endoskeleton.
exactly my face needs to depend on it. Quote from Sunrise, you could see its face. If you call the face, its features were scarcely formed, crude, and shapeless. Its blind eyes were only raised balls like eyes of a statue, seeing nothing but his own grief. We also know that this endoskeleton would be absolutely filled to the brim with agony.
Nope, I'm not gonna make the easy joke.
A murder bot built by a grieving father is a pretty huge deal, and it's apparently an important enough character to this franchise to have also appeared at the end of the book trilogy. Charlie attacked by Baby is this same murder bot, this trusty knife that Charlie uses to do a whole thing. I have a very strong theorist instinct that the Stitch-wraith will, at some point during this book series, be revealed to be connected back to Henry and his death. The same, the pieces are in place for it.
Staying connected.
Okay, it's at least 5 seconds. I can handle 5-second unskippable ads.
Oh yeah, and assuming that the Fazbear series is connected to closer to the book trilogy, like it appears to be, we know that book 5, Bunny Call, features a story about a man with gruesome burns over his body and an iron-willed lip. I mean, we already suspected that was going to happen, but going back to see how his story ended in the fourth closet, we see that his death is far from certain. In his final moments, his hospital gown catches fire, he's pulled into a massive furnace.
Oh yeah, I forgot to see that part.
And that burning actually kills him. Therefore, a burned man in a hospital who refuses to die sounds like a certain yellow bunny we all know who always comes back. And with that,
I'm just imagining William H just doing the default dance from Fortnite. saying he's coming back.
Man, it's been a lot. The new one comes out in early July, so at the very least I get a break for a couple weeks. Thank goodness. No.
Oh no!
I'm these days. 2020 is really starting to mess with my head. I need to relax.
Okay, I know what this is. I don't care for it. Oh wait, it's the science of... No, I don't care about you! Oh my gosh! Oh, this is... I don't care, I don't care, I don't care, I don't care, I don't fucking care, I don't fucking...
Fight and chill. The feeling you get when you're on budget.
You know what? It's 5
and on
seconds.
cloud
I can handle 5 seconds. If you're unskippable, I am refreshing. Play. This is literally a PNG of Foxy.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory. The show that is without exaggeration thinking of reaching out to Scott Cawthon so that we can jointly buy Chuck E. Cheese's quickly dying restaurant franchise. We can transform into what they were always meant to be.
Oh no, not this part. I don't give a crap. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care.
Can't wait to deliver more. It's been a lot of work, but it's really fun. Alright, a new month, a new FNaF book, a new set of lore reveals. Earlier this month, the latest Fazbear Fright book, Step Closer, hits store shelves, and even though it has a super forgettable name, the stories inside of it are epic. Not just because they're some of the most gruesome in the series. Page 1 literally starts with a dream sequence where a kid's eye is popped by Foxy's foot, but because of the lore drops that are happening in this thing, they are huge. Up to this point, Fazbear Fright books have given us interesting concepts to chew on, fleshing out the world of FNaF, and insights into events that we already had a pretty good handle on. It's been useful, certainly, but nothing too earth-shattering. Animatronics have people stuffed inside them. Confirmed outright in book 1. People have animatronics stuffed inside of them. Confirmed in book 3. Everything is Frights and agony, missing children incident, probably happened in 1985. Animatronics conceal identities, humans can be body swapped with animatronics. Home and Freddy might have multiple souls trapped inside, and hosts may be able to escape from their animatronic prisons to lure more people to them. Like, there has been a lot across all of these stories, hence I've been covering these books so much. But Step Closer's lore drops are attacking some of the biggest lingering questions still in existence from the games. The ones presented to us by the 2 most frustrating games in the franchise, FNaF 4 and FNaF 6. Questions that are still hotly debated by the FNaF community. So today we're looking at the first of those debates, the ones related to FNaF 4. Looking at what those answers mean for the rest of the series. Today, we confirm the identity of this guy, the older brother, Foxy Bro. Real quick, before we get to the meat of this theory, let's quickly steer our way through probably the least important story of this new trio, the middle one, titled Dance With Me.
Okay. Is it because Coming Home is literally about Susie? Okay.
A young woman's coming from a tragic childhood. She lives on the street picking pockets and nabbing purses. One day, she robs a mother and a young girl outside a circus baby's piece of wood, which we're told has itself a big red door. Woo, 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 woo. Potentially more detail alert. Anyway,
This is a change from Freddy's. To quote Ellis Mark.
That she has a set of cardboard glasses. When Casey was on, she sees a hologram of Ballora spinning in the distance. Weirded out by this, she has other people try glasses on, and no one else manages to see Ballora. From that point onward, each time she puts on glasses, the hologram gets closer and closer, which begins to freak her out to the point of her leaving town and trying to put her life back together in hopes that it gets Ballora to leave her alone. A couple cities and failed jobs later, Casey eventually decides to return the stolen items to the mother and the daughter, hoping that it'll make amends. The family welcomes her together, but when the little girl Isabella puts the glasses on, she not only sees Ballora, but she immediately begins dancing. It's a very vague ending because it's unclear whether Ballora, who was one step away from getting Casey, instead nabs the girl because she's the one who puts the glasses on next, and dancing is the girl becoming possessed, or if it's the girl just excited to be dancing alongside one of her favorite characters, Laura. Anyway, there's not a whole lot to talk about this one. The technology is super strange. Freddy's is apparently advanced enough to have holographics that work in cheap cardboard glasses for kids. That'd be strange enough, but there's also some extra weirdness that holograms can interact with the physical world. We see throughout the story that this Ballora hologram has leaves and causes them to swirl around her. To quote from the story, there was Ballora, pure wedding on colorful fall leaves. As she spun, the bright leaves were sucked into her vortex. For a few seconds, Casey admired the beauty, but then she thought, wait, if Ballora is just a picture, a hologram, then how is she affecting the objects around her? It didn't make sense. Welcome to the world of being a FNaF fan, Casey. It didn't make sense. Prepare to get that one tattooed on your
Okay, that's funny.
forehead. But in all seriousness, it does raise a big question. Is she actually a hologram or just invisible and the glasses are somehow revealing her? It's unclear. Can't be talking a lot about those weird little details that just seem so unspecific for a book to call out that it feels like the book is trying to tell us something. And this seems like one of them. I could spend a lot of time trying to figure it out. To my knowledge, holographic or invisible animatronics haven't really been a thing yet in the franchise, so we'll just have to cross that bridge when it becomes important. Unless, oh damn it, might be a fan of animatronics. No, they don't interact with the real world, do they? That's what you about the story though, is its recurring theme of mothers and motherhood. A lot of the backstory that
I like how Mappa just doesn't like the Phantom animatronics.
Casey has a troubled relationship with her mom, which played a big part in how her life ended up the way it did. Casey throughout the story is also visited by an older woman at a bus station that gives her grandmother advice. She's saved from the police by another elderly woman. She makes amends with that mother and daughter that have a relationship that she envies. I mean, it couldn't be anything too much about this big surprise, but it doesn't feel like a coincidence that Ballora is the main animatronic featured in a story about motherly relationships. I had a theory a long time ago, 2 years ago. Ballora was some sort of stand-in for Mrs. Afton. Not in any sort of creepy way, take your mind out of the gutters. I mean, that she represents the wife that William Afton lost.
I didn't think that.
He abandoned in the aftermath of his daughter getting clawed to death by 80.
But now thanks to the visual image, Mappa.
For a sister location.
Now I have the image of an 8-bit purple man with a robotic ballerina. Thanks for the image.
Inside your wall, when there is music in my hall, all I see is an empty room, no more joy, an empty
empty tomb. An empty tomb, aka the bedroom where our tragically deceased child William hides inside his walls by diving even deeper into his work. It's something that William's partner Henry does in the original novel trilogy. He loses his daughter, he shuts out the rest of the world, hiding behind his walls and obsessing over his work to try and bring her back. And so when William does this in games, his wife is left alone and probably ends up leaving him.
And you become the CEO of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, or Fazbear Entertainment. If you're all confused by this, wait until we get to... More scrolling. Wait until we get to here. That's gonna take you a lot of videos.
Yeah, as such, as some sort of coping mechanism, William recreates her animatronic form, depicting her with perpetually shut eyes because William, she was blind to what needed to be done to rebuild the family. Blind to the fact that his work is so important.
Close to halfway done.
Or at least that's how he felt from his perspective. William Afton was mired in his own misery of loss. Like I said, it's been a stretch and something that I've lightly talked about before, but I thought the connection between Laura and Mothers in this story is particularly interesting and worth calling out. Anyway, onward to the real story I want to address today.
Yes.
Closer, which isn't just sparking new theories, but straight up confirming stuff that we've argued about for years. In it, we meet Pete, a 16-year-old who, due to their parents' divorce, has to babysit his little brother, Chuck the Chump. One day, while watching him at a Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, Pete, knowing about having to be the responsible one, decides to
I'm gonna prank my little brother like a child.
scare Chuck a little by taking him backstage to see an out-of-service Foxy. Pete fires up the machine and Chuck runs away, leaving Pete alone to get seemingly hypnotized by Foxy's performance. A performance that repeats one line over and over. You can be a pirate, but first you'll have to lose an eye and an arm. And from there, you can guess what happens. Over the next few days, Pete is in multiple accidents that put either his eye or his arm in danger. A scalpel nearly hits his eye and sidesteps. A butcher knife almost chops off his hand. A buzzsaw blade shoots out at him from the nearby construction site. He gets hooked in the face by a fishing line, and he almost loses a hand to a Chinese finger trap at a school carnival. And with two brothers,
Imagine losing your hand to his Chinese finger trap. That's embarrassing.
eventually McMahon's come to the realization that Pete needs to face down Foxy and break some curse. He rushes to Freddy's, but in his panic, he's hit by an oncoming truck and killed out of nowhere. It's this
You are dead.
reveal that he
No
absolutely
big
does nothing.
surprise.
So bad for this kid. You're like, oh, he's apologized to his brother, they have a good relationship, they have a plan for getting Pete out of this after being brutalized for the better part of a week. He's on his way to close off the story, and then bam, it just ends. And that wouldn't be where the story ends, except for one thing. Pete is still alive, kind of. We pick up back in the hospital where Pete's soul is trapped inside of his own dead body. Pete is an organ donor. Against his will, I might add. Thanks a lot for sending up that one, Mom. They just got an emergency request for, you guessed it, an eye and a hand. Pete is forced to helplessly watch as his body is taken apart by surgeons. Like I said at the beginning of this episode, the story is shocking. What's even more shocking is the lore confirmation that we get in this thing. Pete's story 100% confirms for us that Foxy Bro, the older kid from FNaF 4 who repeatedly traumatizes his younger brother before eventually getting him chopped in the jaws of Dreadbear,
It's just a prank, bro.
that is undeniably Michael Afton. 100% no doubt. It's something that we strongly suspect for a while, something that later evidence started to throw into question, but this story, happening 5 years after that game's initial release, finally clears it up for us. Obviously, there are some superficial similarities here. Pete has a younger brother who's scared of the animatronics, just like Foxy Bro has the crying child, his younger brother who's scared of the animatronics. Pete is connected to Foxy throughout the story, just like the brother in the Foxy mask. Chuck's parents are divorced, just like it seems William and his Afton game, leaving the older brothers alone to care for their younger
Makes
siblings.
sense.
At one point in the story, Pete's hand starts to turn purple, which points us back to Michael Afton and his sister location physically turning purple. And lastly, that final scene where Pete should be dead, but isn't, which exactly mirrors the iconic words of one Michael Afton.
Father, it's me, Michael. I should be dead, but I'm not.
Water. It's me, Michael. Why do I have to be purple? I hate that color. Also, why do I sound like you? I know they think I look like you, but still.
All of it is just a bunch of weak parallels between Foxy Bro and Michael, Pete, and Foxy Bro and
Yep.
Pete. How do we know for sure that all three of these characters are connected? One word, gum. People
Gum.
ask me a lot when I come up with these theories, and more often than not, these small details that just stick out as off for the author
Yeah.
and designer to conclude. As though they're purposely seeding these details out there to try and signal something to us. And in this particular story, the odd character detail of Pete is that he chews gum a lot. Page 4, he's chewing watermelon gum while watching his brother. Later, when he's scared by the Foxy animatronic, the book makes
Yummy
sense
gum.
swallowing that gum. Okay, that's fine, that's a one-off thing, no big deal. But later, on the way to the butcher shop, we're told that he quote pops a wad of watermelon gum into his mouth. On the boat fishing with his dad, he wishes he had brought his watermelon gum. It is mentioned a lot. In
Skill
this story.
issue.
Not that it's sparking fear since maybe flag it to look into later. Now, obviously, at no point during FNaF 4 or at any of the games do we see a character
Now, I kind of wish we show either Foxy Bro or Crying Child, like, getting to, like, a piece of gum and probably eating it, so that way we can confirm who is who. Who is Michael Afton?
actively chewing gum. Silly, but that's not the only place that we see these characters this
Yeah.
Let me direct your attention back to the FNaF Survival Logbook. Who knew that a book with dabbing Chica as an active selling feature would become the single most important item for lore solving in this franchise? Let's remember this little gem. It's the logbook, originally owned by Mike, who's the middle page that helped us to solve for Cassidy's name. And would you know what, today it's also the thing that's going to now reveal to us Michael Afton's true identity. Page 49 quotes list 10 bad habits you like to break. Number 1, chewing gum excessively. Pete, there it is, clean as day. Pete chews gum excessively. Michael Afton chews gum excessively. Pete eventually turns purple and comes back to life after being dead. Michael Afton eventually turns purple and comes to life after being dead. Pete is an older brother who scares his younger sibling using Foxy. Foxy
Like a Chad.
is an older brother who scares his younger sibling with Foxy. Pete equals Michael, and Michael equals FNaF 4's Foxy Bro. Done, confirmed, another character identity locked. This detail has been sitting in the logbook for years, just waiting to be used. Kind of impressive. Well done there, Scott. Well done. This confirmation tells us everything we need to know about Michael's motivation for the rest of the game series. He's avenging his brother's death, the one that he made happen. When Golden Freddy appearances are accompanied by the words, "It's me," it is literally the younger brother saying, "It's me." I'm here with his older brother. But of course, it is never that easy. This same security logbook, this thing that has been so pivotal to solving so many mysteries of this franchise, raises just as many challenges. Because sure, here it just confirmed the Foxy Bro connection, but then it also has lines like these. Page 103, the party was for you.
And we get to go there.
In reference to psychic friend Dreadbear. Page 23, what's your favorite childhood toy? A plastic purple telephone. Page 20, what do you remember? And most troublesome of all, page 31, do you remember your name? All of these
Q who China plays in Descendants 2 singing "What's My Name."
questions, he pointed to the crying child. The party was for him. His favorite boy was the purple telephone. Fredbear did talk to him and never to Foxy Bro as far as we know. In fact, these are the exact questions that got us to throw the Foxy Michael connection away so many years ago. Why would the spirit in this book, Cassidy, be telling Mike things that are very clearly true of the crying child? If Mike was indeed the older brother the entire time, like this latest Fazbear Frights story just confirmed for us, it doesn't make sense. Which is why now we have to solve these last two questions. What do you remember? Do you remember your name? I mean, yeah, I do remember my name. It's Mike. I wrote Mike on the first page of the book, didn't I? Unless Mike never truly was my name. The question that we're left with, and the question I pose to you that I still need to think through is, what did Michael forget? And how did he forget? Was he the Mike of 87 victims? Is that how he lost his memory? Did some sort of other trauma cause him memory loss? And more importantly, is there some other strange connection between Michael and the crying child? Like, seriously, why would the book say that the party was for Michael when FNaF 4 clearly tells us that it's not? I can't believe that this is just some sort of fake. This book is so precisely engineered to be linchpin in too many mysteries of this franchise for that to be the case. So could that connection between two brothers be the reason why Michael's name might somehow be different? All theories for another day, my friends, but at least for now, we're one more confirmed step closer to getting the answers we've been looking for so long. So maybe that's the reason why the story is in fact called Step Closer, because otherwise that bit of a story about a kid losing an eye and arm just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Next time, we tackle Susie and her connections with FNaF 6. In the meantime, remember that food theory exists.
And we never got in that video. Okay. This one and the other one is next.
We're anesthesiologists.
I know it's not even walking, okay.
Emergency medicine physicians.
PNG.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory, where today's episode is perhaps the single most important that we've done on FNaF lore in a long, long time. Today, my friends, our goal is to solve Golden Freddy. That's right, FNaF. I just decided to use my favorite golden boy in the thumbnail today because this episode is all about him. It's them, which I gotta be honest is pretty good because I'm running out of ways to make old Yeller over here look interesting in the thumbnail. We do only got like 2 decent quality images in the entire 6-year history of this franchise. Say what you will about milking this franchise, right? We've milked that image dry. If only every other character in this franchise was this clickable. But seriously, with the recent release of Bunny Call, the 5th Fazbear Fright book, I think we have enough information now to finally put together a quasi-definitive answer on who is in that iconic golden suit, which, to be honest, is like the biggest mystery to me in this franchise at this point. Some of this one is like obtaining the first of 3 massive holy grails when it comes to the lore of this franchise. But in order to do it, we're gonna have to look at the games, the books, and the spin-offs. And by the end, we'll have ourselves an answer that not only fits with the established lore of both game and book, but also an answer that satisfies pretty much everything about this character. An answer that irons out all the wrinkles and frustrations that I've had with concocting past theories about this guy. Oh, and also just fix a little bit of the scabbed-over wound of a past theory. Just enough that I might get infected. So are you ready to have your mind blown? Are you ready to finally have the answer to this mystery that has been 6 years in the making? Well, then let's begin with the Stitch-wraith. For those of you who missed it, the Stitch-wraith story is happening in small chunks at the end of each Fazbear Fright book. Kind of like a MCU post-credits teaser minus color-shifting nanos. It's about an animatronic suit pieced together from the haunted spare parts of various toys and robots. Given life through the power of human agony. Now that it's alive, the creature is wandering the city, collecting more haunted boys and killing people with its zappy hands, sucking their bodies dry and making them cry oily black tears. And up to this point, that's pretty much all we know about this.
Alright.
We need to conclude that the reason we're reading this thing is to prove the existence of remnants and how it works via negative human emotions. Maybe set him up as a new villain for the upcoming game security breach. Or, at the very least, that's what I thought. Oh no, dear theorists. The Stitch-wraith is far more important than we could have ever imagined. In epilogue of book number 4, Step Closer, we meet Andrew and Jake, the 2 souls who find themselves trapped inside the Stitch-wraith. And the conversation that they have when they first meet starts to give us some of the lore drops that we have been waiting years to hear. Quote from the book. Now Jake was inside an elf thing. He didn't know enough about anything to understand what it was, but he did know that he wasn't alone. He was sharing this strange place. Oh, hi, Jake said. I'm Jake, who are you? Andrew. The child's voice was rough. He sounded a little like a boy Jake used to know in school. A boy who was always talking back to the teacher and getting himself in trouble. Jake thought Andrew sounded angry. Very angry. End quote. We're told that even though both their fused in the same endoskeleton, Jake is the only one able to move the Stitch-wraith's body. He's also the only one capable of seeing the outside world. Andrew is blind to it all. Kind of like those 2-man horse costumes. You never want to wind up being blind to those things, especially on Chipotle days. No, oh no. So mad. Me too, if I was forced to spend an eternity looking at someone else's soul loss. However, it's never talk about their former lives that things start to get really my memories are kind of fuzzy, Jake said. Fuzzy, yeah, so are mine. Yeah. Responded. But I do remember wanting to get back at someone who hurt me. I think I attached myself to him. I got into his soul, made sure he couldn't move on when he should have died. I remember I wanted him to suffer, the way he made me suffer. I remember they tried to kill him, but I wasn't gonna let him go until I was ready.
Chad move, let's be real.
You could also say that Andrew was a spirit wanting revenge, a literal vengeful spirit. Now, loyal FNaF theorists have an idea where this is all going. Right back when Ultimate Custom Night first came out, we theorized that the entire game was willing to have to trap in a fiery hexscape, a constant cycle of torture and torment at the hands of his victims. Or should I say one victim in particular, the spirit of Golden Freddy. Sure, he was told by the names, the one you should not kill, the vengeful spirit, but in the end, by doing the impossible of that game and beating 50-20 mode, it's revealed that Golden Freddy lingers on, twitching with rage, refusing to move on.
Imagine the plot twist that Dee Dee is actually Cassidy. That would actually be kind of funny.
And here, Andrew is pretty much confirming exactly that. Sounds like the children celebrating. It looks like we got one right. Or should I say mostly right? What's interesting about the whole Jake Andrew conversation from book is that back with Ultimate Custom Night, we assumed that William Afton was dead and that this was just his afterlife in purgatory or EGL hockey sticks or whatever. He died in Henry's fire, the one that was set at the end of FNaF 6, the one meant to bring the whole series to a close. I mean, how could he not be dead? Henry even had that awesome final line for him.
Although for one of you, the darkest pit of hell has opened its swallowing hole, so don't keep the devil waiting, old friend.
You don't just survive one-liners like that. And here, Andrew says that he was actively keeping his killer alive against everyone's attempts on his life. So does that mean that Afton still? No.
I always come back.
He attack, he protect, he always come back. But just because William may have been kept alive in the book lore doesn't necessarily mean that he was left alive in the game lore too. Well, it shouldn't, but I think it does. Fast forward to this month in our newest book, Bunny Call. What was originally supposed to be the 5th and final installment in the Fazbear Frights series. A literal 5 books at Freddy's. Until this got extended, now we have ourselves the bonus 6th and 7th night books. And while the first 2 stories in this game are interesting and certainly worth talking about on a different day, it's the 3rd one, The Man in Room 1280, that ties to our Golden Freddy history today. So now, if you've heard this one before, it's about a mysterious man in a hospital, burned well beyond the point of death, and yet somehow he remains alive. Quote from the book. Man had no face. A hole in his skull indicated where his nose used to be. Dark cavernous pits lacking eyes looked at nothing. A toothless mouth gaped without lips to protect it. We'd be remiss if we didn't warn you. We know what that is. Evil, Father Blythe, evil. In fact, the hospital staff is so convinced that he's the embodiment of evil that they tried to kill him multiple times. Via injections, via smothering, via seances, but nothing will do it. He cannot be killed, but not for the reasons that you would expect. It's not an iron will to live or a remnant that's flowing through his veins that's keeping him alive. It's a ghost. Each attempt on patient's life is thwarted by the ghost of a boy with curly white hair wearing an alligator mask. In fact, the two seem to be intertwined with each other. The story informs us about the patient's brain patterns and they're a bit unusual. According to the hospital sleep expert, that particular REM pattern indicates nightmares. Horrific nightmares.
Yeah.
There. Nurse pointed at one part of the brain scan. Two signals means two living things, two entities. They're both vying for control of the brain. They're at odds with each other. We think they're tormenting each other. Something like Andrew, right? Andrew attached himself to the man who killed him and refuses to let him die, so he didn't torment him. Which is the exact relationship between the vengeful spirit and William Afton in games. And if there was any doubt about who this mysterious man in the hospital is, the patient wants to go to a Fazbear distribution center and we're told that the Stitch-wraith mystery somehow tied to a serious fire involving Freddy's and former owners of the business. Every which way to Sunday, this is our William Afton stand-in for these books. Andrew is our vengeful spirit stand-in, and it feels like the book is trying to tell us that custom night wasn't purgatory or heck, it was Afton's living nightmare as he was laying in a hospital bed recovering. William Afton may still be alive, or maybe he was alive and then he eventually explodes. Yeah, the story ends with William's carcass being wheeled out in the Fazbear distribution center and then it literally blows up like a bomb. This is gross and gory and disgusting as you would expect it to be. Maybe it's a good thing these books don't have pictures. My personal guess is that this is what releases the angry spirit of Andrew into lots of other toys like Fetch and Glitchtrap, and they also know Afton's soul gets itself into a computer chip and eventually gives life to Glitchtrap. Okay, this has been a lot about Afton, and I promise that this will be a mega theory about Golden Freddy. So how does it all connect together? Well, notice how I describe Andrew's ghost, a boy with curly hair and an alligator mask. It's the same hair as the mysterious dead body found inside Golden Freddy's suit back in Fazbear Frights number 3. Quote,
that's true.
Down low, past his arm, Devin could see a body, a dead body, but it wasn't exactly like you thought he'd find. This one had curly black hair. The lore of the series doesn't tend to give us a lot. So one thing it tends to keep relatively consistent is hair. So knowing that Andrew is an angry spirit with curly black hair and that Golden Freddy has a body inside it with curly black hair, Andrew is pretty clearly our Golden Freddy kid, which makes things related to Andrew roughly related to Cassidy back in the games. Want even more of an connection between them? The name Cassidy is derived from an Irish surname meaning clever or curly hair. Actually, that little fact which Redditor Shrek the First could find on Irish would have never thought to lose the name Cassidy. So even though Andrew may not be named Cassidy in the books, he is still representing the origin of the name through his hair. Now here is why all of this matters. Both Andrew in the books and Cassidy in the games are missing children's innocent victims, stuffed inside suits and angry enough to either killer in a purgatory state so he can be tortured. Seems like a pretty slam dunk there. We know that up to this point the books have been hinting at the fact that Golden Freddy may have more than one soul inside him. And in these stories we see Andrew actively upset that he has to share an endoskeleton with another dead kid. So is it possible that in these Golden Freddy is possessed by both Cassidy and the Bug of 83 victim, vengeful spirit and the crying child, just like Andrew sharing?
Honestly, I like the idea of Golden Bow. It's probably not true, but I always like the idea.
After all, we know via clues in the text, as well as book number 6's description, that his endoskeleton mate Jake is a nice kid who died tragically in a hospital. We know that the crying child is also a nice kid who dies tragically in a hospital, even though he got bit before. Now, admittedly, that alone is a weak sauce connection, I admit. What's not weak sauce, though, is that evidence is actually out there to prove that two spirits are in Golden Freddy. So last month we proved that Foxy Bro is definitely Michael Afton. It is a huge confirmation from the series, but that came with a set of problems, specifically in the form of the security logbook. The problem is that the spirit Cassidy in the book seems to be talking to Mike about things that only apply to Bug of 83 victims, saying things like the party was for you, and talking about his plastic purple telephone. It doesn't make sense if Cassidy is talking to Michael Afton. But what if Cassidy isn't talking to Mike? What if Cassidy is having a conversation with someone else, with a second spirit? So the logbook doesn't just have one person in it, it has two. This was brought to my attention by a comment on YouTube from Inky, who says it's not useful reading YouTube comments, right? Quote, I direct you now to pages 89 and 109, where we see a spirit replying to Faded's questions through alternate text existing in the book. Therefore, we know that Faded is not talking to Mike, but talking to Mike's brother, who is also in the logbook. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I gotta say, that is the best TED Talk I've ever seen. Definitely people know about how to dry your hands using a single paper towel.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
And Inky isn't wrong here either. I would have to double check. One of the things that Faded text says is that the party was for you, and right there on page 89 is the answer, it was for me. A statement and an acknowledgement of that statement. A conversation. Two spirits, one book. Two spirits, one animatronic. For years, they've been frustrated by the fact that the crying child, the bug victim of 83, would have made the most sense to pass into Golden Freddy body, but it never lined up with the fact that 5 kids died during this children's incident.
I feel ya.
One of them would have had to have gone on to possess Golden Freddy. Yeah. Now we have a solution to both of those things. Golden Freddy can still have Bug victim in him. One that says it's me when he sees his brother working as a security guard. But he can also have a second spirit in him. One who died in this horrific missing children's incident murder, and one who continues to torment Afton long after he's passed on. And the logbook isn't done. Sure, on those pages we see the responses of it was for me and I'm scared, but we also see the responses of I can hear sounds and I can't see. It once again is a parallel back to the Andrew and Jake situation, where one spirit can see and maneuver the body while the other is trapped down below the surface, able to listen but unable to do much else. This feels like the solution to Golden Freddy that we've been waiting for. The problem with him is that we've always assumed he was just one kid, one spirit who tried to make fit in all the various details about lore, but it never quite worked. And that's because it would never work. In reality, you always needed two entities. One sensitive and kind, a younger brother looking for peace, and one the victim of a brutal murder, violently eager for revenge. And here's the real twist, my friends, that might not be all. There's one last small detail in the Stitch-wraith story that we have to keep an eye on. We learned in that story that Jake and Andrew aren't intentionally murdering people. Then when they reach out to touch someone, they accidentally zap them. Jake assumes that Andrew doing it, he's wrong. Final quote from the book. You don't want to scare people, okay? The zap is killing them. Well, that wasn't what I wanted. So if what you're doing isn't doing what you want, it's doing something someone else wants. Maybe something else is here with us. You're a hitchhiker and I killed you, I get someone else hitchhike with us. So hopefully there might be more souls involved when
It's, Michael Brooks from the books.
Freddy, that's a story for another day. And with that, my friends, the last book until next year, there's definitely a few stories I haven't talked about that merit another video or two, but for now, Fazbear Frights and all its numerous lore reveals have come to an end.
Yeah.
Sam, here's that out. These have been a great way to engage with the mysteries of the franchise with a slow drift coming out over the course of this year, like a book every other month. It's been a really cool release strategy. And honestly, some of these stories are the creepiest things produced by this franchise in a long time. I guess the only thing left at this point is crossing our fingers for that new game to come out soon. Now, alright, Scott, don't you release another game on us or anything? No? Thanks for it. Well, probably better than anyway. Halloween is just around the corner. There's not a whole lot of ways we can be able to celebrate it this year. But hey, if you haven't checked out these books yet, but are a fan of the series, then check them out because they're sponsored for today's episode, Audible.
Okay, I don't care about Audible. Finally, the final game theory video. Yep, I knew it. Hold on, let me do this.
Stay cool with Sour Patch Kids Lemon.
Okay, I can deal with a 5-second unskippable ad.
Sweet God.
If you're an unskippable one, I'm gonna be okay.
Credit Union, the #1 credit union in Connecticut, for the
Fight victim. Oh, he's dead.
Welcome to Game Theory, show that's always a bloody good time. Today we have a few massive announcements before we get to the episode, so please click to here if you're not interested.
Oh, thank you. I will. Hold on. This guy do one thing. 5, 4, 5.
We planned a live stream and working on merch, there's been a lot going on. And in the middle of it all, more FNaF security breach got its first trailer out during the PlayStation 5 Alpha event, and man, does this new game look incredible.
Yeah.
Your friends are worried about you.
Long gone are days of just looking at static-filled still image camera feeds, my friends. And
Yeah.
before we move on, I'm going to say how cool it is to see an indie franchise started by one man working at Dollar General rise to the point that it's now getting a spotlight alongside time-honored franchises like Final Fantasy and God of War, and not only getting spotlight alongside, but getting more views than nearly everything else in that show.
Imagine being popular IPs from the past, and suddenly this indie franchise about dead kids possessing animatronics gets more views. That's sad.
Okay, that's awesome. Well done, Scott. Really, really well deserved. Now, based on the trailer, it looks like we'll be trapped inside of a Freddy Fazbear's Pizzaplex, playing a life-or-death game hide and seek against a killer. And it's that killer, Vanny, that I really want to dive into today. She's teased twice in the trailer, once via a money-shaped shadow opening sequence, and again as the final jump scare. Now, it's suspected for a while that she's coming via teaser images on Scott's website, merch leaks, Easter eggs hidden throughout FNaF VR, all things that I've covered before in past series. But the thing I wanted to look closer at today is her backstory and her relationship to Glitchtrap. Because even though this game hasn't come out yet, and we honestly don't know when it's coming out, we do already know a ton about this new character. In fact, true to Scott's style of storytelling, we probably won't get that much of a backstory for Vanny in this new game. I don't know if you've noticed this about Scott's games, but important story bits tend to happen around the games rather than in the games. Let me explain an example. In Sister Location, we end with Baby being a part of Enter, and if you get the ended, you see that she gets puked up into a sewer. Fast forward to FNaF 6, and there's suddenly two separate entities again, Scrap Baby and Molten Freddy. 99.9% of the players would have no idea of how or why that would happen. And I can't blame them, because the only way you would know that Baby got voted out of the Enter tribe was via the source code on Scott's website, as well as a separate standalone site, FNAFworld.com. Just goes to show that when you're talking about FNAF, the game never really stops. And the thing is, I think Vanny is already getting treated this same way. The information about her, what is now getting her killed, the big twist reveal about Vanny's true nature has already been laid out for us, if you're paying attention to all parts of the FNAF universe. So if, unlike me, you don't have time to keep track of the 12 games, 9 books, dozens of ports, hundreds of toys, and a movie, and a piece of tree, well, that's why I'm here. Because all the pieces are out there in place for us, and now we're going to be putting them back together to understand the true backstory of Vanny, the killer bunny. Purple Guide 2.0 before Security Breach comes out. Recently, the game FNaF Help Wanted got its own mobile port. Big whoop, right? I've already seen this game 200 times before, once in VR, and again, a flat console port. Don't get me wrong, love this game, probably my favorite game of the franchise, but still, Scott ain't getting me to buy this for a third time. He totally got me to buy it a third time. So because this is a
Imagine buying a mobile port with actual money. That's embarrassing.
For a lot of games that stripped away, gone is the intro sequence, gone are some of the game modes, but most notably gone are the hidden cassette tapes that tell the story of Help Wanted's failed development. Now, if you remember back a year ago, collecting all 16 of those hidden tapes in the original game inadvertently assembled our latest villain, Glitchtrap, piece by piece, and once fully together, they capture us in the game and presumably escape back out into the real world. That's all gone now.
Vanessa, make sure we killed kids.
Our new mobile version. In its place, though, maybe something better. Immediately upon opening up the game, it becomes clear that this mobile port is more broken than FNaF World 1.0. Got textures glitching out in both the main hub and in the various meetings. Now, obviously, these are intentional effects. And by zooming in and tapping on them repeatedly, honestly, I can't say exactly what I did do. I just was there a long time pounding away on the screen. The screen eventually fades to black, and suddenly you're presented with everyone's favorite part of the series, an 8-bit minigame with room entry gameplay steeped in symbolic lore. Okay, it's actually more like 16 minutes point, but still. We're told that this game is called Princess Quest, with you playing as a little girl lighting torches to unlock doors and run away from glitching bunny people.
Legend of Zelda.
After making way through a ruined castle and cemetery, you eventually unlock a long corridor that leads to a final lantern and, no points if you guessed it, Glitchtrap himself. The screen goes dark and suddenly you're taken back to the game's main hub. Now, this seems fairly self-explanatory, right? It's a reference to Glitchtrap, a game that had to eliminate him due to size constraints. But it's the details here that really matter. Not counting torches in front of the 6 gravestones, which are very clearly references to the original 5 missing children plus the child of the puppet. There are 16 torches in total for the princess to light. This isn't a coincidence. It perfectly lines up with the 16 cassette tapes that he had to collect in the original Help Wanted in order to release Glitchtrap. In fact, Glitchtrap only appears once the 16th one is lit, further cementing that connection. But where things get really interesting is when you decode what Glitchtrap is saying. As the game ends, there's clearly a dialogue box along the bottom containing weird glitching text, but you'll notice that the patterns aren't random. Some shapes actually repeat themselves. These right here and these right here. It's actually a substitution code that spells out everyone's favorite phrase from the game.
I always come back.
To get all one step further, we can actually extract the audio from this moment. And do some audio trickery by doubling the speed and then reversing it and get this. I always come back, let me out. So as this Princess Quest is showing us a recreation of the events from the original Help Wanted, this does a couple of things for us. First, it basically proves 100% that this is in fact William Afton's spirit and not some sort of AI or code meant to replicate it. It is him through and through. Dude wasn't lying when he said he always comes back. He's got more lives than Jason Voorhees. So he got himself a solid understanding of brand consistency. Afton always comes back. Second, though, what Princess Quest is doing is confirming for us the origin story of our new killer, Vanny, Vanessa. In the original game, the fate of Tape Girl wasn't clear because she sometimes encouraged us to kill the tapes and sometimes didn't. But here we get clarity on the whole story. Vanny is the princess with the lantern. She collects all the tapes, pieces, whatever, and gets taken over by Glitchtrap. This all confirms what we were speculating about before with Vanny in a previous theory from a year ago. That a young woman named Vanessa, Vanny for short, will be taken over by Afton to kill in his name, brainwashed her, partially controlled by a spirit living inside her.
Yes, I hear you. I know. No.
There's also a similar conversation currently hitting Source Code Scout's website, except here you see both sides of the conversation. Stay the course.
I will.
Focus on my voice.
I will.
Don't let anyone lead you astray.
I won't.
Have you
That's
selected?
definitely
The one
right.
that seems to be selected is Gregory from New Game's trailer.
Be still. I think she's found us.
So is that just a recap of a lot of information we already knew? Are we just left to speculate about that until Security Breach finally comes out? Well, no. You see, in the last year, there's been one final source of information about Vanny, and it's a big one. A game that I've largely ignored up until now, FNaF's augmented reality game Special Delivery. If you haven't heard about this one, basically the concept is that animatronics get shipped to your home so you'll have yourself new friends. Because let's be honest, fighting for your life against a malfunctioning robot is probably still better than trying to hold a normal conversation with a living, breathing human being. I think I've been dancing around this one just because the possible canonicity of characters like Shamrock, Freddy, Liberty, Chica, and Clown Springtrap makes me have a nervous breakdown. But questionable lore implications of flamethrower, bear, endo aside, this game has been seeing us more info over the entire last year about the history of Vanny and Glitchtrap, and it requires us to do one of the scariest tasks any FNaF game has ever required: reading emails. You see, the game will occasionally share you on emails that aren't intended for your eyes. On one side, we have ourselves the story of a company working on behalf of Fazbear Entertainment to disassemble old animatronics and scan their circuit boards into their computer system. And just like Kate Girl warned us about back in FNaF VR, this causes a virus to spread through the system. Quote from those emails, turns out that wasn't a glitch. We released a virus when we scanned that last circuit board. It's spreading really fast. We're gonna need all hands on deck. New email. Hey Jan, just checking in. I emailed you earlier this week about a virus caused by one of your circuit boards, which is currently spreading throughout our system and causing serious problems. Please contact me ASAP. Thanks, best Steve. So that is our Glitchtrap origin story. And to me, it's especially interesting because I think it helps explain something that dates all the way back to FNaF 3. Recently in the series, we've learned that the FNaF games are canon in the games. Now, that's a really confusing sentence, so let me explain. In both FNaF VR and the Fazbear Frights books, it's confirmed that the urban legends about murders happening at Freddy's restaurants are mainstream enough to have gotten some video game spin-offs. Not necessarily the FNaF games that we know, as not FNaF worlds, as everyone including Scott wants to forget that one, but games inspired by the legends of the Pizzeria. In FNaF VR, in fact, we're told that they were made by Fazbear Entertainment as a cover-up.
Fazbear Entertainment hired the game developer. Those indie games were designed to conceal and make light of what happened. This isn't just an attempt to rebrand. It's an elaborate cover-up.
And looking back on it, I believe that we've seen those games. I think we've played those games. They're the 8-bit games from FNaF 3, Mangle's Quest, BB's Air Adventure, Cheetah's Party, and Stage 01. Heck, they don't even include the Take Cake, Give Gifts, etc. games from FNaF 2. Those are the games being referenced in the games. I mean, they even have those sorts of cheesy titles that would come with cheap Atari-style games of that era. And how do we know all this? Why am I talking about it now? Because of Glitchtrap. It's easy to forget, but the last minigame that you have to play in FNaF 3 features a glitched-out bunny hopping. I didn't even need to put a pun there. Hopping between the various minigames. This is the first appearance of Glitchtrap. It's Afton's spirit trapped inside the circuit boards of these retro games looking for an escape. An escape that doesn't actually get realized until he stands into a new modern computer system meant to produce FNaF VR. Now, admittedly, this is a bit confusing when it comes to the timeline. We know Freddy Fazbear's Pizza was founded in 1983, as we see from the VR coins in FNaF 1. In FNaF 1, Phone Guy tells us that animatronics have been around for 20 years. That puts FNaF 1 in 2003, not 1993 like I previously thought. And based on the description for FNaF 3, Fazbear's Fright and the discovery of Springtrap all happened 30 years after the closure of Freddy's, making that one roughly 2033. Now, we have no idea when and how Afton got
or this year.
Probably via his extreme agony spring lock. But if this company is literally opening animatronic suits sent from Fazbear Entertainment and scanning the boards and imply about emails, are we assuming that they opened up the Springtrap suit, completely ignored the dead body inside and scanned it? Just doesn't seem likely to me. Is Fazbear Entertainment rescuing the board after he was burned to death in FNaF 6? It's just odd. This is why I don't talk timeline with this series anymore. To me, the simplest solution here is that William Afton's soul is just in multiple pieces at once, split like Harry Potter Horcrux, only instead of swords and stars, he's split between suits and circuit boards. And one of those iterations is Glitchtrap, stuck in the various games codes until he's eventually released. But running all the way back to FNaF Special Delivery, there's a separate
not just soul duplication.
Ness, as in Vaness. It's Vanny, my friends. Here's a series of emails where Ness is acting weird, and Lewis, IT guy, is honestly acting weird because he's creeping on Ness. Here's a few lines from these emails. Hey Ness, it's no big deal, but I wanted to reach out off the radar and remind you about personal internet usage. Certain words and phrases trigger red flag reports, so your last order got automatically sent to me. Basically, anything mentioning torture is going to raise the alarm. If you have any questions about policy, let me know. We could even get coffee or something and go over all words to avoid. And now I've raised my own red flag. Good thing I'm the one who gets the notification. Smiley, Lewis. Hey Ness, wanted to see if you're doing okay.
Oh God.
My advice about red flag search terms. If I thought I'd have to file an incident report on you, I think I just have to quit instead. I was a little worried. Maybe something is going on with you. One day you're researching flowers and the migration of bees. Fascinating, right? And the next day you type in how far can a human being be cut in half before losing consciousness. I figured maybe you're writing a screenplay or something. Always here for me, Lewis. Hey Ness. So
makes sense, I guess.
Red flags, but the sentence how to induce compliance in human subjects and how to induce self-compliance did actually get my attention.
Oh
the
no.
Chocolate chip cookies always works for me. I also thought it was strange that these were immediately followed by searches that couldn't possibly have any relevant answers for you. Did you search for help by itself? Anyway, offer still stands if you want to go over company policy and free any day after work. We could grab dinner or coffee if you want, Lewis. Oh, Lewis, when you say stuff like that, it makes me. But HR violations aside, these conversations tell us a lot about Vanny's mental state. She is sharing control of herself with Glitchtrap. That's why I get references to her searching the internet for help. It's part of her psyche crying out for anything. Anyone who can save her, anything that will provide an escape. It's also why it's so important that Lewis calls out the searches for inducing compliance in human subjects and inducing self-compliance. That is Glitchtrap, searching for a way to gain complete control over Vanny, over her psyche. This further confirms something that we talked about in my last theory on Vanny. In that episode, we talked about how she's a reluctant follower, that Afton isn't in complete control. On ScottsVoices.com page where he tends to hire actors for various vocal roles in the game, Vanny's listings for a character named Reluctant Follower. So this one is clearly a devotee, brainwashed or controlled by Afton to an extent, but a part of her is actively fighting back, hesitant to do what he asks, which makes me think that in Security Breach, we may be able to save or redeem her. In fact, knowing that may help us out with the gameplay.
Well, he predicted that well.
Ending condition. That, my friends, is what I believe to be the big twist that awaits us in Security Breach. Wait, as I finish this video, of course, new statues just dropped with important lore reveals, so let's just talk about these real fast. With Gregory hiding inside of Freddy, definitely looks like my idea about gameplay version of hide and seek is absolutely confirmed. Or maybe Gregory is just piloting an 80s era bear-shaped Gundam suit. Either way, I am totally living that. As for the other statue that just dropped, looks like Vanny's gonna be taking a page out of Afton Playbook. The classic security guard by day and serial killer at night. Old habits die hard, I guess. But in Vanny's case, my question, is she gonna remember it? My guess is no. It's gonna be a classic case of Jekyll and Hyde. But who knows? I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see what it is. Hear that some big things are coming to this franchise before the end of the year. And I'm not just talking about all the cool new merch we dropped, which, as one last reminder, is all available right below this video. But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching.
Finally done. Finally done with this. Okay. No more. I can finally get off and end this stream. Goodbye, everyone. My torture finally ends. My agony end. Maybe next time I'll cover some of the rest of the Frights stuff, and maybe some security breach.